Chapter 41. Don't get me wrong, these things I bought are actually very useful. Hiss Lu, hearing Xiao Chen's angry low voice and feeling Kai Yan's eyes that wanted to kill someone. Cloud Mountain took another deep breath before raising his head with some unfinished thoughts. Sorry, I made you two laugh. Seeing the weird looks on their faces, Cloud Mountain waved his hand to ask the maid to step back. Then he coughed a few times and said with a rather embarrassed expression. I'm a bit old now, so I'm bound to have some minor problems. If you get too excited, the energy and blood in your body will rush straight to the heavenly spirit. If you don't take a few breaths of the girl's breath in time, the old man will probably go crazy because of it. After hearing Cloud Mountain's explanation, Xiao Chen and Kai Yan were stunned. There is such a weird disease. Could it be that this old guy has practiced some evil technique of gathering yin and replenishing yang? Don't get me wrong, you too. This is because the pure yang technique I practiced was somewhat incomplete, and it was the sequelae left after forcibly breaking through to the nirvana realm. Seeing Xiao Chen and Kaiyan's suspicious looks, Cloud Mountain reluctantly explained. The next moment, Cloud Mountain did not dwell on this topic, and just asked Xiao Chen with a solemn expression. Mr. Xiao, although the quality of this batch of elixirs are supreme grade, they are profound rank and earth rank elixirs, and the price they can be sold for will not be too high. If you are in urgent need of spiritual crystals now, I can purchase this batch of supreme grade elixirs from you for 3.6 million spiritual crystals. But if you are not in a hurry, my suggestion is to auction it for you. Our Chamber of Commerce only takes 20% as service fee, and the remaining 80% from the auction goes to the young master. I wonder what the young master wants. If it is an ordinary person, Cloud Mountain will choose to acquire it without hesitation, and will not ask the other party whether it wants to auction it. But Xiao Chen gave him a rather mysterious feeling, which made him want to make friends with him. So after some thought, he still chose to give up the profit. Auction. After hearing Cloud Mountain's words, Xiao Chen was slightly stunned, with a look of confusion on his face. Is your Chamber of Commerce going to hold an auction recently? As everyone knows, the purchase price of the Chamber of Commerce is generally the lowest price. If it could be auctioned, the value of his batch of elixirs might even increase several times. Therefore, when Xiao Chen heard that it could be auctioned, he was immediately excited. Ha ha ha, young master, it's just a coincidence that you came here. Tiandu City is scheduled to hold a grand auction in 3 days. Everything is almost ready now. All we have to do is make an announcement to invite surrounding forces. Cloud Mountain laughed when he heard this, with a touch of contentment on his face. For this auction, he applied to the Chamber of Commerce headquarters, and even a lot of good things came. I originally wanted to perform well, but now I have another guest, Xiao Chen. If this batch of elixirs could also be auctioned together, the 3-day auction would be even more sensational. 3 days later, Xiao Chen frowned slightly when he heard this, and made a decision after thinking for a while. Okay, just as you said, go directly to the auction. He just killed Lahai today. Tai Sword Sect should not find out the truth so quickly, so it should not pose any threat to the Xiao family in a short time. And the stay of these few days, he could find a way to deal with Marongfu and get the purple pill of restoration in his hands. Young master is really wise. Cloud Mountain burst out laughing when he heard this, and then put away all the elixirs in front of him. I will keep these elixirs for you for the time being. I will ask someone to arrange a wing. You two will stay in the Chamber of Commerce these days. Don't be in a hurry if you want to live there, the deal isn't over yet. Seeing that Cloud Mountain planned to arrange accommodation for them, and also added this batch of elixirs to the auction list, Xiao Chen waved his hand and immediately called the other party to stop. Master, do you have any good things? Cloud Mountain turned around when he heard this and looked at Xiao Chen in surprise. With so many supreme grade elixirs, his family's wealth has not been emptied out. This young man is really extremely rich. No, I don't want to sell anything in this transaction, but I want to buy a batch of supplies from you. Seeing the surprised look in Cloud Mountain's eyes, Xiao Chen smiled and shook his head, then continued straight to the point. Your Chamber of Commerce has been operating in Tiandu City for so many years, so there should be a lot of waste materials that are difficult to sell. For example, broken soldiers, discarded elixirs, corpses and materials, these are somewhat valuable, but few people buy them. No matter how much you have, I want them all. This is the most fundamental purpose of his coming to Xi'an Chamber of Commerce. As the largest chamber of commerce in the Great Qian dynasty, the chamber's means of collecting supplies can be said to be the most advanced. And such a large chamber of commerce is bound to have a lot of material inventory, including all kinds of materials. Due to quality issues, many supplies can only sit in warehouses and gather dust. If you become a distinguished customer of the Zion Chamber of Commerce and purchase these materials at a low price, you will definitely be able to convert them into countless points. That's why he sold so many supreme-grade elixirs, just to raise his status to a certain level. Next, it is convenient to purchase the materials of Zion Chamber of Commerce at the minimum price. Sir, do you want the scrap materials our Chamber of Commerce has in stock? After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Cloud Mountain was stunned. Obviously, I don't know what Xiao Chen is doing. First, he sold a batch of supreme-grade elixirs, but now he wants to buy up scraps. Do all powerful young men have such unique tastes? Do not misunderstand. These things I bought are actually of great use. Seeing Cloud Mountain's strange and suspicious look, Xiao Chen could only make up a random reason. Actually, it was my master who raised a weird devouring beast. You need to consume a lot of supplies every day to accelerate the growth of your bloodline, so you asked me to buy some waste. After saying that, Xiao Chen couldn't help but glance at Kyan. It seems that the blood of the sky-swallowing python in this woman's body, once fully activated and transformed, can also swallow all things to grow. What he said seemed to be a bit alluding to the other party. This woman shouldn't notice it, right? Just when this thought came to an end, Xiao Chen noticed that Kyan had also looked over, with a strange look in her eyes. That look seems to be saying, "Are you hinting to me that you want to keep me as a pet?" Cough. Seeing Kyan's weird look, Xiao Chen didn't dare to look at her for too long. He coughed dryly and then looked away. After hearing this, Cloud Mountain took a deep breath. He had never heard of strange beasts that could swallow up all things and grow. Could it be some kind of sacred beast cub? After having this absurd guess in his mind, Cloud Mountain became more and more in awe of Xiao Chen. He was able to raise such an unheard of exotic beast, and he also had so many supreme-grade elixirs at his fingertips. The master behind Xiao Chen is also a celestial human realm powerhouse, and may also be an old monster from the Saint realm. Since Mr. Xiao has a need, I will do my best to do it. When the thought fell, Cloud Mountain had the idea of currying favor with Xiao Chen, and immediately said with a cautious expression, "Master Xiao, please stay here for a while. I will sort out all the materials that the Chamber of Commerce has found difficult to sell over the years and give them to you." After saying that, before Xiao Chen could say anything, Cloud Mountain was busy. Chapter 42. It's the same as holding hands, but the meaning is different. Half an hour later, Xiao Chen walked out of Zion Chamber of Commerce with a smile on his lips. After a lot of effort, all the waste materials of Zion Chamber of Commerce's branch in Tianducheng have been recycled and converted into points by him, and the points have exceeded 300,000 at this moment. After all, this is the Tianducheng branch of the Zion Chamber of Commerce. It has accumulated waste materials over hundreds of years. It can be worth 3 million if converted into spiritual crystals. Fortunately, Cloud Mountain did not collect the spiritual crystal immediately. It just planned to wait for the elixir to be auctioned and then deduct the corresponding fee from it. This allowed him to obtain this batch of resources now, and he still had 380,000 spiritual crystals left in his body. "Sir, next. Are we going to the city lord's mansion?" Looking at the blue sky, it was almost dusk. Kyan turned her head and asked suddenly. "Well, now that we know that City Lord Morong has the purple pill of restoration, we must get it next." Hearing Kyan's low voice, Xiao Chen nodded and responded. With these 300,000 points, he could solve most of the problems and get the elixir from Morong Fu. He could even take the opportunity to conquer the Tiandu City Lord's mansion and turn this force into a sharp blade in his hands. This way, with the Tiandu City Lord's mansion to rely on, and Kyan returning to her peak condition, there is no need to fear Tai Sword Sect's revenge. "Master, you are so kind to me." After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Kyan couldn't help but tremble, lowered her head and spoke with emotion. In order to help her return to her peak condition, she even went to Tiandu City to work hard. As Queen Medusa of the Snake Tribe, her reputation in the human dynasty was not very good. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen didn't care at all. He not only saved her life, but also helped her like this. Such hard work and financial expenditure are difficult for ordinary people to do, but Xiao Chen is willing to pay for her. Could it be that young master also likes her? After thinking of this possibility, Kyan's eyes couldn't help but tremble. While I was shocked, I also felt a touch of emotion and unprecedented sweetness. Although the young master is a bit flirtatious, he is really good to her. I will never let you down in this life. What's wrong with this woman? Hearing Kai Yan's sudden words, Xiao Chen turned his head in confusion, only to see spring waves in Kai Yan's eyes. The upper half of her face, which was not covered by the red gauze, faintly revealed a seductive blush. This made Xiao Chen couldn't help but feel a little thump in his heart. Damn it, this look is exactly the same as when Xiaomeyer and others wanted to interrogate him. Could it be that this Queen Medusa is an estrus and can't help but think about him? But the problem is, his current cultivation level is still relatively low, and he has not even developed the ancient kidney body yet. If he can't beat the Medusa Queen, wouldn't his male human venerable Yan be gone? After all, female creatures in estrus are more ferocious in combat than usual. If a plate is not good, Kunfei's eggs will be broken. For Kunkin, I want to show off the snake waist and beautiful legs of Queen Medusa. Hey, why are you staring at me like that? Feeling a little unsure, Xiao Chen coughed dryly and asked. Without hearing Xiao Chen's straightforward question, even though Kaiyan thought she was in a good mood, she was almost off guard by Xiao Chen. Why didn't the young master tell her frankly? Did he want her to speak first? But she can't speak now. Is this really going to kill her? Sir, just leave the matter of the soul-reviving purple pill to me. You go back to the Chamber of Commerce to rest. I will come back to you after I get it. When you feel depressed and angry inside. Kaiyan turned her head slightly, her voice sounded a little faint, and the aura on her body became a little dangerous. The young master still refused to take the initiative, and she was in a bad mood. This anger can't be taken out on the young master, so let's do it at the city lord's mansion. What do you want to do? There was something wrong with Kaiyan's aura, and her eyes even revealed the feeling of wanting to kill someone. Xiao Chen was immediately startled and asked with some confusion. Could it be that you want to rob the city lord's mansion? Isn't this your plan, master? Kaiyan tilted her head in surprise when she heard this, and asked in confusion. After asking for the whereabouts of the resurrection purple pill, I learned that the other party would not hand it over easily. The simplest and crudest way is undoubtedly to rob directly. Is it possible to steal at night? After all, they have absolute force to suppress them. Even if she is not at her peak now, she is still not something Marongfu and others can handle. Hiss, rob the city lord's mansion. Xiao Chen took a deep breath when he heard this and looked at Kai Yan with a bit of pain in his head. Marongfu and others have no grudge against me. There is no need to directly rob others just for a pill. You have to influence them with love, do you understand? As expected of Queen Medusa of the snake tribe, she is always ready to rob others. No wonder the strong humans are afraid of her. Kaiyan understands. After being educated by Xiao Chen, Kaiyan immediately lowered her head in grievance, and her mood became even worse. It seems that she still doesn't understand the young master very well. Half a day ago, he was so decisive and ruthless when he bloodbathed the Lin family and his family. Now we can use force to suppress, but we have to use love to influence the other party. Sure enough, men are fickle creatures, and their hearts are really unpredictable. Let's go, don't just stand around. Seeing Kaiyan lowering her head, she didn't know what she was thinking. Xiao Chen didn't want to waste time here. Without thinking, he took Kaiyan's hand and pulled her towards the central square. The sun is almost setting. If we don't hurry up, we may be rejected. Boom. Kaiyan had no idea what Xiao Chen was talking about at this time. Because when Xiao Chen held her hand, there was a roar in her mind, as if her soul was being pulled out by the other person. He just looked at Xiao Chen blankly. His body was like a puppet, being led by Xiao Chen towards the front. Young master actually took the initiative to hold her hand. The last time she took Xiao Chen to fly, Xiao Chen held her hand only after she took the initiative to speak. But this time, it was Xiao Chen who took the initiative to hold her hand when she was unprepared. They are both holding hands, but the meaning is different. This made Kaiyan's heart beat rapidly, and the alluring red lips under the veil also made a charming curve. The depression and unhappiness I felt just now disappeared in this moment. Sometimes, women are so easily satisfied, a small gesture can touch her heart. Chapter 43 Daddy, let me leave this world quietly. City Center Square. This is a relatively prosperous area in Tianducheng. There are not only shops selling various goods, but also various food stalls selling monster meat. There is even a martial arts arena in the central square where some martial artists can compete in martial arts. In front of the central arena area, there is a notice monument 3 feet high, with some notices issued by the city lord's palace posted on it. There is one of them. It was the city lord Marong Fu who asked for help with a lot of money, promising that only someone could cure Marong Bo, or Marong Qingshe, the daughter of the city lord's palace. An announcement was made to reward 1 million spiritual crystals and 5 high-level items. This announcement was taken down by many people in the past few years, but after all these people failed. Now this announcement has not been touched again. I found it, this is it. After bringing the colorful smoke to the central square, Xiao Chen fixed his eyes on the high stone tablet. After a brief search, I took down the notice. Hey, who is that kid? Do you think you are sure that you can cure the old city lord Marong, or that rich lady? How can this be? Even the alchemy king Ji Yu Qinghe can't solve the situation of old city master Marong and Miss Marong. How can a mere brat solve this problem? This kid is going to be in big trouble. I took down this notice, but I don't have the skills to respond to it, but I'm teasing the city lord's palace. In the past, there were many liars who were greedy for rewards, and their limbs were broken by city lord Marong and imprisoned in the dungeon. See Xiao Chen's actions. Some of the martial artists passing by stopped at this moment and looked at Xiao Chen in surprise. Everyone couldn't help but whisper, their eyes filled with sarcasm and pity. What is your name? While everyone was talking about it, the soldiers guarding the notice monument walked towards Xiao Chen with a serious face. They are the city guards of Tiandu City, and they usually guard this notice to prevent anyone from deliberately damaging it. Of course, after the capable men and strangers took down this notice, they were also responsible for taking people to the city lord's palace. My surname is Xiao. Seeing that these 2 city guards did not scold them as soon as they came up, Xiao Chen was quite fond of them. He immediately raised his hand and said his surname. Master Xiao, do you know the meaning of this announcement? Although the rewards from above are very tempting, if you don't have real skills, you might get into trouble. One of the soldiers nodded and reminded in a low voice. No problem, just take us to the city lord's mansion. Xiao Chen waved his hand when he heard this and replied nonchalantly. In that case, the 2 of you should come with us. Seeing Xiao Chen looking so confident, Kayan beside him also has an extraordinary temperament. After the 2 soldiers said something in a low voice, they took Xiao Chen and Kai Yan away from here. At the same time, in the palace of the city lord of Tiandu City. City lord, it's not good. The lady hanged herself again. Marong Fu was sitting in the study. Hearing this frightened shout, he immediately rushed out of the study. The soldiers who wanted to come in and report were sent flying several feet away. Clear the snow, almost just for a moment. Marong Fu rushed to Marong Qingshui's boudoir and came to Marong Qingshui's bed in a panic. There were 2 maids kneeling beside them, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. However, Marong Fu's attention did not fall on the maid, but on the figure on the bed. This is a woman whose appearance is unclear. Wrong. Although the woman in front of me is human-like, she looks more like an uncivilized ape. Because of this person, not only was there a red mark on his face, but the exposed skin all over his body was covered with strange red hairs. More like a monkey than a person. This is Marong Fu's biological daughter, Marong Qingshe, who suffered from some innate disease due to premature birth. Before the age of 10, Marong Qingshe was no different from ordinary people, and she was a delicate-looking little girl. But after 10 years old, Marong Qingshe suddenly developed red spots on his face, and the hairs on his body continued to thicken and grow, and finally turned into a strange red color. As a result, he looks like an ape now, and is regarded as an unknown freak by many people. In the past few years, Marong Fu traveled all over the country and visited countless capable people, but he could not cure Marong Qingshe. It was precisely because of becoming such a desolate person that Marong Qingshe had locked herself in her room for the past few years. Not only did he shed tears all day long, he also committed suicide more than once. But because of the close attention of servants and her special physique, she failed to commit suicide every time. Although the breath is a little disordered, fortunately it is not life-threatening. After briefly checking Marong Qingshui's condition, Marong Fu's anxious heart was relieved. What happened? Didn't I ask you 2 to watch the young lady? Why did the young lady have the opportunity to hang herself again? Marong Fu put down Marong Qingshui's wrist, and then turned around with a gloomy expression. That cold murderous aura caused the temperature in the room to drop to freezing point. Chinger Honger was negligent for a moment, please ask the lord of the city to atone for his sins. Upon hearing Marong Fu's question, The two maids lowered their heads and their bodies trembled even more violently. Don't blame them. I made excuses to send them away. It's useless for you to get angry at them. Just when Marong Fu was about to speak, Marong Qingshe also woke up leisurely, and his words came out in a somewhat ethereal voice. Unimaginable. This sweet sound, like the sound of a clear spring, came from a girl with red hair all over her body. Qingshe, hear this voice. The gloom on Marong Fu's face disappeared and he quickly turned around to look at Marong Qingshe. If you encounter something unhappy, tell Daddy. Daddy will definitely help you solve it. Daddy, let me leave this world quietly. Before Marong Fu finished speaking, Marong Qingshe suddenly interrupted him. I'm alive. Being just an anomaly in the eyes of others will only make Dad bear more shackles, and will only make me suffer from controversy and torture. Daddy, I am so tired from living. Although suicide is a sign of cowardice and avoidance, I really don't want to continue like this. Qingshe, I miss my mother so much. If there is an afterlife, Qingshe will be my father's daughter again and honor my father's kindness. But now, please forgive Qingshe for being willful, and please let me leave this world. The ethereal and sweet voice, speaking of despair, echoed in the room. Marong Fu's body suddenly trembled, an indescribable pain that made him feel like he was about to suffocate. Even Chinger and Honger, who were kneeling on the ground and shaking. After hearing these words from Marong Qingshe, she forgot her original fear of being punished, and her tears couldn't stop pouring out at this moment. As the maid of Marong Qingshe, don't they know that Marong Qingshui's life is really more painful than death? Today Marong Qingshe found reasons to send them away, and they could more or less notice it. But they still chose to leave, just to fulfill each other's needs. Perhaps death, for Marong Qingshe, is the real relief. Shuiye, give Dad 3 more days. Daddy has already found an expert. He will definitely be able to cure your hidden disease. Daddy promises you that you will get better, so, can you wait a little longer for Daddy? Seeing Marong Qingshui's pleading eyes, Marong Fu resisted the urge to cry and spoke with a pleading voice. How could he not know Marong Qingshui's pain? How could he not know that living was a kind of torture for her? But Marong Qingshe was his biological daughter and the only love child between him and his wife. He could not watch her commit suicide. Chapter 44 Too bad news in just one day. Dad, this is the 21st time you have lied to me for this reason. After hearing Marong Fu's words, Marong Qingshe turned her head slightly, tears flowing down her hair. In the past, I volunteered to be fooled every time because I couldn't bear it and couldn't bear to leave you. But this time, Qingshe really doesn't want to be deceived by Dad again. After saying that, Marong Qingshe closed her eyes in pain, as if the abyss had swallowed up the world. These past few years, Marong Fu used similar reasons to appease her many times, and he did find various, capable people and strangers, for her afterwards, but every time the treatment ended in failure. And every time, I endured the psychological gap from full of expectations to despair. Even in the process, you also have to bear the surprised looks of outsiders, as if you were looking at a monster. This pain, no one else understands it except herself. She really didn't want to go through this again. Qingshe, Daddy really didn't lie to you this time. Daddy really found a strange person. He will definitely be able to cure you. Can you just hold on for 3 more days? Seeing Marong Qingshui's despair, Marong Fu endured the heartache and continued hoarsely. If he really can't cure you after 3 days and you want to leave, then Dad will allow it. The last few words, Marong Fu used all his strength to say these ordinary words. After saying that, he felt that his entire soul had been cruelly torn into pieces. The greatest pain in the world. There is nothing better than a white-haired person giving a black-haired person a gift, and still watching the other person leave. As long as someone is not cold-blooded and has no family affection, this feeling is tantamount to being insulted. Thank you, Daddy. After hearing this, Marong Qingshe opened her eyes slightly, took a deep look at Marong Fu and then closed them again, as if she wanted to remember Marong Fu's appearance forever. Then you have a good rest first, and wait until Dad finds the expert. After saying this to Marong Qingshe, Marong Fu covered him with the quilt and walked out of the wing with heavy steps. 3 days. He can only stay with his daughter for 3 more days. How cruel this is for a father. After closing the door for Marong Qingshe, Marong Fu leaned against the door, feeling that the whole world was dark. Ahem, cough.is xiao shui okay. Right now, as an old voice sounded, an old man with white hair was pushed over in a wheelchair. The wrinkles on his face were like ravines, and there was an aura of decay permeating his body, making him look like a dying person. This man was none other than Marong Fu's father, the former lord of Tiandu City, Marong Bo. Father. After seeing Marong Bo, Marong Fu immediately stood up straight, and the despair on his face quickly disappeared. Shui is fine, I just couldn't think about it for a while. Now after my child's persuasion, I have rested in the room. After hesitating for a while, Marong Fu finally did not tell the truth, but concealed what had just happened. That's good. Marong Bo nodded when he heard this, looked at the room with kind eyes, then raised his head and said hoarsely. Help me prepare for the funeral. I'm afraid I won't survive 3 days. Boom. After hearing Marong Bo's words, Marong Fu's body trembled violently, and there was a roar in his mind. Although I had already been mentally prepared, after hearing the news at this time, it was still a little hard for him to accept. In just 1 day, 2 bad news came one after another. Even though Marong Fu was a strong man in the 9th level of Nirvana, he felt like the world was spinning at this moment. 2 people who are closely related by blood will pass away in these days. What a blow this was to him. Seriously, when the house leaks and it rains all night, bad luck always seeks out the poor. How wicked was Marong Fu in his previous life, so that the thief god could be so cruel to him in this life? Kid. I know. After closing his eyes in pain, Marong Fu finally uttered these words. There is no greater sorrow than death of heart. Perhaps this sentence is a portrayal of Marong Fu at this time. City Lord, someone has posted the notice in the central square and is waiting outside the door of the City Lord's mansion. Just when Marong Fu staggered, he was about to fall down. A soldier hurried over to report. What? This sentence is not very loud. But when it fell on Marong Fu's ears, it was like the sound of a drum in the evening and a bell in the morning, making him raise his head suddenly. Who is it? But a certain medical master of the Great Qian dynasty, or a Dan Dao sect master of the Great Qian dynasty. With a glimmer of hope in his eyes, Marong Fu spoke in a hurry. While talking, he even rushed in front of the soldier and grabbed his shoulders with both hands. At this time, he was like a desperado who fell into an abyss and grabbed the last life-saving rope before dying. That excited and trembling look startled the soldier. None. Feeling that the pair of arms on his shoulders could crush him to pieces at any time, the soldier replied with a trembling voice. It's a handsome young man in black and a veiled woman in red. They said they were fully confident that they could cure the old city lord, so they asked us to bring them here. Totally confident. After hearing these words from the soldier, the excitement on Marong Fu's face instantly turned into a gloomy one. In the past, there were people who dared to shout that they were absolutely sure, but they turned out to be charlatans who came to deceive and deceive them. In the end, these people were crippled and thrown into the dungeon by him. Now a young man and a woman dare to make such crazy guarantees. Another pair of young people who don't know how high the sky is. Cough, cough, cough. Marong Bo, who was in the back, heard the conversation between the two and waved his hands in a dazed manner. Send them both away, I don't want to bother you anymore. With his half-dead state, he wouldn't be able to survive more than 3 days even if he were to die. Even a heavenly ranked medical master could not relieve his condition, let alone forcibly extend his life. Unless it was the legendary Saint Realm medical expert, there might be hope for him to get better. But the strong men of Saint Realm are all mysterious beings whose beginnings are never seen, and it is obviously impossible for this young man and woman to be the same. Father, how about, let's meet him? After a moment of silence, Marong Fu's expression gradually calmed down. He turned around and asked in a low voice. Although there was no hope left, Marong Fu still gave it a try. Maybe a miracle will happen. The greatest despair that people feel is not that they can no longer see any hope, but that they have lost hope for themselves. Because without expectations, the world will be dark. Just like his daughter and his father. And as a father and a son, he is really unwilling to give up. Since you don't give up, then I, an old man like you, will work with you for a while, Seeing Marong Fu's pleading eyes, as if thinking of Marong Qingshe in the wing, Marong Bo also changed his mind at this time. Thank you, father. After hearing this, Marong Fu bowed to Marong Bo, then turned around and looked at the soldier. He ordered in a low voice. Bring them to the hall first. The old city lord and I will arrive later. Chapter 45. No matter what kind of injury, I can treat it well. You too, my city lord invites you. Outside the gate of the city lord's mansion. After the soldiers who went in to report came back, They immediately turned to Xiao Chen and Kyan, but their eyes looked a little complicated. Such a perfect match for a golden boy and girl. Although I don't know why they came to this muddy water, it is very likely that these two people will not be able to leave the city lord's mansion. How could a pair of young people do something that even alchemy king Jiyu Qinghe couldn't handle? After sighing secretly in his heart, the soldier didn't say much and just extended his hand to greet Xiao Chen and Kyan. Xiao Chen and Kyan didn't say anything when they heard this. They nodded and walked straight into the city lord's mansion. After a while, Xiao Chen and Kyan were greeted by the guards and waited in the meeting hall while sipping tea. Fortunately, the wait did not last too long. Murong Fu then pushed Murong Bo in, and several glances collided with each other at this moment. You are indeed so young. Seeing Xiao Chen's handsome face that still had a hint of childishness, Murong Fu and Murong Bo felt their hearts go cold. Originally there was still a little bit of expectation, but now seeing the other party like this, all the expectations were instantly diluted. So young, how could he have such extraordinary medical skills? Even if the other party had been practicing since his mother's womb, his skills would still be a bit lacking. After feeling no hope in their hearts, Murong Fu and Murong Bo, father and son, both looked at Kai Yan behind them. And after coming into contact with the other party's indifferent gaze, both of their bodies couldn't help but tremble, and their pupils shrank violently at this moment. With such cold and indifferent eyes, this person is definitely a strong man. At this moment, both father and son had this idea. To give them such a strong sense of life and death crisis, the opponent's cultivation level must be above the universal truth realm. What shocked Murong Bo even more was that he seemed to have seen those cold eyes before somewhere. But I just couldn't remember it for a while, it seemed like this memory was a bit far away. Master Xiao, after I heard that you took down the notice, I once said that I was fully confident that my father could be cured. I don't know about this. Is this an exaggeration? When he realized that Kyan's cultivation was as high as the sky, Murong Fu did not dare to put on airs at this time. After pushing Murong Bo to the side, he bowed his hands to Xiao Chen and Kyan. Without any polite words, Murong Fu went straight to the point. This made Xiao Chen look surprised, and he immediately smiled and said, "Your father's situation may be difficult for others to deal with, but for me it is nothing more than a trivial matter. As long as you can afford it, I can make him recover from his injuries. No matter how hard he gets." The understated words, with strong confidence, echoed in the hall. This made both Murong Fu and Murong Bo confused. Can any injury be treated well? Is this person too arrogant, or is he a person with real abilities? Are you sure? Murong Fu was just about to say, "What the hell are you farting?" but he thought that Kyan beside him was a top powerhouse. He finally took a deep breath and confirmed with a trembling voice. But this time, Xiao Chen didn't reply, just took a sip of tea, with a look on his face that said you didn't believe it. Ahem. I wonder. What conditions do you want? Murong Bo, who was sitting in a wheelchair, saw Xiao Chen so calm and composed, and couldn't help but speak at this time. If you really have such ability, he probably wouldn't have stooped to come to the city lord's mansion to treat him just for the little reward on the notice. So this person should have another purpose. The conditions on the notice, plus the soul resurrection purple pill in your hands. Xiao Chen raised his head when he heard this and replied lightly. What? When these words fell into the ears of Murong Fu and Murong Bo, they were undoubtedly like thunder exploding out of thin air. Resurrection purple pill. However, the city lord's mansion almost emptied its fortune 13 years ago in exchange for the sky-high price of pills. And the reward on the notice. But the city lord's mansion has only accumulated a little bit of wealth over the years. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen opened his mouth like a lion. Did he want to completely empty out the city lord's mansion? The most important is, if the purple pill of restoration is given to Xiao Chen, even if Murong Bo recovers from all his injuries, won't he have to practice again? At the opponent's age, trying to return to his prime is tantamount to talking in one's dreams. If there are no problems, I can help old Mr. Murong recover from his injuries first, and you can hand over the things later. Seeing the shocked looks on the faces of the two father and son, Xiao Chen couldn't force him too hard at this time. Now tell this. I just wanted to give Murong Bo a psychological hint and prepare Murong Fu mentally. When he repaired Murong Bo's injuries, he was affected by the contract planted by the system. Murong Bo's affection for him will reach an extremely high level. By then, it will be much easier to ask for the purple pill of restoration than to ask for it afterward. Aren't you afraid that we will regret it later? Hearing that Xiao Chen wanted to restore Marong Bo's injuries first, Marong Fu's eyes flickered and he asked in a low voice. He was a little puzzled that the other party was so proactive. I believe City Lord Marong is not a stupid person. Otherwise, the City Lord's mansion will surely end in ruins. Xiao Chen just smiled lightly when he heard this. Kayan on the side also realized something, and the terrifying murderous intention broke out in an instant, causing Marong Fu and Marong Bo's expressions to change dramatically. Their perception was indeed correct. The woman in red in front of me is really capable of killing them. However, this opportunity to kill was only fleeting and was not noticed by other people in the City Lord's mansion. However, both Marong Bo and Marong Fu were soaked in cold sweat. Cough, cough, cough. Your Excellency, please come back. After a moment of silence, Marong Bo coughed and spoke, but before he could finish speaking, Marong Fu beat him to it. Okay, as you said. If you can really cure my father, the reward is the conditions on the notice, plus the purple pill of restoration. Although doing so would cause heavy losses to the City Lord's mansion, it would not allow Marong Bo's cultivation to recover quickly. But as long as Marong Bo recovers completely from his injuries, if you can practice again, there will still be hope in the future and you can regain your peak cultivation level. Confused, it's not worth it for my old bones. Hearing Marong Fu's immediate response, Marong Bo immediately said anxiously. Without the purple pill of restoration, even if he recovered from his injuries, he would still be just a bad old man. Losing the previous cultivation level will not help the City Lord's mansion at all. It would be better to leave this resource and develop the business of the City Lord's mansion, or treat Marong Qingshe well. Very nice. You will be glad for this decision in the future. After hearing Marong Fu's words, Xiao Chen ignored Marong Bo and immediately praised him. This old guy is still a little confused now. But as long as he repairs it, he will naturally change his mind. Then without further ado, let's get started. Xiao Chen didn't do any ink, so he immediately stood up and prepared to repair Marong Bo's injuries. But just when Xiao Chen was about to take action, a voice suddenly came from outside the hall, making him frown. Chapter 46. Interesting. Is there a story about breaking up the engagement? My nephew Nalan Shiji came uninvited. Uncle Marong and Mr. Marong, please don't be surprised. As this voice came, a young man in blue and an old man came to the hall as if they were in a deserted place, immediately attracting everyone's attention. Of course, what Xiao Chen felt was more of displeasure. He was about to do some business for someone, when these two guys suddenly barged in, and the guards of the City Lord's mansion hadn't stopped him yet. It's really disappointing. However, an outsider appeared, so he could only stop and take a look at what was going on. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen stood up and sat down again, then picked up the teacup and continued to drink tea. Nalan Shiji. When Marong Fu saw the young man in front of him, a look of doubt appeared on his face. The name seemed familiar, as if I had heard it somewhere. Then, he seemed to think of something and smiled unexpectedly. It turns out you are Nalan Shi's nephew. I didn't expect you to be so old. I haven't seen you for 10 years. After some thinking, Marong Fu finally remembered. This person was his best friend, Nalan Shiji, Nalan Shang's son, and Marong Qingshui's fiancé. But this person, he only came to Marong's house 10 years ago and made an engagement with Marong Qingshe. After that, he detected the talent of Martial Dao, who is heavenly rank middle grade, and was directly accepted as a disciple by the master of Tai Sword Sect. After spending all these years in Tai Sword Sect, even he has never seen her again. Unexpectedly, 10 years later, this kid would come to Marong's house without saying a word. Is there something important? When the mind is turning. Marong Fu seemed to have thought of something, and the smile on his face gradually disappeared. My nephew has been studying in seclusion in Tai Sword Sect for these years. Only after he recently broke through to the spiritual aperture realm, he had time to go down the mountain for a run. After hearing Marong Fu's words, Nalan Shiji spoke calmly, with a touch of pride on his face. At the age of 18, he broke through to the first level of spiritual aperture and looked at the younger generation of the entire Great Qian dynasty. Besides those evil geniuses from the top forces, who else can compete with him, the young sect master? Hiss. Break through to the spiritual orifice realm. When Marong Fu and Marong Bo heard this, their faces showed shock. Back then, even Marong Bo, who had a low-grade heavenly rank talent, did not break through to the spiritual aperture realm until he was 19 years old. Unexpectedly, Nalan Shiji would enter this realm early at the age of 18. If you practice diligently, you will definitely be able to break through to the universal truth realm in the future, and may even touch the celestial human realm. The Nolan family has a monstrous genius. Uncle Morong, I wonder where Morong Qingshe.my fiance is now. Just when Morong Fu and Morong Bo were shocked, Nolan Shiji glanced at the hall. Finally, it fell on Kyan, and she couldn't help showing a look of surprise on her face, and then a look of suspicion. Could it be that this is Qingshe? From the information he knew, Morong Qingshe seemed to be involved in something unknown. Not only were there red spots on his face, but his body was also covered with red hairs. Why would there be a woman with a hot body, a veil on her face, but an extraordinary temperament in Morong's house? Could it be that the other party's hidden disease has been cured? This is a distinguished guest from the city lord's mansion. Seeing Nolan Shiji staring at Kyan, Morong Fu replied in a low voice. But before he finished speaking, Kyan suddenly raised her head indifferently. If you look at me with such a lewd look again, I won't mind gouging your eyes out. The cold words echoed in the hall. Nolan Shiji's mind buzzed, and he almost fell to the ground on the spot. He dared to interrupt the young master from doing business, and he dared to look at her like this. This human ant is really looking for death. Hiss. Pass, the strong man of universal truth realm. The old man in gray clothes standing next to Nolan Shiji felt the energy coming from Kyan. The whole person was so frightened that he could only stare at the opponent in horror, with a look on his face as if he was facing a formidable enemy. Although he is the second elder of the Tai Sword sect, his cultivation is only at the 8th level of the Nirvana realm, which is still far behind the strong men of the universal truth realm. Cough. Seeing Kyan's sudden temper, Xiao Chen couldn't help but cough. Although the ins and outs are still unclear. However, after hearing the conversation between these people and combining it with Morong Qingshui's incident, he was able to guess the clues. Isn't this the classic plot of breaking up an engagement? He didn't expect that when he came to Morong's house, he would encounter such a bloody thing. However, it is quite special to be able to witness famous classic scenes from a third party's perspective. After Kyan heard Xiao Chen's dry cough, she also restrained her cold murderous intent. She just glanced at the two of them indifferently and continued to play with her charming fingers. Since Lord Morong has an old acquaintance here, let's put things on hold for now. After you have taken care of things, we can continue what we were doing. When the atmosphere in the hall became deathly silent, Xiao Chen took a sip of tea, raised his head and spoke calmly. After saying that, Xiao Chen didn't bother to look at Nolan Shiji and just continued to taste the tea in his hand. When Nolan Shiji saw this scene, his originally handsome face became extremely gloomy at this time. Who is this guy? Not only is his expression and posture even more extraordinary than that of the young master of Tai Sword sect. He even has such a beautiful woman by his side, and he is also a strong man in the universal truth realm. In comparison, with a bad old man by his side, he looks much inferior. Unexpectedly, he brought someone to come to break off the engagement, and before he could fully exert his momentum, he was overpowered by a peer. He is really a coward. Nephew Nolan, Qingshe is ill and resting in the wing. Why don't you wait in the back hall first? After I finish handling the things at hand, we can have a few drinks and catch up on the past. After hearing Xiao Chen ask him to deal with things first, Morong Fu looked at Nolan Shiji and spoke in a low voice. No need. Before Morong Fu finished speaking, he was interrupted by Nolan Shiji with a cold snort. Actually, my nephew came here today not to reminisce, but to break off the engagement. Boom. After hearing Nolan Shiji's words, even though Morong Fu had some suspicions, there was still a roaring sound in his mind. Is this what you mean? Is this what your father, Nalanshong, meant? In front of outsiders, being told by a junior that he was going to break off the engagement, Morong Fu looked extremely ugly and asked, suppressing the anger in his heart. He and Nalanshong are close friends. Although we have become a little stranger over the years, we still remember this friendship in our hearts. After all, it was back then. In the 3rd year after Morong Bo's accident, the situation in the city lord's mansion was somewhat unstable. It was Nalanshong's suggestion. Let Morong Qingshe and Nolan Shiji get engaged, in order to announce the alliance between the two families to outsiders, thus stabilizing the status of the Morong family. If the Nolan family wanted to regret it because of Morong Qingshui's accident in recent years, it should be Nalanshong who came and asked him to terminate the engagement in private. Instead of asking a junior to come with the elders of the sect to break off the engagement, and also to explain it so rudely in front of outsiders. This feels like humiliating the Morong family. This is what I mean. Nolan Shiji did not bother to confuse right and wrong, and admitted it very frankly at this moment. This marriage was decided by you two elders when we were still young. I haven't paid much attention to it over the years, but now there are rumors in the outside world that Morong Qingshe has been infected with an unknown disease and has become neither human nor ghost. And as the young master of Tai Sword Sect, how can I marry a monster with red hair? Shut up. Nolan Shiji told the reason without mercy, like a sharp knife piercing Morong Fu's heart. The latter immediately couldn't help but roar. Morong Bo, who was sitting in a wheelchair, turned pale with anger and coughed continuously. Even at this moment, as Morong Fu's voice fell angrily, there was a sound from the corner outside the hall, as if someone fell to the ground. Chapter 47 She. Among the 7 dynasties of the Eastern Wasteland, she can only be said to be a monster. Miss. When Xiao Chen and others looked over, Honger and Chinger looked at Morong Qingshe, who fell to the ground. At this moment, they both let out a panicked exclamation. After Morong Fu left, Morong Qingshe said she wanted to go to the inner courtyard to relax. But who knows? I heard a report from a servant that a man and a woman had posted a call for help notice in the central square, and they were fully confident that they could cure Mr. Morong. Feeling a little curious in her heart, Morong Qingshe quietly came outside the hall, intending to meet this young man and woman. Unexpectedly, Nolan Shiji came to the house to cancel the engagement. After hearing the other party's heart-wrenching words, he mercilessly called her a red-haired monster. Morong Qingshe felt like her heart was twisting in a knife, and she fell to the ground in a daze. Qingshe, Xiaoshui. When Morong Fu and Morong Bo saw Morong Qingshe outside the hall, their expressions changed dramatically at this moment, and even showed a hint of panic. Morong Qingshe wanted to take her own life many times in the past few years because she had become neither human nor ghost. Now I saw Nolan Shiji coming to break off the engagement, trampling on the dignity of the Morong family with his words. And all of this happened because of her. Under the self-blame and guilt in her heart, how could Morong Qingshe still have the thought of living? As this, the rich young lady of the Morong family. Xiao Chen raised his head and looked at his whole body wrapped in a black robe, with only a face with red hair exposed. He looked like a female version of Monkey Sun, but there were still strange red spots on his face, and he couldn't help but have a strange color flash in his eyes. Almost without thinking, I used the identification function. A poor woman whose premature birth resulted in a physical mutation caused the Taiyan Xuanxia body to mutate, causing the original Taiyan energy in her body to condense into red evil yin energy after devouring the essence of yin and moon. Resulting in excessive growth of hair on the body and mutation, its toughness is now comparable to that of some profound rank soldiers. After each hair change, the yin qi in the body will gradually lose control. If after 9 times of alienation, the yin qi invades the soul of the sea of consciousness, it will transform into an irrational yin evil monster. But if the innate deficiency in the physique can be repaired, the Taiyan Xuanxia body will transform into a saint rank physique, and there is a certain chance that it can be cultivated to the peak of the Saint King realm. As pieces of information appeared in front of his eyes, Xiao Chen couldn't help but widen his eyes. Unexpectedly, this young lady, who was regarded as an outlier by ordinary people, turned out to be like this because her body constitution was insufficient and the yin qi in her body was out of control. And the other person's physique. If the pregnancy is complete, it will still be at the saint rank level. You must know that Queen Medusa is a powerful person whose talent and qualifications are only heavenly rank supreme grade. And saint rank physique. This is almost a legendary physique among the 7 dynasties of the Eastern Wasteland. I never thought that Morong Qingshe would have such a physique. Sir, this person's body seems to contain a powerful energy. When Xiao Chen felt shocked, Kayan on the side also sensed something and said to Xiao Chen in a solemn voice. Although she couldn't tell that Morong Qingshe became like this because of the underdevelopment of the sacred body, which caused the original yin energy in the body to lose control. But as a strong person in the celestial human realm, she can also detect the other person's extraordinary abilities. Among the 7 dynasties of the Eastern Wasteland, she can only be said to be a monster. After hearing Kayan's words, Xiao Chen tilted his head slightly and said something meaningful. This made Kayan a little confused. I don't know if Xiao Chen is referring to Morong Qingshui's appearance as a monster, or if he is saying that there is something shocking about him. Is Morong Qingshe. At the moment when the two communicated, Nolan Shiji also saw Morong Qingshe, and couldn't help showing a shocked look on his face. Wearing a black robe, he is covered in red hair and his face is covered with spots. This guy is his fiancé. Ha 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 ha, I thought the rumors were exaggerated, but I didn't expect that my so-called fiancé actually looks like a human being or a ghost. After feeling shocked in his heart, a strong feeling of disgust came over him. At this moment, Nalan Shiji suddenly laughed wildly and looked at Marong Fu and Marong Qingshe angrily. Before coming to Marong's house, I have wondered more than once whether people are just spreading rumors and trying to discredit the Marong family. I didn't expect this to be true. Marong Qingshe really looks like a ghost. Shut up. Hearing Nalan Shiji describe his daughter in this way, Marong Fu couldn't help but burst out in anger again, and the aura of Nirvana's 9th level cultivation also exploded. A blurry figure appeared in front of Nalan Shiji, and a big dick was thrown towards him on the spot. If Marong Qingshe could not think of committing suicide again because of Nalan Shiji today, Nalan Shiji would also have to pay the price. But just at this moment, the old man in gray clothes standing next to Nalan Shiji also snorted and exploded in cultivation at this moment. He stepped forward and punched Marong Fu, the young sect master who wanted to slap their Tai sword sect angrily in front of him, an elder. This undoubtedly did not take him seriously. Boom. The next moment, as fists and palms collided with each other, a sonic boom erupted in the hall. A strong wind swept across like a storm, causing the entire hall to tremble instantly. Fortunately, neither of them acted seriously. Otherwise, the fight between two Nirvana realm experts would be enough to cause the entire council chamber to collapse in an instant. Marong City Master, Shiji is the young sect master of Tai Sword Sect. Do you want to antagonize Tai Sword Sect? After blocking Nalan Shiji's slap, the old man in gray stared at him with cold eyes. Although his cultivation level is a little lower than Marong Fu's, his momentum at this time is not inferior at all, and he even feels like he is overpowering him. After all, even if the Marong family controls the entire Tiandu city, it is still not enough in the eyes of Tai Sword Sect. Because each of those Tai Sword Sect elders can easily destroy the Marong family. If the Marong family didn't want to be destroyed, they wouldn't have the guts to go against Tai Sword Sect. After Marong Fu heard this sentence, he was so angry that he was shaking with anger, and his eyes were about to burst out with anger. However, his remaining sanity still prevented him from going berserk on the spot. Tai Sword Sect. He is indeed someone the Marong family cannot afford to offend. Once the two sides completely turn against each other, the Marong family will suffer a disastrous fate. Roll. After suppressing the anger in his heart, Marong Fu took a deep breath and shouted solemnly. You actually want to whip me? After Marong Fu said this word, Nalan Shiji, who was frightened by the side, finally came to his senses. Thinking of Marong Fu's big cock just now, which was less than 10 centimeters from his face, Nalan Shiji was completely angry at this moment. What's wrong with what this young master said? Marong Qingshe has red spots on her face and red hair all over her body. What qualifications does she have to be worthy of this young master? With the rage in his heart, Nalan Shiji looked directly at Marong Fu and spoke without mercy. As the young master of Tai Sword Sect, I am destined to be the hero of Tai Sword Sect in the future. How could I marry a monster just because of an engagement? Today, the young master of Japan is here to tell you that our Nalan family has annulled this engagement. If you want to get married to our Nalan family, you Marong family are not worthy, and she, Marong Qingshe, is even less worthy. Boom. Hearing what Nalan Shiji said, there was another roar in Marong Fu's mind, and his face turned red and purple with anger at this moment. Marong Bo turned pale with anger and kept coughing while sitting in a wheelchair. He looked like he was going to die suddenly. Even Marong Qingshe, who fell to the ground, had a hint of death in his eyes. I have completely lost my nostalgia for the human world and wish I could leave this world now. Also at this moment, when Marong Fu was furious and wanted to take action again, Xiao Chen's words suddenly rang out. Chapter 48. A toad sits in a well and looks at the sky. Does he know how vast the world is? I didn't want to get involved in your personal affairs, but what you said is really unacceptable. When Marong Fu and others looked over after hearing this, Xiao Chen took a sip of tea and said with a sarcastic voice. If you say that the current status of the Marong family is not worthy of your young sect master, it does make some sense. But if you say that Miss Marong is not worthy of you, then I don't agree with you. With that said, Xiao Chen put down the teacup in his hand and continued in a joking voice. Because in my opinion, the person who doesn't deserve it should be you. After these words, there was a sudden silence in the hall. Everyone looked at Xiao Chen blankly. Even Marong Qingshe looked up, obviously shocked by these words. A young master of Tai sword sect who is handsome and talented. Although the other one is the daughter of the city lord, she looks neither human nor ghost. A discerning person can tell at a glance which one of Nalan Shiji and Murong Qingshe is not worthy of the other. But Xiao Chen said that it was Nalan Shiji who was not worthy of Murong Qingshe. This was simply telling lies. Ha 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 ha, you actually said that this young master is not worthy of this woman. After hearing Xiao Chen's weird remarks, Nalan Shiji was stunned for a moment and then laughed angrily at Xiao Chen. A discerning person can see the problem at a glance. You are actually confusing right and wrong here. Is it possible that you are born to like this kind of alien? Hearing Nalan Shiji's harsh words, Murong Fu clenched his fist tightly again and almost couldn't control himself and wanted to hit Nalan Shiji. However, he was a little curious in his heart as to why Xiao Chen said that, so he held it back after taking a deep breath. After all, Xiao Chen was a capable person who was confident that he could cure Murong Bo well. Could it be possible that the other party had already seen some clues from Murong Qingshui's symptoms? You don't need to know my preferences, you just need to know. I'm just stating the facts. Hearing Nalan Shiji's sarcasm, Xiao Chen didn't get angry and just said with a slight smile. Let's put it this way. The pearls and jade are covered in dust. Even if most people in the world cannot see her brilliance, she is still an existence that the world can only hope for. And dung yellow inlaid with gold, even if it looks bright and beautiful on the outside, it is still a disgusting waste. Xiao Chen didn't put it very bluntly, he just quoted a metaphor. But as long as everyone present is not stupid, they all know who he said is the pearl covered with dust, and who is the stinking dung yellow inlaid with gold. How dare you insult this young master? Nalan Shiji's face turned the color of pig liver when he heard this. He was about to step forward and give Xiao Chen a slap in the face to wake him up, but when he took a step forward, he saw Kai Yan staring at him. After his momentum weakened a bit, he immediately said with a cold snort. This young master has broken through to the first level of spiritual aperture at the age of 18. He can be said to be the top genius in the great Qian dynasty. What qualifications do you have to dare to mock this young master? After saying that, Nalan Shiji immediately burst out with his cultivation aura, and stared at Xiao Chen with overwhelming energy. Although he didn't dare to attack Xiao Chen directly because he was worried about Kaiyan's existence, he definitely couldn't lose in terms of momentum. With his impressive cultivation performance, he is enough to successfully attack the opponent's Taoist heart. At the age of 18, after cultivating to the first level of the spiritual aperture realm, can you be proud of the great Qian dynasty? Then I have reached the 7th level of spiritual aperture before I am 18 years old. Can I be proud of the eastern wilderness? Seeing that Nalan Shiji was like an epileptic dog in heat, he couldn't wait to show him his power. Xiao Chen stood up with a sneer at this time, and his cultivation aura exploded. The powerful aura of the 7th level of spiritual aperture instantly defeated Nalan Shiji's momentum. Nalan Shiji's pupils shrank violently, and everyone present was shocked. No, impossible. How is it possible that someone under the age of 18 can cultivate to the 7th level of spiritual aperture? This is absolutely impossible. Feeling Xiao Chen's aura that could crush him, Nalan Shiji shouted in disbelief. He possesses heavenly rank middle grade martial Dao talent, but he is the top talent in the wilderness. How could there be someone more evil than him? When a toad sits in a well and looks at the sky, how can he know how vast the world is? So don't use your limited knowledge to directly deny the meaning of other people's existence. Seeing Nalan Shiji being hit, Xiao Chen restrained his aura with disdain. In your opinion, Miss Murong is an alien who is neither a human nor a ghost, but how could you know that underneath this seemingly ugly appearance, there is also a beautiful face that will captivate the entire country? Even regardless of her real appearance, just her talent of martial Dao can make you unmatched. Boom. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Murong Fu, Murong Bo and others felt like there was a roar in their minds. He looked at Xiao Chen in disbelief, as if he had realized something, and his body was trembling at this moment. Mr. Xiao, could it be that you saw my daughter's illness? After this trembling question, Murong Qingshe stood up outside the hall and looked at Xiao Chen with equally trembling eyes. All these years, everyone in the world thinks that she is an alien, a monster that is neither human nor ghost. Even she thinks so. But I didn't expect it today. When she was hit by the breakup of her engagement and had a desire to die, she found a strange man. Stand up and say that she is a jewel in the dust. Under this seemingly ugly appearance, there is a charming face. Even her body, which gets sick from time to time, still has the talent to stand out from ordinary people. Good. Xiao Chen nodded when he heard this and said calmly. Miss Morong's symptoms are caused by insufficient innate and her own constitution is too strong, causing the original yin energy in her body to lose control, which is why she is like this now. If I'm not mistaken, Miss Morong has gone through 8 sheddings and often loses control during the full moon. I even often experience colic in my dantian, and every time I have an attack, I feel excruciatingly painful. These words, Nalan Shiji and the old man in gray were confused, but the bodies of Morong Fu and Morong Bo, father and son, were shaking even more violently. Even Morong Qingshui himself was in disbelief. All right. The hair on Morong Qingshui's body did fall off on its own, and then grew back again, 8 times. Even Alchemy King Ji Yu Qinghe couldn't see this. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen just sat in the hall and glanced at Morong Qingshui outside the hall, and was able to explain all the symptoms correctly. Could it be that Mr. Xiao is the descendant of a certain medical saint? Since Mr. Xiao has noticed my daughter's symptoms, I wonder if Mr. Xiao is there any way to cure her? When he was feeling shocked in his heart, Morong Fu walked up to Xiao Chen and asked this sentence in a trembling voice. It's still what I said just now. Miss Morong's symptoms may seem incomprehensible to ordinary people, but to me it's just a trivial matter. But the premise is that the conditions I proposed, your Morong family. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this and said calmly. And he hasn't finished speaking yet. After Morong Fu's pupils contracted violently, he knelt down on the ground with a pop. Chapter 49. When pretending to be cool in front of others, you have to act decently. If young Master Xiao can take action to cure the little girl, Morong Fu is willing to follow the young master in this life and offer all the heritage of the Morong family. This statement, I swear to heaven with my Taoist heart. If I, Morong Fu, break my promise, I will go crazy and die. Boom. After these words fell, it was like a thunderbolt from the blue. It seemed as if heaven and earth were feeling something at this moment. Nalan Shiji and the old man in gray looked at Morong Fu with shock on their faces. Obviously, he didn't expect that Morong Fu would not only give up his family's heritage for Morong Qingshui, but also swear to follow him to death. This makes them feel a little unbelievable. After all, human nature is selfish. Even blood relatives would not be stupid enough to give selflessly in this cruel world. As the city lord of Tiandu City, Morong Fu has reached the 9th level of nirvana. He can be considered a respectable person in the Guangzhou area. It is simply stupid to be so humble and even give everything for heir. It's better to go back and find a woman and give birth to another child, than to have nothing and become a servant. Daddy. While Nalan Shiji and the old man in gray were puzzled, Morong Qingshui looked at Morong Fu who was kneeling down, tears already filling his eyes. She knew that Morong Fu loved her daughter very much, but she never expected that he would be willing to give up everything and become a servant for her. Is this a close relative? Ahem. Master Xiao. I wonder if I can transfer this opportunity that you.ahem.to take action for me to Xiaoshui. While Morong Qingshui was shaking in her heart, Morong Bo, who was paralyzed in a wheelchair, coughed and begged at this moment. With the current conditions of the Morong family, it would be difficult for Xiao Chen to take action twice. Even if Morong Fu knelt down and offered to be a slave, it would not have much effect. After all, Xiao Chen is followed by powerful men from the universal truth realm. Although Morong Fu has the cultivation of Nirvana 9th level, he is still dispensable to Xiao Chen. Therefore, if there was only one chance to take action, he was willing to give it to his granddaughter Morong Qingshui. Young people are the future of the family. These words shocked Nalan Shiji and the old man in gray again. There are still people who give up hope and take the initiative to give opportunities to others. Is this old guy confused? And Morong Qingshui heard what Morong Bo said. The tears that originally filled my eyes were like bursting from a dam at this moment, and I burst into tears on the spot. She always wanted to die. But these two relatives around her can give everything for her. In comparison, she seemed very ignorant and a little sorry for these two people. Get up. When Morong Qingshui felt guilty, Xiao Chen smiled lightly and said to Morong Fu. For the sake of your Morong family's sincerity, I will treat this as a buy one get one free deal. I can do it for you twice and only charge you one reward. Look at this situation now. With the Morong family under control, it was completely reasonable to treat Morong Qingshui again. Thank you, Mr. Xiao. Hearing that Xiao Chen planned to heal the two of them, Morong Fu and Morong Bo burst into tears of gratitude and almost kowtowed to Xiao Chen. Haha, even the alchemy king Ji Yu Qinghe can't handle the symptoms of the two of them. How can you, a brat, do this? Just when Marong Fu and others were filled with gratitude, Nalan Shiji's voice also sounded with a sneer. Seeing that Xiao Chen is similar in age to him, he is not only stronger than him in cultivation. Now being able to be so prominent in the Marong family made him feel a strong sense of jealousy. If Xiao Chen really had the ability to cure these two people, wouldn't the other person's medical attainments be even better than that of Alchemy King? When he thought of this, Nalan Shiji felt like there were countless ants crawling all over his body. If he didn't question her at this time, he would be sorry for the jealousy in his heart. Nalan Shiji, please get out of Marong's house quickly, Mr. Xiao. It's not your turn to question. Xiao Chen didn't say anything after hearing this. Marong Fu stood up and stared at Nalan Shiji with a stern look, scolding him mercilessly. If he wasn't afraid of the old man in gray and had Tai sword sect to support him, he would really want to kill Nalan Shiji. It doesn't matter. He's just a clown. There's no need to get so angry. Seeing Marong Fu trying to kick Nalan Shiji out, Xiao Chen raised his hand to stop him and his eyes fell on Nalan Shiji teasingly. Don't you think Miss Marong is not worthy of you? Next, I will let you see clearly what kind of person the person you want to break off the engagement is. After saying these two sentences with a sneer, Xiao Chen came to Marong Qingshe. Miss Marong, next I will help you make up for your innate deficiency, but you may feel a little pain when your body undergoes transformation. What? After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Marong Fu, Nalan Shiji and others were suddenly startled, looking at Xiao Chen in disbelief. Listen to what Xiao Chen said. It seemed that he wanted to cure Marong Qingshe directly in front of everyone. And this process doesn't seem to take too long. Marong Qingshe, on the other hand, looked at Xiao Chen blankly, her eyes unable to help but fluctuate violently at this moment. She didn't see any disgust in Xiao Chen's eyes, only a touch of appreciation and encouragement. This look made her feel recognized by outsiders, and her cold heart couldn't help but tremble. I will bear it. After feeling a strange feeling in her heart, Marong Qingshe lowered her head humbly, and then responded with a firm voice. She actually felt shy. It's a pity that she is a strange person. She looks like a ghost, and she doesn't even have the courage to look at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen didn't know what Marong Qingshe was thinking at this time. After hearing the other party's answer, he nodded and burst into cultivation, with runes surrounding him. Xiao Chen raised his hand and pointed at Marong Qingshe, looking like a master. Now it's time to show off in front of others. And to pretend to be a medical expert, the show must be done in a decent way. Maybe after this name is given out, many high-level strong men will be injured in the future, and they will cry and kneel down to beg him. After all, a medical expert who can treat high-level powerful people can be a life-saving talisman to a certain extent. This is also the reason why many medical experts have a high status. I don't believe in the pretense. Even the alchemy king Ji Yu Qinghe can't deal with this guy. This kid can easily deal with it with a few clicks. Watching Xiao Chen look around at the runes, he randomly clicked on Marong Qingshe. Nalan Shiji's eyes were disdainful, and he said with a sneer in his words. If this kid messes up next, he will not only have to bear the anger of the Marong family, but also his ridicule and attacks. System, repair Marong Qingshui's physique. While pointing his finger at Marong Qingshui's heart, Xiao Chen also gave instructions to the system at this time. Ding! The system has deducted 112,000 points and started to repair the character Marong Qingshui's physique. Xiao Chen couldn't help but widen his eyes when he heard this. It's a saint rank level physique. Just to make up for some innate deficiencies, it costs more than 110,000 points. From this you can imagine. After Marong Qingshui's physique returned to normal, how talented was she? Chapter 50. You despise people when they are ugly, but you are unworthy of people when they are beautiful. Buzz. When Xiao Chen felt surprised in his heart, a dazzling white light shone out. One rune after another, together with the dazzling white light, sank into Marong Qingshui's body, causing the other party to scream in pain. Immediately afterwards, under the illumination of this white light, Marong Qingshui's physical defects were quickly repaired at this moment. The ugly red spots on her face quickly disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even the hair all over the body quickly softens and falls off at this moment after the yin qi returns to the inner dantian. Then, along the loose black robe, it fell under Marong Qingshe. In just a few moments, as Xiao Chen closed his palm, Marong Qingshe stopped trembling. A face with exquisite and picturesque features, like a fairy who has been banished to the mortal world, is also presented to everyone at this time. Murong Qingshui's image. There is a purple one at the back. I won't release it until I write it down. And Murong Qingshui's cultivation level. Under the feedback of these yin qi, it soared at an exaggerated speed. In less than a dozen breaths, he directly crossed the level of Kaiyuan realm, and finally stabilized in the second level of spiritual aperture realm. Such an incredible change immediately made everyone in the hall feel like there was a roar in their minds. Each of the pupils almost exploded on the spot, looking at Murong Qingshui in disbelief. Looking at this beautiful and picturesque face, Nalan Shiji felt like his head was going to explode. Even the mouth can be opened infinitely, enough to swallow 3 kun eggs. When Xiao Chen said before that Murong Qingshui was so beautiful, he despised him as a fool more than once in his heart. But at this moment, I saw that the red spots on Murong Qingshui's face disappeared, and all the red hair on his body faded away, revealing his true appearance. Only then did he know. It turns out he is the real idiot. Such a peerless face. In addition to the little junior sister who made him drool, Murong Qingshui was another woman who made him drool. And most importantly, the other party made up for the lack of innate and activated his physique, which actually caused his cultivation to soar to the second level of spiritual aperture, even a small level stronger than him. With such talent and qualifications, if he can grow up in the future, he will definitely be a celestial human realm powerhouse. With a flawless face and such a transcendent talent, Murong Qingshui is a perfect match for him. When I feel shocked inside, Nalan Shiji's breathing became more rapid, and looking at Murong Qingshui became more and more intense. Qingshui.is this really Qingshui? Seeing Murong Qingshui who had completed his transformation in front of him, Murong Fu was dumbfounded and couldn't believe his eyes. The whole person walked up to Murong Qingshui while murmuring words. He stretched out his hand to touch this beautiful face, but was afraid that it was just an illusion in his eyes. After being stunned for a moment, he suddenly withdrew his right hand and slapped himself hard. Ha 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 ha, it hurts. It's true. Qingshui is finally back to normal. Feeling the pain on his face, Murong Fu suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed wildly, then knelt down in front of Xiao Chen. Murong Fu thanks Mr. Xiao for his great kindness. Not only did he restore Murong Qingshui's original appearance with a raise of his hand, but he also made the opponent's cultivation skyrocket to the spiritual aperture realm. For Murong Qingshui, this is tantamount to reincarnation of kindness. I recovered. Seeing Nalan Shiji's shocked and burning expression, and Murong Bo sitting in a wheelchair crying, even her father Murong Fu looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Murong Qingshui felt a hint of coolness on her face and couldn't help but reach out and touch her face and neck. In the past, she could reach out and touch a pile of hair, but now she felt a piece of pink brilliance, as if she was stroking a piece of ice silk satin. This made her body tremble violently, and her pupils couldn't help but expand rapidly after shrinking violently. It also made her realize an unbelievable fact. That is, she has no hair on her body. For a moment, a kind of sadness that she had never felt before suddenly came to her heart, making her face burst into tears. I never thought that after being treated as a monster for so many years, she would one day return to normal. And all this, it's all thanks to the young man in front of me. My little girl Murong Qingshui. Thanks Mr. Xiao for his great kindness. Feeling sad and complicated in her heart, Murong Qingshui also knelt down and knelt down. Once, her world was dark, but now, someone lights up her world. And this person, regardless of whether he is high or low, whether he is good or evil. From now on, Murong Qingshui is everything to her, and he is also the person she cannot live up to in this life. Everyone, get up. You don't have to kneel down so easily. Seeing Murong Fu and Murong Qingshui like this, Xiao Chen smiled lightly and said. However, the look in Murong Qingshui's eyes couldn't help but bring a touch of surprise. Such beautiful facial features. I am afraid that only the veiled Kayan behind him can compete with Murong Qingshui at this time. How about it? Do you recognize the truth now? After Murong Fu and Murong Qingshui stood up, Xiao Chen looked at Nalan Shiji teasingly. When Nalan Shiji heard Xiao Chen's question, his face turned the color of pig liver at this moment. I wanted to say something to refute Xiao Chen, but I couldn't find any excuse at this time. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen's methods were so amazing that even alchemy King Ji Yu Qinghe couldn't solve difficult and complicated diseases. It was unexpectedly solved by this kid. But how could such a proud person like him be crushed by others? When the thought falls, he glanced at Murong Qingshui and Murong Fu, and a sincere smile appeared on his face at this moment. Uncle Murong, Nalan Shi's nephew was ignorant of golden jade, so he attacked Uncle Murong in public. I also ask Uncle Marong to be a gentleman and not remember the faults of a villain, and don't treat me like a junior like me. After speaking kindly to Marong Fu, Nalan Shiji also revealed his purpose at this time. Since Sister Qingshe has received help from noble people and is now able to get rid of her illness and regain her appearance, I, Nalan Shiji, am not someone who started in chaos but never gave up. When I return to Tai Sword Sect tomorrow, I will ask my master to tell the major forces of the Great Qian dynasty to marry Sister Qingshe at Tai Sword Sect in 7 days. You can be considered worthy of the engagement my father and Uncle Marong made back then. Hearing what Nalan Shiji said, not only Marong Fu and Marong Qingshui's eyes widened, but even Xiao Chen looked over in surprise. First, he came to forcefully break off the engagement, but now that he saw Marong Qingshui's true appearance and the other person's talent, he was indeed a monster. In a few sentences, the previous incident was revealed, and the name of Tai Sword Sect leader was directly mentioned. Are you planning to overpower the Marong family and force them to fulfill their engagement? Do you want to forcefully marry Marong Qingshe? I really have seen shameless people, but I have never seen such shameless people. Roll. Upon hearing Nalan Shiji's words, Marong Fu immediately shouted loudly. You were mean and humiliated my daughter just now, but now you want to lick her pussy and marry her. Even if my daughter is a widow for the rest of her life, she will never have anything to do with a villain like you. Marong Qingshe, who was on the side, did not say anything, but her expression was indifferent. If Nalan Shiji came to visit her today, she might feel a little inferior and happy in her heart, and she would also identify more with her fiancé. But today's thing, let her see Nalan Shiji's face clearly, which made her sick to the point of nauseating. Master Nalan, after what you said to my father just now, I, Marong Qingshe, have nothing to do with you in this life. From now on, Qingshe plans to follow Mr. Xiao as a slave, so please don't say these misleading words. Marong Qingshe said coldly when she felt disgusted in her heart. You despise people when they are ugly, but you are unworthy of people when they are beautiful. She Marong Qingshe. From now on, even if I become a slave girl next to Mr. Xiao, bringing him tea and water to warm his bed every day, she will not be associated with this kind of scum. Chapter 51. With Marong Qingshui's current appearance, there really is a little hope. Being ruthlessly rejected by Marong Fu and Marong Qingshe, Nalan Shiji's face instantly turned extremely ugly. He looked at the two of them with some resentment. How dare you reject this young master? Taking a deep breath to suppress the anger in his heart, Nalan Shigan stared at Marong Fu and Marong Qingshe suddenly. You must know that this young master is not only the young patriarch of the Nalan family, but also the young patriarch of the Tai Sword Sect. He represents two major forces behind his back. Do you, the Marong family, want to be so unkind to you because you want to antagonize these two powerful forces? After saying that, Nalan Shiji showed a trace of morbid possessiveness on his face, stared at Marong Qingshe with burning eyes, and continued to add in a solemn voice. Continue to fulfill the engagement and let Sister Qingshe marry this young master. These major forces can still live in peace. Otherwise, once my master and grandfather are really angry, the situation of the Marong family will be difficult to predict. Senran's words did not conceal the threat at all. Stimulated by being slapped in the face and possessive, Nalan Shiji had no lower limit at this time. There was just one thought in his mind. He must get Marong Qingshe, press her under him and train her hard, and finally completely transform into his shape. This way, only in this way can he wash away the shame of being rejected in public and give his self-esteem some comfort. Roll. After hearing what Nalan Shiji said, Marong Fu, who had always had a good temper, finally couldn't bear it anymore. Amidst the roar, his cultivation aura suddenly exploded, and he stared at Nalan Shiji coldly. From today on, my Marong family and your Nalan family will sever all ties with each other. If you dare to threaten me again, I won't mind killing you on the spot in front of him. After finishing this sentence, Marong Fu raised his hand and clapped his hand, and his true energy blasted out like a torrent. Marong Fu, how dare you? After seeing that Marong Fu's palm did not hold back at all, the old man in gray roared with cultivation, and raised his hand to meet Marong Fu's palm. Boom! The next moment, with the explosion of roar, the floor of the hall burst on the spot. Under a terrible shock, Xiao Chen, Marong Qingshe and others were all forced back. Some tables and chairs were shattered into pieces on the spot. Nalan Shiji and the old man in gray were blasted out of the hall on the spot by this palm strike. Old man, you dare to take action against me. Your Marong family is in trouble. After stabilizing himself with a look of shock on his face, Nalan Shiji roared angrily. Ever since he was young, he has been a star among the stars, especially after being accepted as a disciple by the master of the Tai Sword sect. In this 3/3 of an acre of land in Guangzhou, even some local city lords had to act based on his expression. Who would have thought that Marong Fu, an old man, would be so shameless that he would even dare to attack him? Walk. Seeing Nalan Shiji being so angry that he was uttering cruel words without knowing whether he was alive or not, wasn't this just looking for excitement? The old man in gray frowned slightly, grabbed Nalan Shiji and jumped away. Although Tai Sword sect is not afraid of the Marong family, but over a marriage, he completely broke up with a local city lord and went to war. This is obviously impossible. After all, Tai Sword sect is also a big force with a good reputation. It is impossible for them to go to war with other forces in a big way just because of the junior's personal affairs. And still without being reasonable. After watching the old man in gray clothes take Nalan Shiji away with a disgraced look on his face, Marong Fu's expression softened a little. Young master is just kidding. He turned around and hugged Xiao Chen. Marong Fu immediately took off the space ring on his hand, wiped off the soul mark and handed it directly to Xiao Chen. It contains not only my life savings, but also the purple pill of restoration that the young master needs. Now they all belong to the young master. Although Xiao Chen has not yet taken action to cure Marong Bo at this time, it does not hinder Marong Fu's trust and gratitude towards Xiao Chen. In less than an hour of contact, he was completely impressed by Xiao Chen. He obviously possesses heaven-defying medical skills and has extraordinary talents and qualifications, but his character is neither humble nor arrogant, neither arrogant nor arrogant. Compared with this idiot Nalan Shiji, he is as big as heaven and earth. If the person Marong Qingshe entrusts with his life is a handsome and outstanding man like Xiao Chen, his old father will be able to rest in peace even if he dies. Thinking of this, Marong Fu thought of Marong Qingshui's words, and a strange color appeared in his eyes. Perhaps, with Marong Qingshui's current appearance, there really is some hope. Between thoughts, Marong Fu looked at his daughter, only to find that Marong Qingshe was secretly looking at Xiao Chen, her eyes flickering as if she was a little shy. This made his eyes brighter. This looks interesting. At the same time, Marong Qingshe saw her father looking at her strangely. The whole person was startled on the spot and quickly turned his head with a look of shame. A blush spread from her face to her neck. She didn't expect that her father would catch her peeking at Mr. Xiao. This situation would be too embarrassing. Xiao Chen didn't know about the two people's little moves at this time. Nothing artificial at all. After taking the Naji from Marong Fu, Xiao Chen immediately checked it. Follow the soul thought to explore into the Naji. The first thing that caught the eye was a hill made of spiritual crystals, the number of which was estimated to be at least 1 million. Secondly, there are various treasures suspended around the spiritual crystal hill. Among them are not only divine ability, elixirs and mysterious weapons, spirit medicine beast cores, but also some precious monster corpse materials. If all these things are added up, they should be worth 1 or 2 million spiritual crystals. And most importantly, Xiao Chen found a sealed purple elixir in one of the elixir bottles. Resurrection Purple Pill, a panacea whose value can be worth all the resources in this ring, is also the goal of his trip. Now this elixir is finally in hand. With this elixir and these resources, it is enough for Cayenne to return to her peak cultivation level. By then, with the protection of a strong man in the 9th level of heaven and man, he could almost walk sideways in the deserted state. But before that, let's help old Mr. Marong recover from his injuries. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen withdrew his soul thought from the space ring, and his eyes fell on Marong Bo in the wheelchair. Mr. Marong, next. I will help you stand up again. Thank you, Mr. Xiao. Cough cough cough. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Marong Fu and Marong Qingshe were ecstatic, and even Marong Bo himself was so excited that he thanked him. Xiao Chen nodded when he heard this and didn't say any more nonsense at this time. Immediately, he clasped his hands together and pinched out a series of seals again, and the vast Junyuan turned into countless runes surrounding the surroundings. After some random operations, Xiao Chen pointed at Marong Bo and at the same time issued repair instructions to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 23,000 points and is repairing the injury of the character Marong Bo. As expected of a Universal Truth Realm powerhouse, it cost more than 20,000 points to completely repair the injuries on his body. Hearing the system beep, Xiao Chen's face showed a strange color, but he didn't feel distressed at this time. After all, he earned more than just these points today. Next, he helped Morong Bo repair his old injuries and hidden diseases. He even wanted to help him restore his cultivation. After all, the Morong family has been impressed by him now. If they can help Morong Bo recover his cultivation, there will be another strong man behind him. This is definitely a guaranteed profit. Chapter 52. You must dedicate yourself to Mr. Xiao and become the beauty next to him. Seeing Xiao Chen using his medical skills again, everyone held their breath for fear of disturbing Xiao Chen's spell casting. Only Kaiyan showed a hint of doubt, and then her expression became a little solemn. He remembered that Xiao Chen didn't seem to use any of these fancy seal techniques when he was repairing Xiao Zan's injuries. It seems that this old guy was seriously injured, and he was able to let the young master use his hand seals. And with the flash of white light, it exploded. Morong Bo felt as if his whole body was soaking in a spring of life, and all the damaged and exhausted body functions were revived and revitalized at this time. This feeling almost made him moan, but fortunately he resisted the urge to speak. A handful of years. It's not good to scare young Master Xiao. It didn't take long for Xiao Chen to retract his palm and all the runes on his body were restrained. Okay, how do you feel? Looking at Morong Bo who was more than 10 years younger in front of him, Xiao Chen asked with a faint smile. Hiss. Okay, everything is really healed. I felt that my body was breathing unusually smoothly, with no urge to cough at all, and even my lower body had regained consciousness. Morong Bo's eyes widened at this moment, and he immediately stood up and moved his body. Ha ha ha, I, Morong Bo, can finally stand up again. After feeling the long-lost earth, Morong Bo immediately looked up to the sky and laughed wildly, kneeling heavily in front of Xiao Chen. Old man Morong Bo, thank you Mr. Xiao for your great kindness. Morong Fu and Morong Qingshe saw their elders knelt down and thanked them. At this time, he didn't even dare to stand, so he immediately knelt down towards Xiao Chen. Hey, why are you all kneeling down again? Seeing this scene in front of him, Xiao Chen felt a little headache. This family was too polite. They knelt down to him at every turn, which made him uncomfortable. After all, he made no effort at all, just made a few random gestures, and left the rest to the system. Nowadays, resources have been greatly profited, and even the reputation has been fully profited. So he was already very satisfied with this trip and didn't need to enjoy too much kneeling. Now that your injuries have fully recovered, you just need to return to your previous cultivation level. After signaling Morong Bo and others to stand up, Xiao Chen continued with a faint smile. Next, I will find a way to smelt a soul resurrection purple pill, which should be able to help you restore your previous cultivation. When seeing the purple pill of restoration, a bold idea came to his mind, but he didn't know yet whether it would work. If that works, he should be able to get a lot of soul resurrection purple pills, and there is no harm in taking one out to help Morong Bo recover his cultivation. What? After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Morong Bo, Morong Fu and others showed a look of shock on their faces. Obviously he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Xiao Chen helped them twice, which was already a huge kindness, and now he plans to help Morong Bo recover his cultivation. What kind of virtues and talents does the Morong family have that makes it worth Xiao Chen's sacrifice for them? Don't get too excited first. This is just my idea. You have to wait for me to verify it. If it doesn't work, then Mr. Morong's cultivation will have to wait until later to recover. Seeing Morong Bo and others trembling with excitement, they looked like they were going to kneel down in front of him again. Xiao Chen waved his hand at this time and vaccinated several people first. Young Master Xiao has such a heart. It is already a great blessing. How dare we force it? Morong Bo waved his hand after hearing this and said with a grateful expression. If Xiao Chen hadn't appeared today, I'm afraid he would have been reduced to a cold corpse in less than 3 days. As for Morong Qingshe, this child was divorced by Nalan Shiji. From now on, I will definitely feel despair, and I will probably kill myself. Even Morong Fu might be in trouble in the future if he lost 2 close relatives one after another. Therefore, Xiao Chen's appearance today will not only save him, but also the entire Morong family. Well, help me prepare a quieter room. Next, I want to test the idea. Xiao Chen nodded when he heard this and didn't say any more polite words. After explaining to Morong Bo and others, under the arrangement of the other party, they came to the wing in the courtyard next to Morong Qingshe. Kaiyan didn't say anything. After taking a look at Morong Qingshe, she twisted her waist to follow Xiao Chen. If she didn't feel wrong, This is another slut who is infatuated with Mr. Xiao, and is probably the sister she will get along with in the future. Mr. Xiao is so outstanding. I had only been out for 2 or 3 days when I was targeted by a nymphomaniac. It seems that if she doesn't seize the opportunity, she will be ranked very low in the future. When the thoughts emerged in her mind, Kyan looked at Xiao Chen's back and her eyes couldn't help but flicker. Ahem, you've gone far, are you still looking? Watching Xiao Chen and Kai Yan disappear around the corner, Morong Bo looked at Morong Qingshe, who looked infatuated, and couldn't help but coughed and joked at this moment. Grandpa, what are you talking about? After hearing Morong Bo's words, Morong Qingshe was startled, and only then did she come to her senses. Her pretty face immediately turned red with embarrassment, and she spoke in a sultry voice. Ha ha ha, Grandpa has lived this long, how can he not see that you are tempted? Seeing Morong Qingshui's rare expression, Morong Bo couldn't help but laugh out loud. Master Xiao is a rare and amazing talent. If you like him, you must take advantage of him. After all, my Xiao Shui is also a great beauty now, no worse than anyone else. But Mr. Xiao already has such an outstanding beauty beside him, how could he still like me, a little girl? Hearing Morong Bo's seemingly teasing encouragement, Morong Qingshe couldn't help lowering her head and said with a somewhat inferior tone. Although Kyan was veiled and didn't say anything. But also as a woman. She could feel that this was a stunning beauty whose appearance was not inferior to hers. Moreover, the opponent's cultivation level is much higher than hers, and he even has a temperament that she can't compare with, just like a true superior. Such an outstanding woman is worthy of Mr. Xiao. How could someone like her, who had transformed from an ugly creature, be qualified to be worthy of Mr. Xiao? Silly girl, you have to strive for happiness by yourself. If you like it, just chase it boldly. A man as elegant and extraordinary as Mr. Xiao, who possesses extraordinary abilities, will rarely be pursued by beautiful women in the future. If you don't have the courage to try to stand by his side, you may not even have the courage to get close to him in the future. As if he could see that Morong Qingshe still had a low self-esteem and could not get over the shadow of being an alien in the past, Morong Bo reached out and patted Morong Qingshe on the shoulder. You are no worse than anyone else now, you just lack confidence. And human life is short, so you might as well be bold and chase one person across a mountain. But don't let yourself leave any regrets. Grandpa will always support you behind you. Grandfather. After hearing Morong Bo's words, Morong Qingshui's body trembled, and she raised her head and her eyes were a little red. Unexpectedly, her passion for a man would actually receive support from her elders. This was unimaginable before. Morong Fu, who was on the side, turned a little red after seeing this. Such a heartwarming scene. If Morong Qingshui's mother saw this, she would probably feel very relieved at this time. And you brat, what do you mean by holding your tongue and not speaking? You don't support your daughter chasing Mr. Xiao. Before Morong Fu could sigh with emotion for long, he suddenly received a slap on the forehead. Look up. Seeing Morong Bo blowing his beard and staring at him made his head feel a little buzzing. If you hadn't been drunk and arranged a bastard marriage for Qingshe, how would my Xiao Shui be wrong today? Xiao Shui's happiness will be in her own hands from now on. If you kiddos something else, do you think I will break your legs? Seeing Morong Fu, the city lord, being taught like a child by Morong Bo. The corners of Morong Qingshui's mouth couldn't help but lift slightly, revealing a charming smile. The Morong family has really changed, becoming more energetic and festive than before. This person was given by Mr. Xiao, so in this life she must not let him down. After her expression gradually became cheerful, Morong Qingshe also made up her mind. You must dedicate yourself to Mr. Xiao and become the beauty beside him. Chapter 53. Why are you looking at me like that? The other side. After walking into the side room, Xiao Chen ignored Kyan, who followed him, and immediately sat down cross-legged and took out the soul-reviving purple pill. Then used the identification function directly. A rank 7 low-grade fulling purple pill contains many impurities, and the potency of the integrated union is not perfect. Due to the long storage time and improper sealing technique, nearly 40% of the medicinal power has been lost. The current potency of the medicine can restore the injured high-level powerhouse to the first level of universal truth. It is indeed a defective product. Looking at the properties of this elixir, Xiao Chen immediately shook his head. The medicine had lost 40% of its potency and contained many impurities. It was worse than he expected. However, even if this elixir is a bit rubbish, if it is put up for auction outside, Without 1 or 2 million spiritual crystals, it would be impossible to get it. This is why things are rare and valuable. The system, as long as the item is in a damaged state, you can restore it to its complete form by consuming points. After appraising the resurrection purple pill, Xiao Chen asked abruptly. Ding. As long as the remaining part of the item reaches 100% of its complete form, the system can be restored to completeness. Except for soul consciousness and divine ability. After Xiao Chen asked, the system replied mechanically. This made Xiao Chen's eyes instantly brighten. Hiss. 1%. Xiao Chen took a deep breath, suppressed the urge to shout that the system was awesome, and looked at Fu Ling Zidan with burning eyes. Immediately afterwards, spiritual sense covered it, and the cultivation level exploded at this moment. The strands of true qi were like indestructible hair, directly dividing the soul resurrection purple pill in front of me into 100 parts. This is what he was thinking just now. Since the system can repair incomplete things, is it possible to divide the complete things and then consume system points to restore them to integrity? In this way, he can get many of the same products, and he can also upgrade the products. I never thought that this idea could really be realized. Master. Kaiyan felt a little confused when she saw Xiao Chen's sudden burst of cultivation and directly split the resurrection purple pill. Even if the resurrection purple pill is a little bit off, there seems to be no need to destroy the pill, right? Could it be that young master is going to perform some unprecedented refining technique? As the thoughts in her mind turned around, Kaiyan seemed to have thought of something, but she held back her words at this moment. He just stared at Xiao Chen with burning eyes, fearing that he would miss some wonderful details. System, repair this fragment of the resurrection purple pill completely. In Kaiyan's confused and guessing eyes, Xiao Chen then put away the fragments of the resurrection purple pill, keeping only one of them for repair. Ding. The system has deducted 20,000 points and is repairing the resurrection purple pill for the host. Almost as Xiao Chen finished speaking, the system prompt sounded suddenly, which made Xiao Chen couldn't help but widen his eyes. Hiss. I actually want 20,000 points. Buzz. Almost when Xiao Chen was shocked, a dazzling white light burst out. Immediately afterwards, in a burst of purple light, a brand new soul resurrection purple pill also appeared in front of Xiao Chen's eyes. Young master, you actually used a piece of pill fragment to melt a new pill out of thin air. When Kaiyan on the side saw this scene, even though she was a celestial human realm expert, she was almost fainted by Xiao Chen. This method of creating something almost out of thin air was beyond her scope of cognition. If she hadn't still had a little bit of concentration, she would have knelt down on the spot and licked Xiao Chen wildly. This is simply a method like that of an immortal, even the supreme great emperor is nothing more than this. System, how many points does it cost to repair a pill? Xiao Chen ignored Kaiyan's flushed face with excitement, and instead asked the system this deceptive question in his heart. Ding. The points consumed by the system are all measured based on the grade of the target item and its degree of damage. The higher the quality level, the higher the degree of damage, and the more points consumed. When Xiao Chen looked pained, the system replied mechanically. Fine. After Xiao Chen was silent for a while, he also figured out the key points. Divide a whole thing into 100 parts, take out one part, and restore it to wholeness. There is almost no big difference between this approach and re-refining. Just like when Marongbo was repaired before, the other party's cultivation had reached the second level of universal truth and had reached the point where the oil lamp was exhausted. Recovering all the opponent's injuries and illnesses is equivalent to forging it all over again. So I spent more than 20,000 points before. Although the consumption cost is a bit high, this operation is still abnormal. Looking at the resurrection purple pill in his hand, the scent of the medicine was much stronger than before, and Xiao Chen showed a look of satisfaction on his face. This elixir should be able to restore the injured high-level power to the second level of universal truth. However, if Kaiyan wants to return to the 9th level of heaven and human realm, rank 7's low-grade restoration purple pill won't work. System, upgrade this soul resurrection purple pill to rank 8 supreme grade. After pondering for a while, Xiao Chen ordered to the system, formed a series of seals with his hands, and then clicked on the elixir. Ding. The system has deducted 32,000 points and is upgrading the resurrection purple pill for the host. As the system prompt tone fell, the dazzling white light shined again. The originally dim resurrection purple pill burst into bright purple light. Pill patterns were like spider webs, and they condensed on the pill in an instant. Vast medicinal power fluctuates, sweeping away like a tsunami. Kaiyan's eyes widened with a look of horror. This turned out to be a rank 8 supreme grade elixir, infinitely close to the saint rank treasure. This is almost a legendary item among the 7 dynasties of the Eastern Wasteland. Once it appears in this world, it will shock the entire Eastern Wasteland and cause many celestial human realm powerhouses to fight. Unexpectedly, she could actually witness the birth of the rank 8 supreme grade elixir. What's even more outrageous is, this rank 8 supreme grade elixir was randomly refined by Xiao Chen. Although Kayan has never seen any saint rank alchemist, but she had a strong intuition that even the saint rank master of alchemy still couldn't do what Xiao Chen was like. Young master, it's really shocking. The rank 8 supreme grade elixir is equivalent to heavenly rank supreme grade. It only consumes 32,000 points, which is still within the acceptable range. Looking at the rank 8 supreme grade resurrection purple pill in front of me, which is enough to make the world go crazy. Xiao Chen's expression didn't fluctuate much. After muttering something, he waved the pill to Kai Yan. Here, this rank 8 supreme grade resurrection purple pill should restore you to your peak cultivation level. That kind of casual look, as if the rank 8 supreme grade elixir in front of me is just a jelly bean used to coax children. This made Kayan stunned on the spot. She still remembered that when her cultivation reached the 9th level of universal truth, in order to perfectly break through to the celestial human realm, she fought with a group of strong human beings for 3 days and 3 nights before she snatched a heavenly rank elixir from these people. And the quality of the elixir that almost caused her death was heavenly rank middle grade at best. But now, she got a heavenly rank supreme grade elixir without any effort, which was dozens of times more precious than the previous one. This made her feel complicated for a while. Why are you looking at me like that? Seeing Kayan's eyes trembling, she was still staring at him. Xiao Chen felt a little creepy and could only ask with a surprised look on his face. This woman suddenly looked so scary, she looked like she was going to eat him. Could it be that he was bewitched by this pill and planned to dissect him and seize his creation? When Xiao Chen finished speaking, Kayan also came back to her senses at this time, with a look of determination in her eyes, as if she had made some decision. Then she took off her veil, revealing her beautiful face. Admire the beauty of Queen Medusa. Chapter 54. Mr. Xiao, you look good today. What do you want to do? Seeing the prostrate body, the snow-white ravines are fully visible. Xiao Chen actually felt panic at this moment when Queen Medusa crawled towards him. Very meow. This hazy and trembling gaze, this alluring red lips. And with this devilish body, coupled with this beautiful face, who can bear to crawl over like this? Could it be that he is an estrus and you want to crawl over to him? Sir, I'm offended. After making up her mind, Kayan whispered to Xiao Chen and pounced like a tigress. Xiao Chen was pushed to the ground on the spot. This king, I want to favor the young master today. Looking at the confused Xiao Chen, Kayan was completely prepared to fight. She immediately spoke to Xiao Chen very domineeringly in her usual tone as a queen. Immediately afterwards, when Xiao Chen looked shocked when he heard this and his pupils couldn't help but dilate, Kayan leaned down at this moment. Damn it, I'm not ready yet. Woo woo woo. Seeing Kayan, who was forcibly suppressing him and completely taking the initiative, Xiao Chen could only resist in humiliation. But before he could finish speaking, his mouth was completely blocked. Life. If sometimes you can't resist, it's better to open your heart and enjoy it, maybe you can experience a different kind of happiness. Xiao Chen used to think this sentence was ridiculous, but now he found that it seemed to make sense. Just like now. He is in pain but also happy. Early morning hours. Xiao Chen lay on the carpet with his eyes blank. He felt that this life that he could not resist seemed to be a bit physically harmful to him. Although I had already been mentally prepared, I felt that I would be unable to defeat Queen Medusa. But he never expected it. With the blessing of his cultivation and bloodline, the opponent's fighting power would be so fierce that he would almost die from exhaustion on the spot. She truly deserves to be Queen Medusa, her fighting power is so terrifying. No, I want to become stronger. I must cultivate into the ancient kidney body and teach this Queen Medusa a lesson. Lie down on the carpet. Looking at the satisfied Queen Medusa beside her, she had put on her clothes and taken the purple pill of resurrection, and was sitting cross-legged on the bed, silently refining the majestic power of the medicine. Xiao Chen struggled to get up from the ground and swore angrily. The painful and joyful shame last night must be paid back one day. Hiss, my cultivation level has actually broken through to the revolving core realm. When the thoughts fall in my mind. Only then did Xiao Chen realize that his cultivation level had broken through to the Xuandan realm, and it was still the astonishing third level of Xuandan realm. Moreover, the foundation of cultivation in the body is extremely solid, and there is no futility caused by excessive breakthroughs. It was as if he had taken some essence of heaven and earth to undergo such an astonishing transformation. This put a look of shock on his face. I didn't expect Kayan's blood nourishment to have such a strong effect. Thinking of Kayan's crazy look last night, it seemed that she wanted to pass on all the power of pure yin to him. I didn't care whether he might not be able to bear it anymore, so I just helped him practice all night. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen shook his head with a wry smile, and then he understood the reason. Alas, from now on, there is another fatal weakness. Looking at Kayan with her eyes closed not far away, Xiao Chen suddenly sighed with emotion. I thought it would take a long time before there would be any substantial progress, but I didn't expect the queen to be so proactive and domineering. A man was moved in his heart and immediately took him in his arms. He is under a lot of pressure now. After all, he had just transmigrated here a few days ago, and his cultivation base was finally a little weaker. Compared to a strong person like Queen Medusa who has been practicing for hundreds of years, his current level of cultivation is no different than that of an ant. It seems that we can only train her and let her eat soft food first. Shaking his head, Xiao Chen put on his clothes and waved to tidy up the room without disturbing Kayan. Then he took out several fragments of the resurrection purple pill, and after spending more than 300,000 points, he successfully produced 8 rank 7 supreme grade resurrection purple pill. There are also 2 resurrection purple pills, which have been upgraded to rank 8. Xiao Chen plans to auction these in exchange for resources, so he doesn't skimp on points for this operation. Originally, he wanted to save some points to upgrade some profound rank elixirs, which could be used to improve his cultivation. However, after obtaining Kayan's primordial yin, his cultivation level improved by leaps and bounds. In a short period of time, the cultivation level cannot be improved quickly again and can only be used to exchange for more resources. In this way, the points will exceed the 800,000 mark as soon as possible and help Kayan upgrade her bloodline to break through the Saint realm. There are more than 80,000 points left. Looking at the points balance on the property panel, a look of surprise appeared on Xiao Chen's face. I didn't expect that after some operations, there would still be so many points left. This was thanks to Murong Fu giving him all the information about the Murong family, otherwise it would be difficult for him to have more than 80,000 points left. Next, first transfer this soul-reviving purple pill to Mr. Murong, and then go to the Xian Chamber of Commerce. After looking at Kayan, who would not wake up in a short time, Xiao Chen walked out of the wing while murmuring words, and not long after, he came to the hall of Murong's house. At this time, the hall of Murong's house had a completely new look after last night's emergency repairs. Murong Fu looked at the notice presented by his servants and couldn't help showing a look of shock on his face. Murong Bo, on the other hand, was stretching his muscles outside the hall, as if he was adapting to this reborn body. Mr. Xiao, you look good today. Seeing Xiao Chen suddenly appear, Murong Bo immediately smiled and said. This made Xiao Chen's mouth twitch. He looks so good, he was almost drained last night, and his legs are still a little shaky now. But you can't say this, Xiao Chen immediately said with a smile. Mr. Murong looks very good too. He must have adapted to the current situation. With that said, before Murong Bo could say anything, Xiao Chen took out the elixir bottle. This is the purple pill of restoration from yesterday. I will re-sacrifice it and purify it, which is enough to restore you to your peak cultivation level. After saying that, while Xiao Chen's true energy surged, the elixir bottle floated over. This move. Immediately, Murong Bo and Murong Fu froze on the spot with shocked faces. The purple pill of restoration that Xiao Chen worked so hard to obtain yesterday was returned to their hands today. And it has also been refined and purified. What exactly is this operation? Chapter 55. Is it possible that he is really destined to fall in love and will be beautiful for the rest of his life? Young master, you will not receive any rewards for your merits. This elixir, I don't dare to accept it. Seeing the pill bottle in front of him, Murong Bo was silent for a moment, then shook his head with a wry smile. As the saying goes, a person's words are long and his hands are short. The Murong family has already endured Xiao Chen's huge kindness, how could they have the nerve to take other people's things, let alone the priceless rank 7 elixir? It doesn't matter. Yesterday's purple pill of restoration and the resources you gave me have already helped me gain a lot. So just accept this purple pill of restoration. Xiao Chen said with a slight smile upon hearing this. Seeing what Marong Bo wanted to say, he raised his hand and continued to add. If you feel you really deserve it, wait until you fully recover your cultivation. Just help me collect some resources to offset this elixir. Using a pill to exchange the loyalty of the entire Marong family is definitely a sure profit in terms of long-term benefits. Thank you for your kindness, master. After hearing what Xiao Chen said, Marong Bo did not shirk anymore, but accepted it with a grateful face. He tried to restore his cultivation last night, but without external help. It can only return to the third level of body tempering in one night. If you want to return to the second level of universal truth, you can't do it within a few years. With the help of this resurrection purple pill, he might be able to fully recover within 2 or 3 days. This is the horror of high-level elixirs. Sir, the Zion Chamber of Commerce will hold an auction in 2 days. I wonder if you would be interested in joining in the fun. When Marong Bo put away the elixir, Marong Fu on the side held the invitation and asked Xiao Chen with a faint smile. Now that the Xiao family's affairs have been resolved, all that remains is the daughter's lifelong happiness. In order to create opportunities for Marong Qingshe, Xiao Chen must be kept at Marong's house for a few days. I've known about this for a long time. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this and glanced at the invitation. Speaking of which, I know that you have the purple pill of restoration in your hands, and I only found out about it after being reminded by Cloud Mountain. With that said, Xiao Chen took the invitation, opened it and glanced at it. He was a little curious. Zion Chamber of Commerce will auction it in 2 days. Apart from the pills he provided, what other rare treasures are there? Earth rank flying treasure. Wind God Wing. This seems like a good thing. After scanning the auction list on the invitation, Xiao Chen was immediately attracted to one of the items. Before his cultivation reaches the Grotto Heaven realm, the martial artist cannot cross the void unless there are some flying treasures to help him. Although there are some flying treasures in the system mall, he can only exchange them for profound rank treasures due to his limited cultivation. The most important thing is that he cannot improve the quality of the items redeemed in the system mall. So although Xiao Chen was a little tempted before, he still didn't redeem it in the mall. After all, flying treasures at the profound rank level are a bit useless to him. But if he can find flying treasures in the outside world, he can synthesize or upgrade them through the system. As long as he has enough points, he can even directly upgrade to saint rank, let alone heavenly rank level flying treasure. By then, with a high-level flying treasure, he will not only be able to fly freely. He can also possess terrifying physical skills and even abnormally strong defense. We must get this flying treasure. As the thoughts in his heart fell, a strange color appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes. There is actually a heavenly rank pill. Xuanqing Snow Lotus Pill. After making up his mind, Xiao Chen glanced at another object, with a look of surprise on his face. Xuanqing Snow Lotus Pill. This is a rare healing elixir that can not only repair physical injuries, but also has a purifying effect on true energy. It can purify some fire poisons and some high-level toxins. Therefore, Xuanqing Snow Lotus Pill, even in the eyes of celestial human realm experts, is a rare life-saving trump card. Unexpectedly, the grand finale of this auction would be this heavenly rank elixir. This actually made Xiao Chen a little curious. What could this bottom line thing be? Young master, are you interested in this auction? After noticing the change in Xiao Chen's expression, Marong Fu's eyes also lit up, and then he said impatiently. The auction will not start until 2 days. Why not stay at Marong's house for these 2 days? We will go to the auction venue together then, and we can take care of each other. Hearing Marong Fu's words and seeing the bright expression on his face, Xiao Chen suddenly had an ominous premonition. This kind of attitude. He looks a bit like the 2 useless elders of the Xiao family. Could it be that Marong Fu also wants to get his daughter into his bed? Well, I'll stay here temporarily for the next 2 days, but I have something to do now and I have to go to Zion Chamber of Commerce. After a moment of silence, Xiao Chen replied casually. Kayan is recovering her cultivation at this time and will not be able to get out of seclusion for a while. Staying at Marong's house these days, we can take care of each other. After saying that, Xiao Chen handed back the invitation and planned to go to Zion Chamber of Commerce. Master, please be patient, the old man has something to ask of me. Seeing that Xiao Chen wanted to go out alone, Marong Bo suddenly spoke. After Xiao Chen turned around after hearing this, Marong Bo coughed dryly and continued. Thanks to Mr. Xiao, Xiao Shui is now no different from ordinary people. But she hasn't stepped out of Morong's house for several years. I'm afraid she still hasn't been able to adjust her state of mind. And Mr. Xiao and Xiao Shui are very close to each other, so I would like to implore Mr. Xiao. Can you take Xiao Shui out to relax and help us enlighten this child? After saying that, Morong Bo patted Morong Fu, and the two of them bowed to Xiao Chen. Their attitudes seemed very sincere. This made Xiao Chen's mouth twitch. Okay, he guessed right, he wanted to give it to a woman again. He had been tortured by Queen Medusa all night last night, and there were 3 women waiting eagerly in the Xiao family. Now come to Morong's house and another stunning beauty comes. Is it possible that he is really destined to fall in love, and will be beautiful for the rest of his life? Grandpa, do you think I dress well today? When Xiao Chen felt depressed, a clear voice came and Morong Qingshe also appeared in the inner courtyard. Well, what Morong Qingshe looks like today. Young master. After stepping into the gate of the inner courtyard, seeing Morong Bo and Morong Fu bowing to Xiao Chen, Morong Qingshe was immediately stunned, thinking that they were discussing some important matter. Xiao Chen also looked over at this time, and his eyes lit up slightly when he saw Morong Qingshui's outfit. She is indeed a beauty who can compete with Queen Medusa. She has a different charm after changing her clothes today. Ha ha ha, my Xiao Shui looks good in anything she wears. Seeing Morong Qingshe not far away, Morong Bo raised his head and laughed. Master Xiao is going to Xi'an Chamber of Commerce, and you also want to go out to relax, so why don't you two just be company? Quote question mark exclamation mark question mark quote. Hearing Morong Bo's words, Morong Qingshe was a little confused. When was she going to relax? But seeing Morong Bo winking at her, Morong Qingshe remembered what Morong Bo said yesterday and understood that the other party was creating opportunities for her. His face, which was still a little confused at first, turned a little red at this moment. As long as it doesn't disturb young Master Xiao, Qingshe will go with us to have a look. Morong Qingshe came to Xiao Chen with a blushing face, and Morong Qingshe responded in a low voice. After saying that, he didn't even dare to raise his head. He could only pinch the corners of his clothes nervously, for fear of being rejected by Xiao Chen. Chapter 56. It turns out that this is the feeling of being chased. No wonder those beauties in the previous life were so beautiful. This won't bother you. Seeing Morong Bo and Morong Fu looking nervous, Morong Qingshe almost had his clothes ripped to pieces. Xiao Chen said with a slight smile. Although he feels a little sad that his luck in love is too good, Xiao Chen will not be so hypocritical as to push beautiful women out. So after thinking about it for a while, Xiao Chen didn't refuse. Thank you, Mr. Xiao. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Morong Bo and Morong Fu were overjoyed, and even Morong Qingshe raised her head sharply. However, after meeting Xiao Chen's gaze, he lowered his head nervously and shyly. A heart is more like a small deer bumping around, beating constantly under the giant thing. The young master did not reject her. This means, Mr. Xiao is not disgusted with her at present, and even has a little favorable impression of her. Therefore, as long as she works hard and becomes better, maybe in the future, like the woman in red, she could always be by Mr. Xiao's side and share his worries. It can even warm the bed and help the young master carry on the family lineage. Thinking of this, Morong Qingshui's face turned even redder, and her body was trembling slightly with excitement. Let's go. Seeing Morong Qingshe lowering her head and shaking with excitement, Xiao Chen suddenly touched his chin in embarrassment. After saying these 2 words, he turned around and walked out. It turns out that this is the feeling of being chased. No wonder those beauties in the previous life were floating. This feeling, there are indeed hundreds of millions of bits of fun. Currently, this is based on the premise that the other party is a beauty. If it were replaced by the tall and thick Ruhua sister, he would probably become very anxious. Master, wait for me. Seeing Xiao Chen walking out first, Morong Qingshe looked up sharply. After glancing at Morong Fu and Morong Bo, and feeling the encouragement from the 2 elders, they chased after them. Sure enough, it's a female college student who doesn't stay in college. Morong Fu looked at the 2 people's leaving figures and murmured with emotion for a moment. However, before he could finish his words, he received a slap on the forehead. I won't be able to save a head. Xiao Shui is so lucky to meet Mr. Xiao. Do you still want her to stay in Morong's house and cry in tears like before? After being scolded by his father, Morong Fu raised his head in grievance. Although his current cultivation level could kill the opponent with 1 slap, he did not dare to make any mistakes. What are you doing standing there stupidly? Hurry up and follow. Seeing Murong Fu's stupid appearance, Murong Bo was furious again, and then he said with hatred. Tiandu City is going to hold an auction in the next few days, and there must be forces from all sides arriving one after another. You can really trust Mr. Xiao and your daughter to go out like this. Why don't you hurry up and follow them to protect their two ancestors in secret? If someone with no eyesight collides with Mr. Xiao, do you think I will hang you up and serve you after I recover my cultivation? After hearing Murong Bo's words, Murong Fu also woke up. There are a lot of good things in this auction, and there are even heavenly rank items. There are more than one or two first-rate forces attracted here. Even the top forces of the Great Qian dynasty will even send some cronies over. Thinking about it at this time, this has doubled the pressure on the city lord's mansion. I hope nothing will happen in the past few days. When the thought falls, after Murong Fu responded to Murong Bo, he secretly followed Xiao Chen and Murong Qingshe. Murong Bo shook his head and turned back to the side room. There are still 2 days left. He should be able to refine the soul resurrection purple pill and restore his cultivation to the second level of universal truth. By then, with him as the old city lord around, the Murong family's status in Tiandu City will be even more secure. The other side, Xiao Chen and Murong Qingshe also arrived at Xian Chamber of Commerce after walking for half an hour. Along the way, Murong Qingshe was a little cautious at first, but after seeing various stalls on the street, his expression changed from nervous at the beginning to curious and excited at the end. Even when I saw a building that was different from what I remembered from my childhood, I was able to talk a lot to Xiao Chen. That kind of cheerfulness that got rid of the shadow of the past, coupled with that beautiful face, made many practitioners stunned. But fortunately, there is no one who is short-sighted and dares to come up and cause trouble in broad daylight. So the two of them came to Xian Chamber of Commerce smoothly. Sir, you are finally back. Elder Cloud Mountain has invited you. When Xiao Chen led Murong Qingshe into the lobby, the maid at the front desk who had received them last time walked over with excitement on her face. Lead the way. Xiao Chen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he heard this. Did Cloud Mountain have something important to do with him? Feeling a little curious in their hearts, the two of them also came to the VIP room to wait. Ha, Mr. Xiao, it seems that he didn't spend the night in the Xian Chamber of Commerce yesterday. Could it be that he thought our Chamber of Commerce didn't provide good hospitality? As a voice came with a loud laugh, Cloud Mountain came to the VIP room. However, when he saw that the person beside Xiao Chen was not Kaiyan, he couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Hey, who is this? Looking at Murong Qingshui's strange yet beautiful face. Even though Cloud Mountain was old, he couldn't help but stare blankly at this moment, and immediately asked with some surprise. This young Master Xiao is really lucky. Yesterday I followed a stunning woman in red, and today I followed an inexperienced woman in white. This appearance and temperament are almost as good as that of the stunningly talented young lady from their Xian Chamber of Commerce. Her name is Murong Qingshe. Xiao Chen just smiled lightly when he heard this and said Murong Qingshui's name. Murong Qingshe. This name is so familiar. Hidachi is Murong Fu's daughter. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Cloud Mountain was stunned for a moment, and then thought of something. The pupils shrank violently at this moment, and his face showed a look of disbelief. Murong Qingshe, isn't it rumored that he has red spots on his face and red hair all over his body, and looks like an uncivilized monkey? Why is she now a stunning beauty who is not inferior to the eldest lady of their Xian Chamber of Commerce? Could it be? In this shock, Cloud Mountain seemed to have thought of something and looked at Xiao Chen in shock. Good. It was me who cured Miss Murong, and I successfully obtained a soul-reviving purple pill. Seeing Cloud Mountain's guess, Xiao Chen nodded and said. As he spoke, he took out a pill bottle without any ink marks. This resurrection purple pill is the finished product obtained by refining the Murong family's pill using my own secret method. You should auction it together in 2 days. After saying that, Xiao Chen let go of the elixir bottle and sipped the tea calmly. This is just the finished elixir obtained by Xiao Chen after repairing one of the fragments of the resurrection purple pill. No quality upgrade has been carried out, so the grade is only rank 7. As for the other restoring purple pills, he has no plans to sell them for the time being. The reason why he did this was because he was worried about being suspected by the Xian Chamber of Commerce, so other pills could only be sold in the future. After all, the Murong family only has one purple pill of restoration, and the world also knows that it is a low-quality rank 7 pill. And he was still looking for the soul-reviving purple pill yesterday, and today he can come up with a bunch of soul-reviving purple pill, which will inevitably lead to the suspicion of the Zion Chamber of Commerce. Other restoring purple pills. We can only wait for him to give Zion Chamber of Commerce a hint and exchange them for resources after a while. Chapter 57. Miss Zaluo is mainly here for Mr. Xiao. Resurrection. Resurrection Spirit Purple Pill. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Cloud Mountain took a sharp breath, with a look of confusion on his face. Sir, are you sure to auction this thing? The soul-reviving purple pill I just got yesterday was put up for auction today. The thoughts of Mr. Xiao were really unpredictable. He thought that Xiao Chen came to inquire about the purple pill of restoration yesterday to restore his fallen cultivation to someone, but he didn't expect that the other party would put it up for auction after getting it. This is simply a mysterious operation. Don't be so surprised. Seeing Cloud Mountain looking at him with a weird look on his face, Xiao Chen waved his hand and replied calmly. This resurrection purple pill, I have used a unique secret method to analyze the ingredients and sent all the information to my master. With my master's ability, I believe that the elixir formula will be available in the near future. By then, there will be as many rejuvenating purple elixirs as you need. So this low-grade rank 7 soul-restoring purple pill is of little use to me now. These words are not meant to be pretentious. It was just to provide a more reasonable explanation for the future sale of other resurrection purple pills. As long as this information is passed to the Zion Chamber of Commerce headquarters through Cloud Mountain's mouth, he will definitely be a VIP of the Zion Chamber of Commerce in the future. Hiss. By analyzing the ingredients of the elixir through secret methods, can we deduce the corresponding elixir recipe? After Cloud Mountain heard what Xiao Chen said, he was almost frightened on the spot. Although some heavenly rank alchemists can also analyze some low-level elixirs and deduce the corresponding elixir recipes. This is limited to elixirs below profound rank. For elixirs of rank 5 or above, even if the corresponding ingredients are known, there is no corresponding method. There are also how to control the fire in the furnace, the order of elixir refining and integrated union. If there is a slight mistake, it is almost impossible to refine the finished elixir, and it is even possible to refine it into a poisonous elixir or a useless elixir. And the resurrection purple pill is a heavenly rank pill. I have never heard of any heavenly rank alchemist in the Great Qian dynasty who can analyze heavenly rank elixirs. The master behind Mr. Xiao must be a saint rank alchemist. And it is still a terrifying existence that has reached its peak in the saint rank level. When his heart was overwhelmed with shock, Cloud Mountain tremblingly picked up the elixir bottle, and then poured out the resurrection purple pill inside. Although the purple elixir has no elixir pattern, it exudes a strong elixir fragrance. This elixir is of excellent color and has a rich and mellow aroma. It looks like it has just been refined. Master Xiao, is this definitely the one from the Morong family? After careful observation and identification, Cloud Mountain looked up with a shocked expression. The Morong family's purple pill of restoration has been around for 13 years now. No matter how well it is preserved, a lot of its medicinal power will be lost. But the restoring purple pill in front of me is of high-grade quality and potency, and it doesn't look like a long-stored pill at all. This makes Cloud Mountain a bit unclear. Didn't I just say that this elixir was refined by me using secret techniques, so the quality is as good as it is now? Seeing Cloud Mountain's expression of disbelief, Xiao Chen didn't feel angry at all and just explained with a slight smile. After all, a pill has been stored for 13 years and still has such powerful medicinal power. Any normal person would be suspicious. If you still can't believe it, you can use professional equipment to test it. After speaking, Xiao Chen took a sip of tea, without any panic on his face. Fraud is totally unnecessary for him. Ha ha ha, Mr. Xiao is joking. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Cloud Mountain immediately laughed and then put away the soul-reviving purple pill. But this auction is no longer in charge of me. I have to report it first. Originally, he only applied for an auction, but the Zion Chamber of Commerce headquarters gave him full authority to handle it. But because Xiao Chen took out a lot of supreme-grade elixirs. After he reported everything about Xiao Chen and the list of items to the Chamber of Commerce headquarters, the Zion Chamber of Commerce unexpectedly decided to take photos of a few more valuable things temporarily, and would also send someone over to host the auction. And this person turned out to be the eldest lady of the Zion Chamber of Commerce, a proud woman well known in the Great Qian dynasty. Purple. Therefore, Cloud Mountain is not the first person in charge of this auction, but this young lady who has not officially arrived in Tiandu City is. You're not in charge anymore. Xiao Chen's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard this, and he looked at Cloud Mountain doubtfully. Ha ha ha, that's right. The auction will now be hosted by Miss Ziluo. I want to introduce you to you when I see you today. After saying that, Cloud Mountain glanced at Murong Qingshe, and couldn't help but reveal a strange color in his eyes. In his impression, Ziluo was no less beautiful than Murong Qingshe, and even had a more mature charm than her. It would be a feast for his eyes to see these two women appear together later. Ziluo. After hearing this somewhat familiar name, Xiao Chen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. When he was inquiring about information about Xian Chamber of Commerce yesterday, he heard this name from others. It is said that the president of the Xian Chamber of Commerce gave birth to a daughter when he was 138 years old. She is the daughter of heaven who is loved by thousands of people in the Xian Chamber of Commerce. Not only did Martial Dao's talent reach the heavenly rank, he also cultivated to the 9th level of Xuandan at the age of 23. Even his business talent is top-notch. At a young age, he has already hosted dozens of large-scale auctions, and even generated astonishing revenue of 1 billion for Xian Chamber of Commerce in these years. She is regarded by the world as one of the 3 talented women of the Great Qian dynasty, and has even attracted the pursuit and support of many geniuses. Quite famous within the Great Qian dynasty. Unexpectedly, Ziluo would be alerted to this auction. Ha ha ha, actually Miss Ziluo came here mainly for Mr. Xiao. The headquarters knows that the master of the young master is an expert hermit, so they want to discuss some cooperation matters with the young master. And I'm not old enough for this kind of thing, so the headquarters sent Miss Ziluo here. Cloud Mountain had nothing to hide and immediately explained it to Xiao Chen. Calculating the time, Miss Ziluo's flying profound arc should be arriving at Tiandu City soon. If Xiao Chen has nothing important to do, why not just wait here at the Chamber of Commerce for a while? Branch President, Miss Ziluo's profound arc has arrived. Just as Cloud Mountain finished speaking, a maid suddenly ran in and reported nervously. This came faster than expected. It seems that Miss Ziluo attaches great importance to Mr. Xiao. After hearing the maid's report, Cloud Mountain stood up suddenly and cupped his hands towards Xiao Chen. Mr. Xiao, please wait here for a moment. I have to go greet Miss Ziluo. After saying that, before Xiao Chen could answer, Cloud Mountain ran out happily. One of the 3 talented women of Great Qian dynasty. Looking at Cloud Mountain's leaving figure, Xiao Chen took a sip of tea and his eyes couldn't help but twinkle. If we can establish a cooperative relationship with Xian Chamber of Commerce through this rich lady, then if he wants to collect resources in the future, it will be much easier than imagined. Even in a short period of time, it is easy to get the points to exceed 800,000. When thoughts fall, Xiao Chen's face showed a hint of excitement, and he also had a strong interest in Ziluo. This scene, Murong Qingshe saw everything. Seeing that Xiao Chen seemed to be interested in Ziluo, Murong Qingshui's expression couldn't help but become a little sad. The young master really likes excellent women. It seemed like she had to work harder to get the young master interested. When the thought fell, Murong Qingshe showed determination in her eyes. She wanted to become even better for young Master Xiao. In this life, I am crazy about the young master, and have children for the young master. Chapter 58. She is worthy of being the eldest lady of Xian Chamber of Commerce. Her courage is really unmatched by ordinary people. Half an hour later, after waiting patiently, Cloud Mountain turned back again. Ha ha ha, Mr. Xiao has been waiting for a long time. This is Miss Ziluo from our Chamber of Commerce headquarters. As Cloud Mountain's voice came, several figures also walked into the wing. This made Xiao Chen and Murong Qingshe both look up. When they saw the leading woman, both of them had a look of surprise in their eyes. Her lavender hair draped down her shoulders like a waterfall, exuding an elegant beauty. The beautiful face is like a fairy in a painting, and paired with the enchanting red lips, it shows a different kind of charm. This person is Ziluo, the daughter of the Xian Chamber of Commerce and one of the 3 most talented women in the Great Qian dynasty. Image of Violet. So beautiful. Seeing Ziluo walking in, Murong Qingshe couldn't help but sigh, and her expression became a little inferior. Although her current appearance and figure are not much worse than the woman in front of her. But this person has a charming and mature charm, as well as a graceful, elegant and confident temperament. It all gave her an incomparable sense of loss. She is indeed the daughter of the president of the Xian Chamber of Commerce, even if we don't mention Martial Dao's talent and business talent. Just this appearance and temperament can make countless women feel ashamed. When the thought falls, Murong Qingshui looked at Xiao Chen, wanting to see his reaction. However, Murong Qingshui's expression was slightly startled when she saw that Xiao Chen was only looking at him admiringly and not showing any intoxication. It seems that the beauty next to Mr. Xiao is no weaker than Zi Luo in appearance and temperament. If not, Mr. Xiao would not be so indifferent. He must have seen too many beauties like this. Master Xiao, I've kept you waiting for a long time. Seeing the handsome Xiao Chen in front of her, Zi Luo showed an apologetic smile after walking into the wing. Along the way, she had already heard Cloud Mountain report everything about Xiao Chen, and even learned that the other party had just taken out a soul-reviving purple pill. He could even analyze the ingredients of the elixir through secret methods and pass the information to his master to deduce the elixir recipe. The most outrageous thing is, Xiao Chen himself can refine the elixir through secret methods and restore the damaged elixir to its peak. This kind of thing was simply unheard of, and it refreshed her understanding of alchemy. Only an alchemy master who has reached the saint rank level may be able to create such a terrifying secret method. So, from the moment she left the Xuanzhou to the time she entered the Chamber of Commerce, Zi Luo's attention to Xiao Chen had reached a rare level. It doesn't matter. Xiao Chen stood up after hearing this and replied indifferently. I've heard for a long time that Miss Zi Luo is one of the 3 most talented women in the dynasty. Today, when I see her, she truly deserves her reputation. After some polite exchanges, Xiao Chen didn't praise the other party too much, but asked straight to the point. Miss Zi Luo, I heard from the Cloud Mountain Elder. This time, in addition to hosting this auction, do you also want to discuss cooperation with Xiao? The words fell. Immediately, a strange color appeared in Zi Luo's eyes, and she glanced at Xiao Chen appreciatively. In the past, when other men talked to her, they would stare at her with burning eyes. I can't wait to say a lot of good things in an attempt to please this eldest lady. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen was so indifferent, and his eyes had no burning meaning, as if he had no interest in her. This made Zi Luo feel quite fond of her, and of course she also aroused a sense of curiosity. Since Mr. Xiao speaks quickly, we won't beat around the bush. Zi Luo smiled charmingly when she heard this, and then asked tentatively. I don't know. Can we meet the master behind Mr. Xiao through Mr. Xiao's recommendation? She and her father originally speculated on the information passed through Cloud Mountain. The master behind Xiao Chen is a heavenly rank alchemy master. But now, after learning the new information about Xiao Chen, she feels that the person behind Xiao Chen is probably a saint rank alchemist. If you can meet this kind of existence, win him over to the Xian Chamber of Commerce. The Xian Chamber of Commerce's status within the Great Qian dynasty will even surpass that of the Daqian royal family in the near future. After all, the energy possessed by a saint rank alchemist is more terrifying than that of a saint rank expert. If Xian Chamber of Commerce has a saint rank alchemist sitting in charge. By then, not to mention the strong men of the Great Qian dynasty, even the strong men of other dynasties in the eastern wasteland will come to Xian Chamber of Commerce one after another. And the Xian Chamber of Commerce will become one of the transcendent apex-level forces within the 7 dynasties of the eastern wasteland. Sorry, my master has always kept aloof from the world. He likes to live alone in the mountains and does not want to be disturbed by outsiders. Even though I am master's disciple, I cannot bring outsiders to see him without authorization. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this and refused Zi Luo's proposal. It's such a pity. After hearing Xiao Chen's words, although Zi Luo felt a little regretful, she was not angry at all. After a pause, he said with a smile. Although I can't see Master Xiao's charisma, it's a blessing to be able to make friends with such a talented person as Master Xiao. With that said, before Xiao Chen could reply, Zi Luo took out a token. This is the token held by the honorary elder of our Xian Chamber of Commerce. I would like to invite the young master to serve as the honorary elder of the Xian Chamber of Commerce. If there is nothing important, we won't ask the young master to do things. Only when the Chamber of Commerce encounters some difficulties, the young master can help as much as possible. As an honorary elder of the Chamber of Commerce, not only can the young master receive 1 million spiritual crystals as a salary every year, but he can also get 90% of the profits from the auctioned items. You can even enjoy a 20% discount when shopping at any branch of the Xian Chamber of Commerce with this token. And once the Chamber of Commerce obtains any treasure, if the young master needs it, it will have priority to purchase it. Without asking Xiao Chen what he wanted from cooperation, Zi Luo offered a lot of benefits. This not only shocked Xiao Chen, but also Cloud Mountain and Murong Qingshe who were standing by were shocked and dumbfounded. Honorary Elder of Xian Chamber of Commerce. There have always been only some celestial human realm powerhouses, or some heavenly rank alchemy masters, to be eligible for this benefit. Unexpectedly, this Miss Ziluo would invite Xiao Chen as soon as she came up. It seemed that Ziluo valued Xiao Chen more than they imagined. As expected of the eldest lady of the Xian Chamber of Commerce, this courage is really unmatched by ordinary people. After Xiao Chen was silent for a while, he first praised Ziluo, and then said something meaningful in his voice. But Xiao is just a young man. You invite Xiao to become an honorary elder. Aren't you afraid that Xiao will not be able to bring benefits to the Chamber of Commerce, and that other honorary elders will also have opinions? The honorary elder of Xian Chamber of Commerce is a symbol of identity and status. There are many powerful people who are unable to become honorary elders despite all their efforts. If people knew that Ziluo made an 18-year-old junior become an honorary elder without any contribution, I'm afraid some senior officials of the Chamber of Commerce will have some opinions. Ziluo is right in judging people. Mr. Xiao can become the honorary elder of Xian Chamber of Commerce. Maybe our Xian Chamber of Commerce has taken advantage of him. Hearing this, Ziluo did not answer the question directly, but just replied with a smile in a joking manner. As for the Chamber of Commerce, they won't have any objections. Some people. The Chamber of Commerce has done its best to support them. If you still have any objections, I don't mind a big purge. At the end of this sentence, he became a bit cold and domineering. It's like a business queen declaring her status. Chapter 59. With such a reverse bargaining transaction, are you really not afraid that Xian Chamber of Commerce will lose money? As these words fell, there was a sudden silence in the VIP room. Whether it was Cloud Mountain, Murong Qingshe, or Ziluo, the protector, all had expressions of disbelief on their faces. Although she knew Ziluo wanted to win over Xiao Chen, she didn't expect her attitude to be so determined. Even if there is opposition from high-level officials within the Chamber of Commerce, can she even carry out a purge for Xiao Chen? This Miss Ziluo must have fallen in love with Mr. Xiao at first sight, right? Since Miss Ziluo has already said this, it would seem a bit artificial if Xiao makes excuses again. When others were shocked, Xiao Chen said with a slight smile, and then reached out to take the token. He originally wanted to cooperate with Xian Chamber of Commerce to use the other party's energy to collect more resources and items. Becoming an honorary elder of Xian Chamber of Commerce is just a name in the Chamber of Commerce, but you can enjoy a series of benefits. For him, the advantages undoubtedly outweighed the disadvantages, and he had absolutely no reason to refuse the other party. No way. This young lady has given me too much. Thank you, Mr. Xiao, for the favor. Ziluo smiled charmingly when she heard this, and then bowed slightly to Xiao Chen. The appearance of a wealthy lady made Xiao Chen very fond of her. Xiao has gained a position in the Xian Chamber of Commerce, and he will not eat food and do nothing in the future. Next, Xiao will contact my master and ask him to refine a batch of elixirs and send them over. Under Ziluo's surprised look, Xiao Chen smiled lightly and threw a big bang. As long as the Chamber of Commerce can help my master collect a large amount of resources and items, my master can not only provide the Chamber of Commerce with some high-level elixirs, but also some high-level mysterious weapons, and even some high-level formation discs. After hearing what Xiao Chen said, Ziluo couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Master Xiao, is it possible that your master also knows how to refine weapons and set up formations? Well, it's all slightly involved. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this and said in a calm voice. He likes to delve into other disciplines in his spare time, so he also has some experience in weapon refining and formation. Simply getting some heavenly rank mysterious weapons or heavenly rank formation discs is a trivial matter for him. This rhetoric is not to show off, but to pave the way for the sale of mysterious weapons and formation discs. Hiss. Could it be that Mr. Xiao's master is an all-around saint rank expert? After hearing what Xiao Chen said, Ziluo and others took a sharp breath, and couldn't help but have this thought in their minds. If Xiao Chen hadn't exaggerated, Xian Chamber of Commerce would have embraced it this time. Master has always been mysterious. I don't know what level he has reached, but there should be few people in the Eastern Wasteland who can compare with him. Xiao Chen continued to brag after hearing this, directly shaping this master into an invincible character. By then, as he gradually reveals more things in the future, even the world will know his extraordinary qualities. This persona can also be used as a means of protection. Even if some people are greedy for what he has on him, they still haven't fully figured out the master behind him. I don't have the guts to take risks. Unless the other party is a brainless person, or has a blood feud with him. Mr. Xiao, I heard from Elder Cloud Mountain about collecting resources and items before I came to Tiandu City. Although I came in a bit of a hurry this time, I also brought a batch of supplies from the headquarters. I just wonder if I can satisfy Master Ling. After taking a deep breath to calm down, Ziluo seemed to have thought of something. He took off a Na ring on his hand and handed it to Xiao Chen. This is a batch of waste materials that Xian Chamber of Commerce has stored in Dakian Imperial City for a long time. Its value should be between 5 and 6 million spiritual crystals. They even brought resources. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he immediately took the ring. As the spiritual sense penetrated, he saw that the huge space ring was filled with mountains of supplies. Even Xiao Chen was startled, and his breathing even became a little rapid. This amount of supplies is about 70% to 80% more than what Cloud Mountain gave him yesterday. It is indeed the Xian Chamber of Commerce. A random sum of resources would be more than what he could collect by running around. Cooperating with Xian Chamber of Commerce is indeed the right choice. Here is another picture of Ziluo. This one was made by the author using the previous original picture as a template. I posted the original picture in the comment area. I wonder if it can be displayed. How much does Ms. Ziluo bid for this batch of supplies? After scanning the supplies, Xiao Chen raised his head and asked. The price given by the Chamber of Commerce for this batch of supplies is 5.8 million spiritual crystals. However, Mr. Xiao is already an honorary elder of the Chamber of Commerce and can enjoy a 20% discount on any item purchased. That's 4.64 million spiritual crystals. Ziluo smiled slightly when she heard this, and then quoted the price. But when Xiao Chen was about to speak, her eyes flickered and she continued. However, today is Mr. Xiao's first day in the Chamber of Commerce. He should enjoy some more discounts. The remaining Ziluo will help Mr. Xiao make a zero. Ziluo only received 4 million spirit crystals from the young master for this batch of supplies. It would be difficult to explain to Ziluo no matter how low he goes back. Hiss. Here the last price Ziluo gave. Cloud Mountain, Marong Qingshe, and the old woman in green were all shocked and gasped. The resources of 5.8 million spiritual crystals were abruptly reduced to 4 million. A full 1.8 million spiritual crystals are missing. Such a huge amount of money, even the Lord's Mansion of Tiandu City, would not be able to come up with it within a few years. Is this Miss Ziluo from the Xian Chamber of Commerce, or from Mr. Xiao in front of me? With such a reverse bargaining transaction, are you really not afraid that Xian Chamber of Commerce will lose money? Miss Ziluo is really a passionate person. Xiao Chen looked at Ziluo with admiration, and his favorability level soared again. This woman was willing to spend so much money in order to win over him. She is indeed one of the 3 most talented women in the Great Qian dynasty. However, Xiao only has 1.38 million spiritual crystals on him, and he still owes Elder Cloud Mountain 3 million spiritual crystals that he has not paid back. When the thoughts in his mind came to an end, Xiao Chen coughed and said awkwardly. It doesn't matter. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Ziluo waved her hands and said. Young Master Xiao can owe these 7 million spiritual crystals for the time being, and you can make up for them when you have them. The unconcerned look seemed like these 7 million spiritual crystals were nothing to Ziluo. Since Miss Ziluo trusts Xiao so much, Xiao is too embarrassed to say anything. After this auction is over, I will ask my master to send a batch of elixirs. There will be at least 8 rank 7 soul restoration purple pills and 2 rank 8 soul restoration purple pills. As for the quality of the elixirs, if nothing else, they should all be supreme grade. After putting away the space ring, Xiao Chen said to Ziluo with a faint smile. These words made Ziluo, Cloud Mountain and others look shocked, and they all looked at Xiao Chen in disbelief. Rank 7 Restoration Purple Pill. In the past, a single crystal could be auctioned for more than 1 million spirit crystals, and if it was supreme grade, it could even fetch 2 or 3 times more. And rank 8's a Resurrection Purple Pill. In the past, one crystal could be auctioned for more than 5 million, and if it was supreme grade, it could also be sold for 2 or 3 times more. Therefore, if Xiao Chen can really come up with so many soul-resurrecting purple pills, this will be a big deal worth 20 to 30 million. Master Xiao, are you sure? After Ziluo took a deep breath, she asked with a trembling voice. If Xiao Chen can really provide so many soul-restoring purple pills, the Xian Chamber of Commerce can use this as a bargaining chip and hold many large-scale auctions across the dynasty. You can even use the purple pill of restoration to snare some strong men whose cultivation has declined. By then, the Xian Chamber of Commerce will become even stronger. Xiao always does what he says. Xiao Chen just smiled lightly when he heard this, and his words showed strong confidence. Giving Xian Chamber of Commerce elixirs to auction will always be harmless to him. Any system repair synthesis or upgraded elixir. After being taken by others, they all have indirect contact with him. As long as he spends another 3,000 points, he can make this indirect connection. Let the system secretly plant a contract with this person, so that this person will have a fanatical impression of him. That is to say, even a person with advanced cultivation can find a way to turn him into one of his own as long as he takes Xiao Chen's elixir. Besides, for any mysterious weapon or formation disk that has been repaired, synthesized, or upgraded by the system, even if it is transferred to others for refining and use, he is still the first person to control this treasure. This is another abnormality of the system. Chapter 60 Uninvited Guest, Prince Zhenin's Wooing. In that case, Zi Luo will wait for Mr. Xiao's good news. Seeing Xiao Chen's confident look, Zi Luo revealed a charming smile. Ha ha ha, Miss Ziluo, I heard that you are coming to Tiandu City to host an auction. My prince rushed over here without stopping, but I didn't expect to arrive a step later than you. Just when Zi Luo finished her words, Xiao Chen was about to reply. As a loud laugh came, several figures also broke into the side room. This sudden intrusion of an uninvited guest made Xiao Chen and others frown and look towards the entrance of the room. Xian Chamber of Commerce is guarded by strict guards, and they were able to break in while they were discussing important matters. It seems that the identity of this group of people is not simple. When the thought fell, Xiao Chen also saw the person clearly. The leader was a young man wearing a golden python pattern, followed by several other figures, two of whom he recognized. It was Nalan Shiji and the old man in gray who went to Morong's house to break off their engagement yesterday. I didn't expect to bump into each other here. We really are enemies on the same road. Qingshe, Nalan Shiji, who just walked in, also saw Xiao Chen and Morong Qingshe. This made him look slightly stunned, and then he remembered what happened yesterday, with blazing anger in his eyes. His Royal Highness the Fifth Prince broke into the VIP room of the Chamber of Commerce without permission. Are you doing this? A bit overbearing and rude. Seeing the man in brocade clothes in front of her, Zi Luo frowned slightly and said in a cold voice. This person is the fifth son of the great Qian dynasty Zhenin King, a martial Dao genius with heavenly rank middle-grade talent. He has cultivated to the 9th level of Xuandan at the age of 24. His name is Yang Xiao. He is also one of her crazy suitors, but he is disgusted by his domineering behavior. However, because the other party was the eldest son of Zhenin Palace, Zi Luo couldn't completely break up with this guy, so she could only tolerate some of his behavior. Ha ha ha, my prince also wants to see Miss Ziluo so much. This will inevitably be a bit abrupt in the emergency. Looking at the woman in front of him who was 1 year younger than him but with the same cultivation level as him, Yang Xiao's eyes looked very hot. She has a beautiful face and a talent even better than him. He even has a good background behind him, and his talent is even more stunning to the dynasty. Such a perfect woman must be his concubine, Yang Xiao. Hey, who is this? After silently reciting in his mind that he wanted to get Ziluo, Yang Xiao looked at Xiao Chen aside. Is this guy, who is so close to Zi Luo, also a suitor? Your Highness, this person is the person I mentioned to you before. The person next to him is Morong Qingshe. Just as Yang Xiao finished speaking, Nalan Shiji on the side couldn't wait to stand up and say. After saying that, he stared at Xiao Chen jealously, and couldn't help clenching his fists tightly. If it hadn't been for this person's appearance yesterday, how could he be humiliated if he broke off the engagement at Morong's house? And how could Morong Qingshe transform from an alien who was not worthy of him to a woman that made him drool? The humiliation he suffered yesterday was all thanks to this guy Xiao Chen. What? After hearing Nalan Shiji's words, Yang Xiao's expression couldn't help but change. He stared at Xiao Chen, then laughed and said, Ha ha ha, brother Xiao, I was planning to find you. I didn't expect to meet you here. It seems that the two of us are really destined. After his eyes flickered, Yang Xiao walked up to Xiao Chen and extended an invitation to Xiao Chen. I've heard about you. You have cultivated to the 7th level of spiritual aperture when you were only 18 years old. Martial Dao's talent is even more evil than my eldest son. Even in just a few moments, Murong Qingshe can be cured. That kind of miraculous medical method would make even alchemy King Jiyu Qinghe feel ashamed. As these words fell, Ziluo couldn't help but widen her eyes. He looked at Xiao Chen in disbelief, and glanced at Murong Qingshe next to him. She actually knew a little bit about Murong Qingshe. Unexpectedly, something that even Jiyu Qinghe couldn't handle was easily solved by Xiao Chen in front of him. Even the opponent's talent is very evil. You know, even if she has the talent of martial Dao with a high heavenly rank, she only reached the second level of spiritual aperture when she was 18 years old. And Xiao Chen can reach the 7th level of spiritual aperture at the age of 18. How monstrous is this talent? She wanted to get in touch with the mysterious master through Xiao Chen, but she didn't expect that Xiao Chen himself was such a monster. This time, making Xiao Chen the honorary elder of Xian Chamber of Commerce is definitely the wisest decision he has ever made in his life. Brother Xiao, I would like to invite you to join Zhenin Palace and become a follower of my son. When this prince becomes the new generation of Zhenin king in the future, you will be my right-hand man. When Ziluo was shocked, Yang Xiao said in a strong voice. These two sentences may seem like invitations, but in reality they are irrefutable. After all, he is the eldest son of the Zhenin Palace. It is a great honor for the other party to invite others so actively. Your Highness the Fifth Prince, Mr. Xiao is the honorary elder of the Xian Chamber of Commerce. I'm afraid it wouldn't be good for you to poach people in front of me, right? When Xiao Chen frowned slightly when he heard this, Ziluo beside him couldn't help but said. This Yang Xiao wanted to improve his status in the heart of Zhenin King. It really took a lot of effort. Not only did he put his idea on her head, but now he even wanted to win over Mr. Xiao. What? He is the honorary elder of Xian Chamber of Commerce. Hearing these two words from Ziluo, Yang Xiao's pupils shrank sharply. Even Nalan Shiji and the old man in gray on the side had expressions of disbelief. Honorary elder of Xian Chamber of Commerce. But they are all celestial human realm experts, or heavenly rank alchemists and weapon refiners, and of course there are also rare formation masters. Each of these people are old guys who have lived for hundreds of years, or even hundreds of years. And Xiao Chen is only 18 years old and can reach this step. It was unbelievable to him. Ha ha ha, Brother Xiao can become the honorary elder of Xian Chamber of Commerce at such a young age. It seems that Ms. Ziluo values you very much. Seeing that Ziluo seemed to care about Xiao Chen, Yang Xiao's eyes flashed with a cold light, and then he continued to invite with a smile on his face. But that's okay. My prince and Ms. Ziluo have a close relationship. Zhenin Prince's Palace and Xian Chamber of Commerce are like brothers. In a sense, they can be regarded as one family. Since Brother Xiao serves as an elder at the Xian Chamber of Commerce, why not also work for our Zhenin Prince's mansion at the same time? This can also be mutually beneficial. I wonder what Brother Xiao thinks. As the words fell, the room became dead silent. Nalan Shiji stared at Xiao Chen with a look of jealousy, his back molars almost shattered at this moment. The same age of 18. Xiao Chen has not only become an honorary elder of the Xian Chamber of Commerce, but his status is equivalent to that of some celestial human realm powerhouses. Even the Prince of Zhenin did not hesitate to lose face to win over the other party. This would simply make him explode with jealousy. It's really irritating. Chapter 61. A hypocrite hiding a knife behind his smile. Sorry, I refuse. Just when everyone's eyes fell on Xiao Chen, expecting the other party's answer. Xiao Chen refused without even thinking about it. Becoming an honorary elder of the Xian Chamber of Commerce will not restrict his freedom, but will also allow him to collect resources more advantageously. But if he joins Zhenin Palace, he will only get involved in power disputes. If he wanted to collect resources through the palace, he not only had to work hard to explain, but also beware of the covetousness of people from the palace. And the efficiency is far less than that of Xian Chamber of Commerce, and there is even a risk of being stabbed in the back. This would do him more harm than good. What's more, the Prince of Zhenin seems to be trying to win over him. But his attitude was still a bit condescending, and his tone of voice seemed to be giving alms. This attitude made him feel very uncomfortable. You refuse. After hearing Xiao Chen's answer, Yang Xiao narrowed his eyes slightly and asked in surprise. Brother Xiao, don't you know what the Zhenin Palace represents in the Great Qian dynasty? Nalan Shiji, the old man in gray and others on the side also looked at Xiao Chen in disbelief, obviously not expecting Xiao Chen to refuse. To know, the Zhenin Palace is within the Great Qian dynasty, but in addition to the Daqian royal family, Wanwaman, Fenyan Valley, and the Xian Chamber of Commerce, there are apex-level forces. There are several celestial human realm powerhouses in the palace, and one of them has reached the astonishing 8th level of celestial human realm. Even the Daqian royal family. We should also be wary of the Zhenin Palace, and even have to make concessions in some aspects. And Guangzhou. It is just one of the 18 states in the southern part of the Great Qian dynasty, even the top power in the desert state, Tai Sword Sect. When facing the Zhenin Palace, they could only follow the trend. I know, Zhenin Palace is one of the 5 apex-level forces in the Great Qian dynasty. However, I have always liked freedom and do not want to get involved in disputes. So, Xiao had no choice but to reject the prince's kindness. Xiao Chen just smiled faintly when he heard this, without any fear in his voice. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince invites you with good intentions, but you are so proud of yourself. Could it be that you look down on the Zhenin Palace? When Xiao Chen finished speaking, Nolan Shiji's eyes flashed and he suddenly stood up to Gong Huadao. Get off. Did I ask you to speak? As soon as Nolan Shiji finished speaking, Yang Xiao glanced at the other party with a cold gaze, instantly making Nolan Shiji turn pale with fright. Since Brother Xiao does what he wants, I will no longer force him. After reprimanding Nolan Shiji, Yang Xiao said to Xiao Chen with a slight smile. But acquaintance is fate. If Brother Xiao figures it out in the future, the door of our Zhenin Palace will be open for Brother Xiao at any time. As he said that, Yang Xiao suddenly looked at Murong Qingshe next to him. After carefully sizing him up, a scorching sun flashed in his eyes. This is Miss Murong from the Lord's Mansion of Tiandu City, right? I didn't expect that under Brother Xiao's treatment, he would transform into such an amazing person. While speaking, Yang Xiao walked up to Murong Qingshe and continued speaking in a voice as gentle as a spring breeze. Miss Murong, are you interested in joining our Zhenin Palace? If Miss Murong is willing, I can find a strong person from the celestial human realm to be a teacher for Miss Murong. I can even ask my father to deploy 1,000 black scale guards to help the Murong family guard Tiandu City and become the most powerful city lord's palace within a radius of thousands of miles. This woman, she has a face that is not weaker than Zi Luo's, and is very talented, but her background is a bit weaker. If she can be brought into the Zhenin prince's mansion and she can be nurtured well in the future, she can also become his princess. However, due to the existence of Zi Luo, Yang Xiao did not dare to show his ambition, so he could only speak tactfully. After hearing Yang Xiao's words, everyone present was stunned. Unexpectedly, Yang Xiao failed to invite Xiao Chen to join, and instead turned to Murong Qingshe. Sorry, when Mr. Xiao cured Qingshe, Qingshe had already made up his mind to stay with Mr. Xiao. So Qingshe can only boldly refuse His Highness the Crown Prince's kindness. Seeing everyone's eyes falling on her instantly, Murong Qingshe was so nervous that her palms were sweating, but after taking a look at Xiao Chen, she finally plucked up the courage to speak. From the moment Xiao Chen pulled her out of the abyss, she could only live for Xiao Chen in this life. She will not be tempted by other men or other forces. After being rejected by Murong Qingshe, Yang Xiao narrowed his eyes slightly, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. But he didn't show it on his face, he just smiled and said with regret. That's a pity. I never expected that Brother Xiao's good fortune would be so strong that a stunning woman like Miss Murong would be willing to follow and serve him. But Brother Xiao is such a monster, he is worthy of Miss Murong's following. Hearing Yang Xiao's words that seemed to have special meaning, Xiao Chen couldn't help but frown, and looked at Yang Xiao warily. Yin and Yang are weird, there is a knife hidden in the smile, and there is a little bit of scheming. I didn't expect to meet such a hypocrite when I came to Xian Chamber of Commerce this time. It seems that this prince is a bit troublesome. Your Highness the Fifth Prince, I still have something to discuss with young Master Xiao. If you have nothing to do, please leave the VIP room first. Zi Luo, who was on the side, heard that Yang Xiao's words were getting more and more strange, and immediately frowned and ordered Yang Xiao to be kicked out. Ha ha ha, since Miss Ziluo said so, I don't want to continue to disturb you. After Miss Ziluo has finished her work, we will find time to have a good gathering. Yang Xiao didn't get angry when he heard this, he just waved his hands at the other people. Let's go. The group of people walked out of the VIP room of Xian Chamber of Commerce under the solemn gazes of Xiao Chen and Zi Luo. Mr. Xiao, it seems that you should be more careful in the future. This Yang Xiao may be trying to trick you secretly. Seeing a few people disappear around the corner, Ziluo reminded them with a solemn voice. In her impression, Yang Xiao was a bit petty. Today, if Xiao Chen rejects the other party's kindness, he will definitely be secretly resented by the prince. Although Xiao Chen is now the honorary elder of Xian Chamber of Commerce, Yang Xiao does not dare to take action openly due to the reputation of Xian Chamber of Commerce. But 9 times out of 10, it will be done secretly. It doesn't matter. I won't offend anyone unless they offend me. If someone offends me, no matter what their identity or background is, they will pay a heavy price. Xiao Chen waved his hands when he heard this and said indifferently. If Yang Xiao secretly held a grudge and wanted to mess with him because he was rejected by him today, then he will definitely let the other party know how miserable it will be if he offends him. How about, Mr. Xiao lives in the Chamber of Commerce these days, so he can be taken care of even if anything happens. Ziluo frowned when she heard this, but still felt a little worried. You must know that the guardian beside Yang Xiao has reached the 8th level of universal truth. Compared to the protector beside her, he was only a small level weaker. This kind of existence, within Tiandu City, it is almost invincible. If the other party wants to attack Xiao Chen secretly, then Xiao Chen is likely to encounter a life and death crisis. After all, in the past few years, many people who offended Yang Xiao disappeared like this. Chapter 62. Smart people often kill with the help of others. That's fine. After a moment of silence, Xiao Chen agreed. Kayan is in seclusion in the city lord's palace refining the purple pill of resurrection. There is no way she can get out smoothly without 2 or 3 days. Staying in the Xian Chamber of Commerce these days can indeed avoid a lot of trouble. Moreover, after getting the supplies from Ziluo, a flash of inspiration suddenly flashed in his mind, and he had an idea that he needed to verify. Since Mr. Xiao is staying, why don't Miss Qingshe stay too? I think something was wrong with Yang Xiao just now. Hearing that Xiao Chen did not refuse, Ziluo looked at Mirong Qingshe. As the eldest lady of the Xian Chamber of Commerce, she was used to too much intrigue. If Yang Xiao wanted to cause trouble in secret, he would be smarter and not attack Xiao Chen directly. Instead, he will use the people around Xiao Chen to indirectly teach Xiao Chen a lesson. Therefore, keeping Mirong Qingshe here can prevent this kind of thing from happening to a certain extent. Mirong Qingshe was also a smart person and did not refuse Ziluo's proposal. Just ask Ziluo to send someone to inform the city lord's palace so that Mirong Fu and Mirong Bo can know the truth. After a brief conversation, Xiao Chen did not stay here and immediately returned to his private room. The other side. After Yang Xiao left the Xian Chamber of Commerce, his face instantly became extremely gloomy. The cold air that spread over his body made Nalan Shiji shiver and he quickly stayed away from the prince. The person named Xiao is very good. Recalling what happened just now, Yang Xiao's eyes flashed with cold light. An 18-year-old young man. Not only is he more handsome than him, but Martial Dao is even more talented than him. Even at a young age, he can become an honorary elder of the Xian Chamber of Commerce, which even surpasses him in terms of status. And when he lowered his face and extended the invitation, the guy refused without even thinking. As the crown prince of Zhenan Palace, no young man has ever dared to deny him face like this. The most important is, Ziluo looked extremely nervous and concerned about this boy named Xiao. If you don't know, I thought this kid was the other party's concubine. As all kinds of thoughts flashed through his mind, Yang Xiao's expression became colder and colder, and there was even a flash of killing intent in his eyes. Your Majesty, do you need me to take action? After feeling the murderous intention in Yang Xiao, the taciturn old man on the side said in a hoarse voice. Need not. Yang Xiao shook his head when he heard this and said in a low voice. Since Ziluo values this boy very much, she will definitely do everything possible to protect him. What's more, this kid's current identity is still the honorary elder of Xian Chamber of Commerce. If we kill this kid, he will be noticed once we leave traces. The Xian Chamber of Commerce and the Zhenan Prince's palace are bound to have a stalemate, and it will no longer be possible for me to get Ziluo. As he spoke, Yang Xiao's eyes flickered and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. First check the information about this person named Xiao, and then we will wait for someone to arrive. He couldn't do anything to Xiao Chen directly, but he could use other people to attack him. As the saying goes, 2 dogs fight, play off. Only stupid people would think of killing people by themselves, while smart people would usually kill people with the help of others. His Royal Highness is wise. Nalan Shiji on the side immediately flattered Yang Xiao after hearing what he said. Then he asked a little cautiously, Your Highness, I wonder who the person we are waiting for is the best. With the current identity and status of the person named Xiao, most people would not have the guts to provoke this guy. Only some people from apex-level forces have the confidence not to be afraid of the Zion Chamber of Commerce. Fire Flame Valley, Duan Haoming. After hearing Nalan Shiji's question, Yang Xiao's mouth showed a hint of seriousness, and he spoke in a low voice. What does His Majesty want to? Nalan Shiji raised his head when he heard this and looked at Yang Xiao in shock. Burning Flame Valley. This is another apex-level force in the Great Qian dynasty, and there are also several celestial human realm powerhouses in the valley. As for Duan Haoming, he has also heard of this name. Of course, it's not that this guy is so awesome, his reputation is enough to resound throughout the Great Qian dynasty. But the other party is a horny and thirsty ghost. Relying on the fact that he is the son of the owner of the Burning Flame Valley, he will do everything possible to get the beauty he likes. Even many female disciples from first-rate forces have been harmed by Duan Haoming. However, these forces did not dare to fight against Fenyan Valley, and they could only settle down after the incident. Unexpectedly, the person Yang Xiao wanted to use this time would be the young master of Fenyan Valley. Could it be that the bait used to lure the other party was Murong Qingshe? What? You have an opinion? Seeing Nalan Shiji making a fuss, Yang Xiao narrowed his eyes slightly and stared at him dangerously. Shiji doesn't dare. Nalan Shiji's expression changed when he heard this, and he quickly shook his head and replied. Murong Qingshe rejected his proposal of marriage and followed Xiao Chen shamelessly. This made him feel great shame. But no matter what, Murong Qingshe was the woman he wanted to get, and now Yang Xiao actually wanted to use her as bait. This made him feel very uncomfortable psychologically. If Duan Haoming is really involved in the future, he won't be able to get Murong Qingshe. Damn it, it seems that we can only wait until Duan Haoming is done having fun first, and then look for a chance to see if he can get in there. Feeling extremely unwilling in his heart, Nalan Shiji thought viciously. No matter if you go first or last. Anyway, as long as he can wash away his shame and vent his long pent-up anger, he will be able to have clear thoughts along the way. Take that, I will keep an eye on the Zion Chamber of Commerce. If there is any trouble, remember to report it to me immediately. When Nalan Shiji was feeling dark and twisted in his heart, Yang Xiao glanced at the building behind him and said to the former in a cold voice. After saying that, Yang Xiao left the Chamber of Commerce without staying. In the wing room, when Yang Xiao and others were planning, Xiao Chen took out the ring given by Zi Luo and gave the recycling order without any hesitation. Ding! The system has recovered all the resources and items in the ring. Congratulations to the host for gaining 514,864 points. Hey, with more than 510,000 points, it's really like reaching the sky in one step. When Xiao Chen heard the system beep, he immediately took a deep breath. The points soared so fast. If he could get a few more batches of resources from the Zion Chamber of Commerce, it would be easy for him to help Kayan upgrade her bloodline. Including the more than 80,000 points I have left before, the points should now exceed 600,000. Remembering that he still had a balance left before, Xiao Chen immediately opened the properties panel. Host. Xiao Chen. Physique. Innate Dao body. Cultivation. 3rd level of Xuandan. Kung Fu. The technique of creating the universe. Divine ability. Heavenly Demon Shadowless Step. Great Wild True Dragon Fist. 5 Elements Heaven Shaking Seal. 9 Turn Golden Body Cover. Points. 608,364. The points have indeed exceeded the 600,000 mark. The background of this top force is indeed terrifying. Looking at the current points value, Xiao Chen couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Just these 2 transactions, it can provide him with nearly 1 million points, and it has not completely squeezed out all resources. If he could integrate all the waste resources of Zion Chamber of Commerce, I'm afraid his points could easily break through the millions mark. We can only take our time. You can't eat a fat man in one bite, so you should digest these points first and turn them into your own strength. At this time, thinking of some things that he had ignored in the past, Xiao Chen couldn't wait to ask the system. Chapter 63. Almost cheating improvement. Xiao Chen's strength improves by leaps and bounds. System, since I can upgrade the martial Dao talent, can I also upgrade my own cultivation, or upgrade my physical strength? As he asked this question, Xiao Chen became a little nervous. Just transmigrate here. What she has been thinking about is collecting resources to redeem points, and then helping Kyan hide her identity and restore her cultivation. He even helped Kyan upgrade his bloodline, giving him hope of breaking through to the Saint Realm. This will allow you to have one more powerful Saint Realm guardian. Under this psychological influence, he ignored some details of himself, and only then did he realize it. If he could upgrade his cultivation and physical body, his strength would undergo an earth-shaking transformation. Ding. The upgrade function can only upgrade the quality of the target object, which means it will undergo a certain level of transformation. There is no way to directly enhance the strength of the upgraded item. When Xiao Chen was looking forward to it, the system's mechanical answer made Xiao Chen feel cold. Sure enough, it doesn't work. He also thought that he could upgrade and strengthen his physical body, so that his strength would increase by leaps and bounds. Directly strengthen his body to heavenly rank supreme grade, and he will instantly have the strength to rival the celestial human realm. Unfortunately, upgrading is not strengthening, so this method doesn't work. Ding. Although the upgrade function cannot directly strengthen the physical body, it can also be used to assist the host in improving its own cultivation. For example, the host can upgrade the quality of the true essence, or the quality of its own soul body. When Xiao Chen felt depressed, the system suddenly reminded him. Yes, upgrading the quality of your true energy and soul body can also improve your strength to a great extent. Xiao Chen's eyes instantly lit up when he heard this. He was so eager for success that he ignored the fundamentals. After upgrading the quality of his true essence, he can completely crush others at the same level. And upgrading the soul quality. Not only can he possess super strong soul perception, but he can also possess a monster understanding that is far beyond ordinary people, and can easily control his own surge in power. These are all great ways to transform his strength. When the thought falls, Xiao Chen raised his hand to condense a ball of true energy, and the 5 colors of light flickered on and off, looking a bit dreamlike. This is the 5 elements true essence condensed after practicing the art of creating the universe. The art of creating the universe has 3 stages, namely the 5 elements chapter, the yin-yang chapter, and the creation chapter. Only when the quality of the true essence changes and my cultivation reaches the corresponding level, can I practice other subsequent chapters. Looking at the ball of 5 elements true yuan in front of him, Xiao Chen couldn't help but his eyes flickered. He has been practicing for less than 10 days. Although with the help of external forces, his cultivation has now reached the 3rd level of Xuanden. But because the cultivation level improved too quickly, there was no certain accumulation. The quality of his 5 elements true essence is now only a low-grade profound rank. Even if he practices emperor-level skills, he does not have a lot of time to condense his true energy, and the quality of his true energy is not much better than others. If the quality of my true energy can be improved to heavenly rank supreme grade, I'm afraid I can crush anyone in the same realm. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen felt excited and immediately ordered the system. System, upgrade the quality of my true essence to heavenly rank supreme grade. Ding. The system has deducted 38,000 points and is upgrading the quality of the host's true essence. As the system prompt tone fell, a burst of white light shone. The 5 elements of essence in Xiao Chen's body also violently rioted at this moment. The 5 elements of light seemed to contain the universe, illuminating the entire wing like a dream. The true essence in Xiao Chen's body suddenly shrank sharply, and the true essence continued to condense and transform. In just a short moment, the quality transformed from profound rank to heavenly rank supreme grade. This function of the system is really abnormal. Feeling that the true energy in his body had shrunk by nearly half, Xiao Chen's face showed a look of shock. According to his normal cultivation, if the 5 elements true yuan were to be promoted to heavenly rank supreme grade, it would not be possible within a few years. But now that he can use the system function, he only needs to spend more than 30,000 points to enjoy it in advance. Sure enough, it's that simple to open up a cultivating life and increase your strength. Although my true essence has shrunk by nearly half, my strength has doubled. Feeling the 5 elements true essence that was far more powerful than before, Xiao Chen's eyes showed a bright light. If his true essence quality before was a wooden rod, now it has transcended the stone rod and transformed directly into an iron rod. The same ray of true energy. The combat effectiveness that can be exerted is completely different from before. Next, first improve the quality of your soul, and then calm down and restore your cultivation. Feeling a feeling of deficit in his dantian, Xiao Chen did not choose to recover immediately, but issued another upgrade command to the system. System, upgrade the quality of my soul body to heavenly rank supreme grade. Ding. The system has deducted 29,000 points and is upgrading the quality of the host's soul body. Perhaps it's because of the transmigrate, the soul of the original owner of Integrated Union. The quality of his soul body is a little better than that of ordinary people. Therefore, upgrading to heavenly rank supreme grade requires fewer points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for accidentally triggering a 10,000-fold blessing explosion rate. The quality of the soul body has been upgraded to supreme grade. The soul body has successfully transformed into a Bodhi enlightenment soul. Boom. As the system prompt tone suddenly fell, Xiao Chen felt a roar in his mind, and his whole body was like an astral projection of his soul. He was actually observing the changes in this world from a very strange perspective. And his sea of consciousness was expanding crazily at this time, and his soul power was soaring like crazy. Even as Xiao Chen entered the state of enlightenment, the surrounding spiritual energy gathered crazily. The 5 elements true essence in his body, which had shrunk in half due to the quality transformation, also condensed and soared crazily at this moment. Cultivation is as simple as drinking water. The 4th level of Xuanden. The 5th level of Xuanden. In less than half a day, Xiao Chen's cultivation level has broken through from the 3rd level of Zondan to the 6th level of Zondan, and he has no intention of stopping. Although the speed of breakthrough has gradually slowed down, this breakthrough is still ongoing. Time comes the next day. When Xiao Chen fell into an epiphany and breakthrough, Tianducheng gradually became boiling. A lot of news was released with the auction of Xi'an Chamber of Commerce. It is claimed that the items in this auction include not only various rare treasures, but also rare supreme grade elixirs. Among them were the Xuanqing Snow Lotus Pill and the Resurrection Purple Pill, which not only shocked the entire Guangzhou, but also other regions. The 5 major apex-level forces of Great Qian Dynasty all sent people here in unison. Inside Tiandu City, strong men from big forces could be seen everywhere, and several conflicts even broke out, which gave Marong Fu a headache. Fortunately, after refining the Soul Resurrection Purple Pill, Marong Bo finally returned to the 2nd level of universal truth. After leaving customs, with that powerful cultivation level, he can still suppress some young people. And as Marong Bo came out of seclusion, he also showed his cultivation level. Some practitioners in Tiandu City who knew Marong Bo felt unprecedented shock in the past 2 days. Out of curiosity, one by one began to inquire about Marong Bo. After all, Marong Bo was once a strong man in the universal truth realm, but he became a cripple due to an accident. This is something almost everyone knows in Tiandu City. But now the opponent has not only recovered from his injuries, but his cultivation has also returned to the 2nd level of universal truth. This inevitably makes people curious. So, with the help of some witnesses and interested people that day, things about Xiao Chen and the Marong family also began to spread in Tiandu City. Chapter 64. The topic has been opened, it's time to prepare for the trap. Zaixianju. The famous tea house in Tiandu City has a variety of new and old teas. The old tea is warm and fragrant, with a silky and mellow taste. Although the sales are not comparable to some new teas. But the charm that takes years to brew is still liked by many people. Although the first taste of new tea will be a bit green and astringent. But with its good presentation and endless aftertaste, many people linger over it. At the same time, in the Tianzihao wing of Zaixianju. Ha ha ha, so cool. He held 2 charming women on his left and right, and watched one washing chopsticks. Feeling the unique gongfu tea of Zaixianju, Duan Haoming shuddered and said with a wild smile. Yang Xiao, this feels really good, do you really don't want to vent your anger? After saying that, Duan Haoming tasted the tea greedily like an addict again. It's just some vulgar food. You really are not picky about food. Yang Xiao glanced at the unsightly scene in front of him, and spoke with a slight disdain, and there was even a flash of disgust in his eyes. The women in these tea houses, although there are many very good-looking ones, they are all rotten losers. As the eldest son of Zhenan Palace, he is not so hungry. Ha ha ha, a jade arm can be used as a pillow for thousands of people, and a touch of red lips can be tasted by thousands of people. Sometimes just going with the flow can make you laugh at life. Duan Haoming didn't care at all when he heard this. After laughing loudly, he took another big mouthful like a wild boar eating cabbage. Yang Xiao's head was covered with black lines. Nalan Shiji on the side looked suddenly enlightened. There are even some who are ready to move and seem to want to go up and have a chat. Savor the various aspects of life, walk the twists and turns that others have walked, and experience the warmth that others have had. It seems that there is really a different life experience. It is rumored that Fenyan Valley practices the most yang and strong fire attribute skills. As the level of cultivation increases, the yang energy in the body becomes more restless and fire attribute toxins are formed. If you don't have sex with women regularly, the fire poison in your body will burn your heart and make the practitioner feel unbearable pain. In the past, I thought it was just a rumor, but now that Brother Duan is like this, it really is true. Looking at Duan Haoming's ugly appearance, Yang Xiao suddenly smiled lightly. After saying these words, Duan Haoming immediately moved his hands, raised his head and stared at Yang Xiao unkindly. What do you mean? The core skills of Burning Flame Valley are the same as those of 10,000 Flowers Valley, which are all derived from an incomplete saint rank skill. Although through the efforts of several generations, the technique has been improved a lot. But there are still some sequelae. These are not secrets in the Great Qian dynasty, but saying them in front of him is a bit provocative. Brother Duan, don't get me wrong. Seeing Duan Haoming's unkind look, Yang Xiao immediately smiled and explained. My prince is just thinking that since the Burning Flame Valley technique has sequelae, it will leave fire poison in the cultivator's body. And it takes the help of a woman's yin qi to suppress this special fire poison. Brother Duan, why don't you find a woman with body of pure yin? The nourishing effect is much stronger than these women. After saying this, Yang Xiao took a sip of tea, and a strange look flashed in his eyes. The topic has been opened and it's time to prepare for the trap. HMPH, do you think the woman with body of pure yin is just a cabbage that can be picked up on the roadside? Except for Wanwaman, how many women with this special physique can you see elsewhere? Hearing Yang Xiao's stupid question, Duan Haoming couldn't help but snorted. For Burning Flame Valley, women with body of pure yin really make them covetous. But there are too few such women. As far as they know, Wanhwa only has a few. As for other places, trying to find a woman with body of pure yin among millions of people is no different from finding a heavenly rank supreme grade spirit medicine among hundreds of thousands of people. That's why Fenyangu covets women from Wanwaman very much, but Wanwaman is also very special because of its skills. After practicing, not only will your hair become gray, but the relationship between men and women will also become cold. This also leads to the 10,000 Flowers Gate. Regardless of whether it is the sect leader, the elders, or the many female disciples, they basically do not have companions. It is almost more difficult for them in Fenyan Valley to obtain the women of Wanwaman than to break through to the celestial human realm. What you said. Could it be that you want to encourage this young master to rob the woman from Wanwaman? During the turning of thoughts, Duan Haoming seemed to have thought of something, staring at the other party with rather unkind eyes. Once upon a time, a high-ranking figure in the Burning Flame Valley had a bad idea and captured a body of pure yin from the Wanhwa sect as a furnace tonic. It didn't take long for things to come to light. This led to a tragic battle between Burning Flame Valley and Wanwaman, which shocked the entire Great Qian dynasty. Could it be that His Highness the Crown Prince wants to use him to make the two top forces fight again so that the Zhenin Palace can benefit from it? Brother Duan misunderstood. We have known each other for such a long time. It is not an exaggeration to say that we are like brothers. How could I encourage you to do such a thing? It's just that I happened to meet a body of pure yin yesterday when I was at Xi'an Chamber of Commerce. Yang Xiao smiled lightly and waved his hand when he heard this, and replied with a spring breeze in his voice. Have you met those girls from Wanwaman? Yang Xiao had just finished speaking, and Duan Haoming said without interest. If it was a group of girls from Wanwaman, it would be normal for body of pure yin to appear. No, she is the daughter of the Lord of Tiandu City, not the group of white-haired girls from Wanwaman. Yang Xiao shook his head when he heard this, and said in a meaningful voice. Tiandu City Lord's Mansion. Hearing Yang Xiao's words, Duan Haoming's eyes suddenly lit up and he stared at Yang Xiao fiercely. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Are you really not a girl from Wanwaman? Absolutely true. Seeing that Duan Haoming was about to take the bait, Yang Xiao raised the corners of his mouth. Actually, the daughter of the city lord's palace was originally this boy's fiancée, but she encountered some changes along the way. With that said, Yang Xiao roughly told Duan Haoming about Marong Qingshe. You mean, after Marong Qingshe was cured, in order to please the young master who treated her, she not only forcibly broke off the engagement with this boy, but also shamelessly tried to turn against him. Hearing Yang Xiao say these things, Duan Haoming frowned slightly and glanced at Nalan Shiji. So you want me, young master, to help this kid vent his anger? As the eldest son of Zhenin Palace, if you want to help your younger brother vent his anger, will you need to trouble him? Is there any ulterior purpose? Brother Duan, it's not that you don't know. My prince is pursuing Miss Ziluo, and the young master who cured Murong Qingshe seems to have an unusual relationship with the Xian Chamber of Commerce. If I weren't worried about upsetting Ziluo, why would I bother Brother Duan to take action? After Yang Xiao finished speaking, he took a sip of tea. Seeing that Duan Haoming still had doubts, he could only sigh and continue. But the daughter of the city lord's palace is really the supreme grade. If this prince hadn't wanted to pursue Ziluo, I would have wanted to tame her and make her my concubine. Ha ha ha, I really thought that this young master couldn't see your thoughts. Do you want to use this young master as a gunman so that you can teach that so-called young master a lesson? Hearing Yang Xiao say this, Duan Haoming seemed to have figured something out. He immediately exposed Yang Xiao with a sneer, causing the other party's expression to stiffen slightly. Chapter 65 Old Man, the dandy young master you are talking about. Are you talking about this young master? Ha ha ha, Brother Duan really has a sharp eye and can actually see this. After his eyes flickered slightly, Yang Xiao did not object at this time. Instead, he smiled somewhat self-deprecatingly. When I saw that boy today, he has a close relationship with Miss Ziluo, I couldn't hold my breath in my heart. But my prince cares about Miss Ziluo, so I can't offend Miss Ziluo. I can't find an opportunity to teach this kid a lesson. So when I mentioned this to Brother Duan today, I did have some selfish motives in it. Seeing that Duan Haoming was not easy to fool, Yang Xiao could only turn to his heart. As he spoke, a look of decadence appeared on his face, and he seemed a little unwilling. My prince is sincere towards Miss Ziluo, but she only cares about a boy from the mountains. This makes me feel very unwilling. After speaking, Yang Xiao took a sip of tea, as if he wanted to use tea instead of wine to release the accumulated anger in his heart. That boy. Is he really from the mountains? Duan Haoming narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard this, and asked with some meaningful words. Although he is lustful and somewhat arrogant, but he is not a brainless second-generation ancestor. If he were just a mountain savage, how could he be so fearful as the heir apparent of Zhenin Palace that he would not dare to take action? Instead, he tried his best to drag him, the young master of Burning Flame Valley, into the water. This undoubtedly reflects a message that Yang Xiao is a little afraid of that boy. Well, before I clean up Brother Duan's fate, I asked someone to investigate. There is no information about this person among the forces that can be ranked in the Great Qian dynasty. I only know that there is a woman in red accompanying this boy, who is a strong man from the Universal Truth Realm. I think he must be a mountain boy who was lucky and got some kind of inheritance. Yang Xiao nodded when he heard this, without any concealment. After all, there are top forces behind them, and even their father is a celestial human realm powerhouse. A strong man of Universal Truth Realm. In the eyes of people like them, there is no threat at all. If that's the case, this young master can help you test the depth of this boy. Of course, you have to perform well afterwards. After a moment of silence, Duan Haoming said to Yang Xiao with twinkling eyes, look between his eyebrows. As long as Brother Duan can help me vent my anger, I will definitely satisfy you in the future. Yang Xiao smiled lightly and replied. But when his eyes were lowered, a cold light flashed deep in his eyes. Ha ha ha, it's better to choose the right day than to hit the sun. Now, I, the young master, will go and see this little girl with the body of pure yin. After hearing Yang Xiao's answer, Duan Haoming laughed immediately, then pushed the woman beside him, stood up and walked out of the room. Now we know that there is a stunning beauty from body of pure yin, and she is not the girls from Wanwaman. If he doesn't help the other party bloom the buds, he will not be worthy of his title of Run to Jushi. Yang Xiao and others' eyes flickered, and then they all walked out of Zaixianju. No matter what, even though this process was a bit frustrating, Duan Haoming saw through his thoughts. But as long as this kid goes to find Murong Qingshe, he will conflict with Xiao Chen no matter what. His goal has been achieved. Xian Chamber of Commerce Hall. As Mr. Xiao still out of seclusion, Cloud Mountain saw Murong Qingshe coming out for air, and immediately walked over and asked with a smile. The auction will be held tomorrow, but Xiao Chen is in retreat at this time. It made him feel a little surprised. No, the young master should be in seclusion to break through the cultivation level. He is almost out of seclusion. Murong Qingshe shook her head when she heard this. Xiao Chen is very interested in this auction, and he will definitely not miss the auction because of the retreat, unless something unexpected happens to the other party during the retreat. Since Mr. Xiao is sensible, I won't disturb him. Cloud Mountain stroked his beard when he heard this, and then said in a serious voice as if he thought of something. Miss Qingshe, there have been a lot of dandy brothers coming to Tiandu City in the past 2 days. If you have nothing to do, it's better to show less face. Murong Qingshe was extremely beautiful and even had a certain pure yin physique. For some strong people, this is undoubtedly the supreme grade dual cultivation cauldron. The tricky thing is, although Murong Qingshe has a certain financial background, it is nothing to the apex level forces. So if someone from the apex level force or some young masters were to target him, Murong Qingshe would be in a lot of trouble. Old man, the dandy boy you are talking about. Are you talking about this young master? Just as Cloud Mountain finished speaking, a burst of wild laughter suddenly came from behind, causing Cloud Mountain to frown. How dare you call him an old man in the Hall of Zion Chamber of Commerce? This guy is no ordinary madman. Hiss, this guy is. When his face turned ugly, Cloud Mountain also turned around and looked at the person. However, after seeing the other party's appearance and the flame suit, Cloud Mountain's expression instantly changed. If he read correctly, this should be the youngest son of Duan Yantian, the master of Fenyan Valley. Duan Haoming, a person who is as lustful as life and behaves arrogantly and domineeringly. Relying on the fact that he is the son of the owner of Burning Flame Valley, he has raped young girls in many places. Unexpectedly, Fenyan Valley would send this guy here this time. Now Murong Qingshe was in trouble. Ha ha ha, it turns out to be Mr. Duan from Burning Flame Valley. I'm sorry that I'm so far away. I hope you can forgive me. After his eyes flickered, Cloud Mountain immediately laughed. Then he used his true energy to transmit his voice and said to Murong Qingshe. Don't look at him, get in quickly. Now, he could only divert the other party's attention, hoping to make Murong Qingshe leave first. When Murong Qingshe heard the words, she understood immediately, turned around and walked towards the Chamber of Commerce. Wait a minute, does this young master let you go? Seeing Murong Qingshe turn around and leave, Duan Haoming's eyes showed a hint of teasing. The figure swayed slightly and turned into an afterimage, immediately appearing in front of Murong Qingshe. His talent is only Earth rank supreme grade, which is not that amazing among the younger generation of apex level forces. But under the training of Fenyan Valley, still at the age of 25, he successfully broke through to the 5th level of Xuanden. At this distance, it is very easy to stop someone. This young master, we are strangers to each other, please get out of the way. Looking at Duan Haoming appearing in front of him, Murong Qingshe forced himself to calm down and spoke in a cold voice. Ha ha ha, we really didn't know each other before, but don't we know each other from now on? Duan Haoming couldn't help laughing wildly when he heard this and stared at Murong Qingshe with burning eyes. It is indeed a body of pure yin, and they seemed to be much more advanced than the women he had seen at Wanwaman. Just smelling the pure yin aura emanating from Murong Qingshui's body could make the energy and blood all over his body become as manic as a wild beast. This woman is definitely a supreme grade. If you can get the opponent's primordial yin, not only can the fire poison in his body be purified, but his cultivation level can also improve by leaps and bounds. Chapter 66. This shameless scum actually threatened her like this. Master, please respect yourself. Seeing Duan Haoming staring at her like a hungry wolf, Murong Qingshui's expression became even colder, and after a reminder, she wanted to leave again. Mr. Xiao is still in seclusion now. She can't cause trouble here and must get out as soon as possible. Miss Murong, after all, I am also the young master of Burning Flame Valley. Doesn't it seem bad that you are so disrespectful? Seeing that Murong Qingshe wanted to leave again, Duan Haoming sneered in a serious voice. Young master of Burning Flame Valley. Hearing Duan Haoming reveal his identity and background, Murong Qingshui's body suddenly stiffened, and his face turned pale. Burning Flame Valley. She often heard her grandfather and father mention that this was one of the 5 apex-level forces in the Great Qian dynasty, and its power base was enough to easily destroy the entire Tiandu city. And because they have practiced some kind of incomplete fire attribute holy art, every strong man in Burning Flame Valley is a lustful person. He has an indescribable possessiveness towards the woman who possesses extreme yin physique. She didn't expect that the man who had thoughts about her would be one of the young masters of Fenyan Valley. What should I do now? After knowing Duan Haoming's identity, Murong Qingshui's heart sank to the bottom. She has the body of Taiyan Xuanxiao, and she has a fatal attraction to the people of Burning Flame Valley. No wonder the way this guy looked at her was so hot that it was hard to look directly at her. Ha ha ha, Mr. Duan, I'm really sorry. Miss Murong was invited by Our Lady. She said she has something important to discuss. Our Lady should be waiting impatiently now. If you have anything to do with Miss Murong, let's talk about it after she comes out. Just when Murong Qingshui couldn't help clenching her fists and thinking about how to escape, Cloud Mountain's voice came from behind again. This made her eyes light up instantly, and she immediately understood what Cloud Mountain meant. Duan Haoming's identity is very different. The only person who can protect her now is the eldest lady Zi Luo. When the thought falls, Murong Qingshui said nothing and walked towards the depths of the Chamber of Commerce again. Old guy, you have come to interfere with my young master's actions once or twice. Do you really think that because you are from the Xian Chamber of Commerce, my young master will take action? Seeing Murong Qingshui trying to bypass him and entering the Chamber of Commerce, Duan Haoming snorted with a gloomy expression. Immediately afterwards, an old man in red appeared strangely around him, causing Cloud Mountain's pupils to shrink violently at this moment. Universal Truth Realm Strong Man. If you say any more nonsense, I will let him destroy you. As Duan Haoming finished speaking, the old man in red raised his eyes slightly, and his terrifying energy was locked on Cloud Mountain. It seems that as long as Cloud Mountain says another word, he will directly take action to destroy him. After giving Cloud Mountain a stern warning, Duan Haoming appeared in front of Murong Qingshui again, looking at him with a wicked smile on his lips. The impeccable appearance, the curvy figure, and this virgin fragrance are really intoxicating. After finishing his filthy words, Duan Haoming lowered his voice and continued. Miss Murong, there has been some unrest in Tiandu City recently. You don't want anything to happen to your grandfather and father, right? Hearing Duan Haoming's words, Murong Qingshui suddenly raised her head and couldn't help clenching her fists tightly. This shameless scum actually threatened her like this. Hey, don't worry. As long as you stay with me and serve me well from now on, I won't do anything to your family. Seeing Murong Qingshui's expression change into a gloomy one, Duan Haoming's expression also became more and more lustful. As he spoke, he even approached Murong Qingshui step by step, raising his hand to touch Murong Qingshui's chin. You're dreaming. Seeing that Duan Haoming's finger was about to touch her, Murong Qingshui burst into cultivation at this moment. He stomped the floor directly and shot towards the depths of the Chamber of Commerce. Still want to run? Seeing that Murong Qingshui did not accept the threat, Duan Haoming's eyes flashed with a cold light. His cultivation level also exploded at this moment, and his big hand grabbed Murong Qingshui directly. The more Murong Qingshui resisted, the more excited he felt. When he was captured, he wanted to take a good look. How loyal can this wealthy young lady be? A sudden scene. The expressions of many people in the Chamber of Commerce hall changed, but no one dared to stand up and stop him at this time. Although Cloud Mountain wanted to go up and help, but he was locked tightly by a strong man from the Universal Truth Realm, and even if he was worried, he couldn't help at this time. At the age of 18, he has reached the second level of spiritual aperture. It is indeed a rare supreme grade cauldron. Feeling the aura of cultivation surging from Murong Qingshui's body, Duan Haoming's words echoed in the hall with excitement. From now on, you are my young master's man. But just when Duan Haoming's words were still echoing in the hall, his right hand was about to grab Murong Qingshui's back. Suddenly there were flower petals passing by in the hall, and a cold voice echoed. Robbing a common girl in broad daylight is truly a beast of the Burning Flame Valley. Hiss. The next moment, there was a sharp sound breaking through the air. Those petals were like magical weapons, shooting towards Duan Haoming in an instant. Young master, be careful. This sudden change caused the old man's complexion to change. The figure appeared next to Duan Haoming like a ghost, condensing into a fire attribute barrier with his wave of hands, and shook together with the petals. The terrible impact swept across like a storm, and the entire Chamber of Commerce shook violently. Duan Haoming staggered and almost pounced on a dog. The other cultivators in the hall were even more frightened and fled in panic. How dare you take action against this young master? After barely stabilizing his body, Duan Haoming suddenly raised his head and roared with rage. Just a little bit. He could catch Murong Qingshui and tear her clothes to pieces on the spot. While listening to the other party's screams, He took this woman back to process it, but he didn't expect anyone to dare to take action against him. It's your aunt. In a cold voice, several figures with snow-white hair slowly appeared in the hall. A terrible chill spread instantly, causing Duan Haoming's pupils to shrink. Girls from Wanwaman. Looking at a few familiar faces walking in, Duan Haoming's expression became very gloomy. The leader is a white-haired woman. Although I don't know her name, she should be the elder of Wanhwa sect. As for the other two women, he was no stranger to them. They are all true disciples of Wanhwa sect. One named Nangong Jing, martial Dao's talent has reached the heavenly rank. He has cultivated to the 8th level of Xuandan at the age of only 23. Regardless of his talent and cultivation, he can suppress his existence. Image of Nangong Jing. The other one is named Li Wanqing, although he is only 19 years old. However, his talent has reached the astonishing heavenly rank supreme grade, and he has cultivated to the 7th level of spiritual aperture at a young age. He is the most devilishly gifted being among the younger generation of Wanhwa sect. These two people are both disciples of the master of Wanhwa sect. They did not expect to meet each other in Tiandu City this time. They really are enemies on a narrow road. This woman has nothing to do with your Wanhwa sect. Are you trying to start a war by interfering? Duan Haoming glanced at the three people coldly, and shouted in a low voice with a gloomy expression. I thought that the one who came to the rescue would be the young master behind Marong Qingshe, but I didn't expect that a Wanwaman suddenly came out. This made him feel very troubled. Chapter 67. It doesn't matter, I was just showing off just now. Who said she has nothing to do with our Wanhwa sect? When Duan Haoming finished speaking, Nangong Jing walked straight to the middle of the hall and stared at Duan Haoming indifferently. Then he pointed at Marong Qingshe and said in a cold voice. She is my master's newly accepted disciple. If you attack her so unscrupulously, do you think our Wanhwa sect is easy to bully? After saying that, Nangong Jing's eyes flashed with a cold light, as if she couldn't help but take action the next moment. Marong Qingshe was confused when she heard this. When did she become a disciple of Wanhwa sect? FK your motherfucker. Duan Haoming became furious when he heard this, and uttered a curse word without thinking. This bitch was so indifferent 2 days ago. She stayed in the city lord's palace and never left the house. In just 2 days, she was accepted as a disciple by your master. Why don't you tell me? Your master cured her red hair. As far as he knows, the leader of the Wanhwa sect has been in seclusion for the past 2 years. It is suspected that his practice has suffered some backlash. If Marong Qingshe was really accepted as a disciple by the master of the Wanhwa sect, would he be allowed to stay alone in the Xian Chamber of Commerce? If you don't accept it, let's have a fight. Hearing Duan Haoming's vulgar words, Nangong Jing frowned slightly and shouted in a cold voice. Next moment, without any unnecessary nonsense, Nangong Jing directly burst into cultivation and headed towards Duan Haoming in an instant. Damn crazy woman, your grandma's. Seeing Nangong Jing's explosive shot coming, Duan Haoming's expression changed and he retreated crazily as his cultivation level exploded. At the same time, he yelled at the old man in red. Stop her. In order to reach the 8th level of Zondan, Nangong Jingsho was 3 levels higher than him. If he fights with this woman, he can only be completely tortured. Almost as soon as Duan Haoming's words came out, the figure of the old man in red had become blurry, and he rushed towards Nangong Jing like a ghost. But also in this moment, the elder of Wanhwa sect, who had been silent all this time, suddenly had flower petals flying out from around him. The whole person was like a ghost among the flowers, disappearing in a flash. Boom. The next moment, as several figures collided with each other, a dull explosion sounded like thunder. Duan Haoming was slapped far away by Nangong Jing, and almost flew out of the Xian Chamber of Commerce Hall like garbage. Han Xinyue, do you really want to start a war? Seeing Duan Haoming being slapped away by Nangong Jing, the old man in red stared at the elders of Wanwaman with a serious look. Let's compete among the juniors. Do you need to rise to the sect? After hearing the words of the old man in red, Han Xinyue said calmly. Ever since Wanhwa sect and Fenyan Valley broke up with each other 30 years ago, conflicts between the two sects have often broken out. Fights between juniors are common. But as long as there are no very serious consequences, the opponent's cultivation will be ruined, or the opponent will be blown away. The two major sects will not completely break up again. Guys, although we are all guests, it seems against the rules for you to fight like this, right? Just when the old man in red heard this, his face became gloomy and his aura became more and more violent. As a cold voice came over, Ziluo and her protector also appeared in the hall. Seeing that the floor of the hall was shattered, the surrounding area also looked a bit messy. Ziluo glanced at Nangong Jing, Duan Haoming and others, and continued with a somewhat cold voice. No matter which one of you strikes first, all damage to the Chamber of Commerce Hall must be compensated according to the price today. Besides, if anyone dares to cause trouble on the Xi'an Chamber of Commerce's territory again, the Xi'an Chamber of Commerce will blacklist this person permanently. Hearing Ziluo's cold words, Nangong Jing and others restrained their breath, and continued to attack without hesitation. You stinky bitch, I will definitely repay you for today's debt in the future. Duan Haoming stabilized the surging energy and blood in his body, shouted coldly to Nangong Jing, and then casually threw a space ring to Cloud Mountain. Let's go. Although the Xi'an Chamber of Commerce and Fenyan Valley are not afraid of them, they still cannot offend them. After all, the connections the Xi'an Chamber of Commerce has and the ability to collect resources are beyond their reach in Fenyan Valley. In this situation, it is no longer possible to take Murong Qingshe away by force. We can only wait until the auction is over to see if we can find an opportunity. Miss Ziluo, I had no choice but to cause trouble for you just now. Seeing Duan Haoming leaving with a frustrated expression, Nangong Jing turned around and said to Ziluo. It doesn't matter, I was just showing off just now. Miss Murong is a friend of an elder of my Xi'an Chamber of Commerce. If you hadn't taken action in time just now, I'm afraid we would have encountered a lot of trouble. Ziluo waved her hands after hearing this. What happened just now? Cloud Mountain just sent her a message. She didn't expect that some things she arranged for the auction in the backstage of the Chamber of Commerce would have such a change in the Chamber of Commerce Hall. It seems that she was a little careless for a while. Fortunately, nothing happened to Murong Qingshe, otherwise it would be difficult to explain to Xiao Chen. Murong Qingshe would like to thank you all for your generous help. After Ziluo finished speaking, Murong Qingshe saluted Nangong Jing and others. If these people hadn't taken action today, even if Ziluo could come to stop her later, she would have been molested by Duan Haoming. Therefore, Nangong Jing and others took action in time to preserve her innocence. So your name is Murong Qingshe, which is quite a nice name. Li Wanqing looked at Murong Qingshe with some curiosity, looking at the other person's plump and proud features like hers. A look of surprise immediately appeared on his face. What an exquisite beauty. Not only does he have a special pure yin physique like her, but his appearance and figure are not inferior to hers at all. If she can really be accepted as a junior sister, then her ranking will not be the smallest. Image of Li Wanqing. My name is Nangong Jing, this is my junior sister Li Wanqing, and this is Han Xinyue, the elder of Wanhua sect. After Li Wanqing spoke, Nangong Jing also gave a brief introduction and stared at Murong Qingshe with burning eyes. Miss Murong, you have some kind of special pure yin constitution, are you willing to join my Wanhua sect? Although my master has not yet left seclusion, I can represent my master by accepting you as a registered disciple. When my master comes out of seclusion in the future, I will formally worship her as my master. After saying these words, Murong Qingshe was slightly startled, and the surroundings fell into deathly silence. Ziluo looked at several people with strange eyes. During Xiao Chen's retreat in the past 2 days, she also saw how extraordinary Murong Qingshe was and also extended an invitation to him. However, she was rejected by Murong Qingshe, which made her feel a little regretful. Unexpectedly, Wanwaman also focused on this body of pure yin. Qingshe appreciates your kindness. It's just that Qingshe has vowed to follow Mr. Xiao throughout her life, so she can only disappoint a few people. Murong Qingshe shook her head when she heard this and refused without any hesitation. In this life, she only belongs to Xiao Chen, and she will not leave unless the other party sternly expels her. What? After hearing Murong Qingshui's answer, whether it was Nangong Jing or Li Wanqing, they couldn't help but widen their eyes with a look of shock on their faces. Wanwaman, however, one of the apex-level forces within the Great Qian dynasty, is still a sect composed entirely of women. With a prominent reputation in the Great Qian dynasty, it is the sacred land that countless women dream of cultivating. Unexpectedly, Murong Qingshe refused without even thinking, and on the premise of becoming the disciple of the sect master. Chapter 68. Are you sure? Mr. Xiao inside is really only 18 years old. Miss Murong, are you sure you won't think about it again? After feeling very puzzled in her heart, Nangong Jing asked again. I've made up my mind and I'm really sorry. Marong Qingshe shook her head when she heard this, without any wavering on her face. This life. It would definitely be her greatest honor in this life if she could always be by Xiao Chen's side. Who are you talking about, Mr. Xiao? After hearing Marong Qingshui's unwavering answer, Li Wanqing asked curiously. This was a beautiful woman who was no weaker than her. What kind of man could she be that could make her fascinated? Master Xiao is a handsome and remarkable being. Marong Qingshui's face was filled with admiration and happiness when she heard this. Even her eyes became blurry as she spoke, like an infatuated girl who fell in love. Ahem, Miss Marong, let's go inside and talk. Zi Luo on the side saw Marong Qingshe like this and saw many people talking in the hall, so she immediately interrupted her fugue with a dry cough. After saying that, Zi Luo walked into the Chamber of Commerce first, and Marong Qingshe also came to her senses. Seeing that Nangong Jing and Li Wanqing both looked puzzled, she couldn't help but blush, and immediately followed Zi Luo's footsteps. The other side. Duan Haoming walked out of the Chamber of Commerce with a gloomy face and looked inside the Chamber of Commerce with a stern look. Wanwaman, when my father comes back from the endless desert, I want you little bitches to surrender under the crotch of Burning Flame Valley. Duan Haoming couldn't help but reveal a ferocious look on his face when he thought of his father, Duan Yantian, taking two of the celestial human realm powerhouses from the Burning Flame Valley to the endless desert to conquer a cluster of thousand-year earth core fire. If his father can successfully capture strange fire and successfully refine it, he may become the strongest person in the celestial human realm. By then, besides the old immortal who has reached Saint Realm, who else will be his father's opponent? And Wanwaman, it will become their furnace cauldron in the Burning Flame Valley. Brother Duan, is everything going well? When Duan Haoming's expression changed in gloom and uncertainty, Yang Xiao and his party also came over at this moment. It's so smooth. Hearing Yang Xiao's words full of hypocrisy, Duan Haoming felt like he had been stepped on. He shouted angrily with a cold voice. The girls from Wanwaman are here early and late, but they have arrived at the Chamber of Commerce at this juncture. You must have all seen it just now, why didn't you help me stop them? If the girls from Wanwaman hadn't appeared, he might have been able to kidnap Marong Qingshe. When the time comes, it is a foregone conclusion that the flower will bloom with two petals. What can the Wanwaman do to him? I didn't expect the people from Wanhwa sect to appear. This can only be said to be a variable. When Duan Haoming reprimanded him angrily, Yang Xiao was not angry, but said in a solemn tone. Marong Qingshe was able to escape for a while, but not forever. Brother Duan has no chance. As long as we can capture her family. FKU. Before Yang Xiao finished speaking, he was interrupted by Duan Haoming. Do you really think that I am an idiot? Now that bitch has been discovered by the people from the Wanhwa sect, she will definitely be taken under the Wanhwa sect. Maybe she will be the disciple of that old bitch Luo Lingshuang. You asked me to kidnap her family now. Do you want Fenyan Valley to start a war with Wanhwa clan, right? Besides, the Marong family now has a strong man from the Universal Truth Realm. How can such a being be kidnapped so easily? After coldly reprimanding Yang Xiao and spraying him bloody, Duan Haoming left directly with the old man in red. Yang Xiao was left stunned on the spot, his face instantly turning livid. You. What did you say? You had a physical problem before, which caused you to have red hair and an unknown dye. Was it Mr. Xiao who cured you and allowed you to achieve your current level of cultivation? Listening to Marong Qingshe talking about what happened between her and Xiao Chen, Nangong Jing and Li Wanqing couldn't help but widen their eyes. I didn't expect Marong Qingshe to have such a past. The two of them, one has the Xuanian ice spirit body, the other has the extreme yin heaven spiritual vein, both have very powerful pure yin physiques. But they are not like Marong Qingshe, who will suffer from the backlash of the original yin qi and their fate is unknown. And when the physique is activated, the cultivation level will be improved. But it is far less exaggerated than Marong Qingshe, who directly upgraded from the body tempering realm to the spiritual aperture realm. The opponent's physique should be more advanced than theirs. Well, so Qingshe swears. As long as the young master doesn't dislike him, I will definitely follow him. Marong Qingshe nodded when she heard this, and replied firmly. It seems that Mr. Xiao is really something extraordinary. Seeing Marong Qingshui's appearance as an infatuated girl, Nangong Jing and Li Wanqing also became interested in Xiao Chen. Where is Mr. Xiao now? Can we see him? After a moment of silence, Nangong Jing asked. Of course, she didn't have any bad thoughts about Xiao Chen, but she wanted to get through Xiao Chen, the young master. Successfully persuaded Murong Qingshe to join the Wanhua Gate. After all, as soon as Murong Qingshe activated his physique, his cultivation reached the second level of spiritual aperture. If you can become a disciple of Wanhua sect and practice diligently in the future, you will definitely achieve celestial human realm. The Wanhua Gate can also become more powerful. Master Xiao is in seclusion. You will naturally see him when he comes out of seclusion. Before Murong Qingshe could reply, Ziluo suddenly spoke at this moment. Well, this is Mr. Xiao's wing. The group of people happened to pass by the VIP room area. Ziluo pointed to one of the rooms and said. Boom. Also at this time, almost as soon as Ziluo finished speaking and Nangongjing and others looked over, a roar suddenly broke out in the wing. A terrifying cultivation aura erupted into the sky in the wing. The pupils of Ziluo, Nangongjing and others shrank sharply, with disbelief on their faces at this moment. This is the aura of the 9th level of Xuanden. How can this be? According to Murong Qingshui's story, Xiao Chen obviously only has the cultivation level of the 7th level of spiritual aperture. How can he now burst out with the aura of the 9th level of Xuanden? Could it be that Xiao Chen had been hiding his cultivation before? Thinking of this possibility, Ziluo's heart was filled with panic, and she looked into the side room with trembling eyes. At only 18 years old, she had broken through to the 9th level of Xuanden, the same level of cultivation as her. You must know that her martial Dao talent has reached a high heavenly rank, and she has been vigorously cultivated by Xian Chamber of Commerce. Only after reaching the age of 23 can one break through to the 9th level of Xuanden. Xiao Chen was 5 years ahead of her. What kind of monster was this guy? Miss Murong, Miss Ziluo, are you sure that Mr. Xiao inside is really only 18 years old? When Ziluo was so frightened that her legs became weak. Nangongjing, Li Wanqing and others on the side were also horrified and some of their faces turned pale, and they all asked in disbelief. He cultivated to the 9th level of Xuanden at the age of 18. Looking at the great Qian dynasty for thousands of years, which prodigy can be so evil? Young master, there is no need to lie. He is really only 18 years old. Ziluo was a little unsure when she heard this, but Murong Qingshe, who was beside her, replied with admiration on her face. The man who can pull her out of the abyss, his light is destined to be impossible to cover up. This is the charm of Mr. Xiao. Chapter 69. I don't agree with this anymore. Revolving pill 9th level realm. In the wing, while everyone outside the room was horrified, Xiao Chen slowly opened his eyes at this time. Unexpectedly, with this improvement in soul quality, he not only transformed into a Bodhi-enlightened soul, but also unexpectedly received an epiphany experience. Through unconscious cultivation, his cultivation level was actually promoted to the 9th level of Xuanden. But the biggest gain this time is not just the improvement in cultivation. When Xiao Chen observed the patterns of heaven and earth through the transformation of his soul, he also created his own divine ability based on the 5 elements true essence. 5 elements killing technique. It is composed of 5 divine abilities. Once integrated union, it can create both yin and yang. When practiced to the extreme, it can shake the world. However, this divine ability is still in its infancy and needs to be continuously improved in the future. By the way, I wonder if the system can be completely upgraded. When the thought came to an end, Xiao Chen asked immediately. Ding. Unless the divine ability technique created by the host can be completely reproduced, the system cannot be directly upgraded through the host's soul memory. After hearing the system's answer, Xiao Chen had no choice but to give up. If you want to imprint divine ability on a scroll or jade slip, in addition to powerful soul power, you also need to practice this divine ability to perfection. He had just created this divine ability and could not reproduce it yet. It seems that we can only deduce it to a certain level by ourselves first, and then reproduce it and let the system help upgrade and improve it. It's time to go out. I wonder if I will miss the auction during this retreat. After suppressing the thoughts in his heart, Xiao Chen calmed down his breath. This epiphany felt like it only lasted a short moment, but how much time had actually passed? He is also difficult to judge. Well, is there someone outside the door? After standing up, he sensed several breaths outside the wing, and a look of confusion appeared on Xiao Chen's face. With so many people standing outside his door, could something happen to Xian Chamber of Commerce? When the thought came to an end, Xiao Chen frowned and came to the door, then opened the door. Several faces with shocked faces, but all of them were beautiful and had their own styles, came into Xiao Chen's eyes. Young Master, Master Xiao, Zi Luo, Nangong Jing and others, who were in shock, were startled when they saw the door being opened. Is he Mr. Xiao? He's quite handsome. Looking at Xiao Chen, who was as young as herself, Li Wanqing's face was full of curiosity, and she even felt eager to try. It seemed like he wanted to go up and pinch him. Look at this man who has cultivated to the 9th level of Xuanden at the age of 18. What kind of heavenly materials and earthly treasures are he made of? Martial Dao's talent is so abnormal. You have something wrong. Looking at the group of supreme grade beauties in front of him, Xiao Chen frowned slightly and asked with some doubts. Except for Zi Luo and Marong Qingshe, he didn't know any of the other white-haired beauties. Are you Mr. Xiao? After Xiao Chen finished speaking, Nangong Jing took a deep breath to steady her mind, then walked over to Xiao Chen and bowed slightly. My name is Nangong Jing, and I am a disciple of the master of Manhwa sect. These two are my junior sister and junior uncle. The reason why we are standing here is all because of Miss Marong. After a brief introduction, Nangong Jing got straight to the point. He explained to Xiao Chen everything about wanting to bring Marong Qingshe into Wanwaman. So, we would like to ask Mr. Xiao to persuade Miss Marong that joining the Wanhwa sect will be absolutely harmless to her. If no one teaches her well, I'm afraid her talent will be buried. After saying that, everyone looked at Xiao Chen eagerly, while Marong Qingshe was a little embarrassed. This was her own decision, but she didn't expect it to disturb Mr. Xiao, but she caused trouble for him. So that's what happened. After hearing what Nangong Jing said, Xiao Chen suddenly smiled lightly. Whether Miss Marong wants to enter Wanwaman to practice or not depends on her own decision. Although I'm kind to her, I can't force her to make a decision. Marong Qingshe has a Taiyan Xuanxia body, which is a rare saint rank physique and will be able to break through to the saint realm in the future. He was not stupid enough to push it to other forces. It would be troublesome if something unexpected happened. Mr. Xiao, Miss Marong insists on following you. She is undoubtedly burying her body of pure yin. If she can enter the 10,000 Flowers Gate, the 10,000 Flower Gate will not only protect her from thieves, but also fully discover her pure yin physique. Frowning, Nangong Jing still refused to give up and still wanted to persuade Xiao Chen. As long as the other party can open this golden mouth, Marong Qingshe will definitely respect Xiao Chen's opinion, and it will be easy for Wanwaman to take him under his wing. You said that Wanwaman can protect her from thieves. I agree with this. But if you say that your Wanhwa sect can fully discover her physique, I don't agree with this. Xiao Chen smiled lightly when he heard this. After saying these words, the expressions of Nangong Jing, Li Wanqing and others immediately changed, and they all stared at Xiao Chen unkindly. Hey, how do you talk? Our Wanhwa sect is one of the 5 apex-level forces of the Great Qian dynasty. The entire sect practices extremely yin attributes. There are several celestial human realm experts inside the gate, all of whom are top experts with pure yin physiques. How dare you say that our Wanhwa sect doesn't have the ability to fully develop her physique? Hearing Xiao Chen's words, it seemed that he looked down on Wanwaman. Li Wanqing on the side immediately put her hands on her hips and said to Xiao Chen with an annoyed look on her face. It would be somewhat reasonable to say that the herds of animals in Burning Flame Valley would not discover the body of pure yin. But if you say that Wanhwa Valley cannot discover pure yin physique, isn't this questioning a chef's inability to cook? The Wanwaman technique is incomplete. The more you practice to the late stage, the more obvious the disadvantages will be. Use the identification function to check the basic information of these people, Xiao Chen continued speaking calmly. For ordinary women, practicing this kind of technique will only cause the yin qi in their bodies to stagnate. As a result, I have irregular menstruation and my hair gradually turns white. And they will lose their fertility, gradually lose interest in men, and become what ordinary people call a stone girl. I heard Xiao Chen say these words. Nangong Jing and Li Wanqing's pupils couldn't help but widen. It was obviously the first time they heard such outrageous remarks. Han Xinyue on the side suddenly changed her expression after hearing this, and her energy was locked on Xiao Chen. Boy, you actually slandered the inheritance of Wanhwa sect. As the words fell coldly, it seemed that if Xiao Chen dared to talk nonsense again, she would not be able to help but take action directly. Elder Han, young Master Xiao is the honorary elder of our Xian Chamber of Commerce. Your sudden behavior will scare him. Seeing that Han Xinyue was stimulated by Xiao Chen, Zi Luo couldn't help but speak at this time. What? After hearing Zi Luo's words, Han Xinyue's expression changed again, and she looked at Xiao Chen in disbelief. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen, who is so young, is actually an honorary elder of the Xi'an Chamber of Commerce. His status is much higher than hers. You don't have to be so extreme. I'm just telling the truth. Seeing Han Xinyue's reaction, Xiao Chen was not angry, but continued in a calm voice. You have been practicing the inherited skills of Wanwaman for 46 years. From the beginning, you just had menstrual confusion to later, painful menopause. Now there is a lot of yin energy condensed in your lower abdomen. Not only will you feel pain in your lower abdomen late at night, but you will even have a backlash of yin energy once a month. That feeling is like someone having a 1,000-year-old ice pick stabbed into your perineum. It's enough to make you, a strong man in the universal truth realm, feel worse than death during the torture. Chapter 70. I'm just telling you. Boom. After Xiao Chen said these words, Han Xinyue felt like thunder exploding in his mind. His pupils also contracted violently, and he looked at Xiao Chen in horror. All right. Whether it was the number of years he had practiced the technique or the hidden root of his body, Xiao Chen was absolutely right. If it weren't for the first time she met Xiao Chen today, she would even suspect that Xiao Chen had been treating her like an adulterer for a long time. Just by looking at her, you can see so many problems. Who is this Mr. Xiao? Nangong Jing and Li Wanqing on the side were collectively confused at this moment. Although they know the inherited skills of Wanhua sect. Because it was born out of an incomplete holy art and cannot truly perfect the core of the technique, there will be some drawbacks after practice. I didn't expect that so many problems would arise after practicing to the late stage. They may even lose their fertility and their interest in sexual intercourse between men and women, which their master has never mentioned to them. As for you two, you both have special pure yin physiques, and you haven't been practicing for a long time. So at present, you two only have white hair, and each menstrual period is chaotic and accompanied by severe pain from uterine cold. However, the more you practice to the late stage, and as your cultivation level continues to improve, the yin qi in your body becomes more condensed. Not only will you be like this elder, you will have to experience life worse than death once a month. Even because of the special pure yin constitution, yin qi will become yin evil after excessive condensation. Afterwards, the personality will become a little cold and extreme, and there is a risk of death if it goes too far. Seeing the horrified looks on their faces, Xiao Chen glanced at Nangong Jing and Li Wanqing, and continued to add in a calm voice. And Miss Morong's pure yin physique is more advanced than the two of you. Once you practice the inherited skills of your Wanhua sect, although your early stage cultivation will improve by leaps and bounds, there will definitely be backlash in the late stage. Even after she cultivated to the celestial human realm, she would become possessed or die suddenly if she was not careful. Hiss. After hearing what Xiao Chen said, Morong Qingshe, Zi Luo and others couldn't help but take a deep breath. They didn't expect that Wanwaman's technique had such big drawbacks. I originally thought that after practicing the skills in Fenyan Valley, yin deficiency and yang excess would accumulate fire poison. Without a gentle woman, she would have to endure the torment of burning desire. This is already a big disadvantage. I didn't expect that Wanwaman's inherited skills would have such big drawbacks besides turning my hair white after practice. It sounds like the two extremes from Fenyan Valley, which makes people feel unbelievable for a while. Xiao. Mr. Xiao, can you see these problems? Is there a way to treat us? As the storm surged in her heart, Han Xinyue was no longer as cold as before, but instead felt a kind of respect for Xiao Chen. After taking a deep breath to calm down, she asked with a trembling voice. The sequelae of the exercise have been tormenting her for decades, and every attack in the past few years has made her worse than death. If she hadn't cultivated to the 7th level of universal truth, she would already have extremely strong willpower. I'm afraid that my character will completely change under this kind of torture. If Xiao Chen could cure or relieve her pain, she would even give up all her wealth. Image of Han Xinyue. There is indeed a way. After hearing Han Xinyue ask this question, Xiao Chen's mouth curved slightly. He said as much. Naturally, Han Xinyue and others had to ask this question so that he could harvest Wanwaman's resources in the future. He even brought the entire 10,000 flowers sect under his crotch. Bah, he brought them all under his command. Is everything the young master said true? After hearing Xiao Chen's words, Han Xinyue was immediately overjoyed. Even Nangong Jing, Zi Luo and others couldn't help but widen their eyes. But don't be too happy yet. Seeing several people looking at him with excitement and surprise, Xiao Chen didn't hide anything at this moment. I can only help you relieve this pain at the moment, that is, repair the hidden wounds left by the backlash of yin qi on your body, and restore your fertility. As for completely solving this hidden danger, we still have to start from the root cause, that is, your inherited skills. If you are willing to hand over the core skills to me for viewing, I can pass them back to my master and ask him to help deduce the shortcomings. In this way, as the technique is completely perfected and you can perfectly control every ray of yin energy in your body, you can completely eliminate this sequelae from the source. The repair function can only repair physical wounds, but cannot directly correct the true essence. Therefore, Xiao Chen could only take a roundabout way. He could help these people repair their bodies first, and then perfect the exercises to solve the hidden dangers. Of course, there are benefits to this. After all, every person he repairs will have a contract secretly planted by the system. If he could help everyone in the Manhwa sect repair their bodies, wouldn't the entire Manhwa sect be under his control? It's exciting to think about it. Need to hand over the inherited skills. After listening to Xiao Chen's words, Han Xinyue, Nangong Jing and others, everyone was stunned on the spot. Kung Fu is the core inheritance of a sect. If it is handed over to outsiders, it may destroy the sect. I am just telling you, I am not asking you to do this. Seeing the changing expressions of Han Xinyue, Nangong Jing and others, Xiao Chen smiled lightly and waved his hand. The bait has been thrown. As long as you can keep your composure, there will always be fish taking the bait. Master Xiao, inheriting the skills is not something I can decide. I can only report it to the sect masters and the others to make the decision. But if the young master can alleviate this pain, Xinyue boldly wants to ask the young master to help. After a moment of silence, Han Xinyue gritted her teeth and said. After saying that, Han Xinyue took out a na ring and then handed it to Xiao Chen. This is a bit of my net worth, please don't dislike it, Mr. Xiao. Xiao Chen can help Murong Qingshe solve her physical problems, and maybe she can really help her repair her physical wounds. If the physical pain could be relieved, she would suffer less torture in the future. Well, since you have said this, I will take action for you once. Xiao Chen didn't refuse when he saw this. After putting away the space ring, he said calmly to Han Xinyue. Come in with me. As the group of people walked into the private room, Xiao Chen asked Han Xinyue to lie down on the big bed without any unnecessary nonsense. Next moment, Xiao Chen's cultivation suddenly exploded, and he created a series of seals with one hand, and his whole body was surrounded by runes. Then, after making some pretense, he pressed directly on Han Xinyue's lower abdomen and at the same time issued a repair command to the system. Ding! The system has deducted 18,000 points and is repairing the hidden injuries of the character Han Xinyue. Although Han Xinyue's cultivation reached the 7th level of universal truth, because the sequelae were not fatal injuries, not many points were deducted this time. And as the system prompts sounded, dazzling white light also erupted from Xiao Chen's body. Han Xinyue felt a mysterious force rushing in from Xiao Chen's right hand and surging back and forth in her belly. That unprecedented warmth was accompanied by a strange feeling. Her body couldn't help but tremble, and she let out a cry of surprise. Everyone in the room, hearing this seemingly lustful cry, the atmosphere instantly became a little awkward. The atmosphere instantly became a little awkward. The atmosphere instantly became a little awkward.